Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is July 1st. It is hot as fuck out there. The Cubs might be back, and it is time to talk about baseball. Eric,
Hell yeah.
welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm happy to be
Cool.
joining you today, actually,
I
it
know, man.
appears.
It was
That
lonely.
that it won't be a solo pod today. You didn't you have any shortness of hot air last week on your pod, I'll tell you that much.
No, I'm trying to do my best Colin Coward impression. I'm not quite there yet, but I did get a few emails from some companies because obviously that video had massive views. I
Yeah,
did get a
you got
couple
some good
emails.
viewership.
Yeah, that they acquired about my talents, but I told them I'm making quite a bit as a teacher, and I had to turn them down.
Yeah, I'm happy that your heart is
Yep.
staying local with the Boys of Summer here. Did you
Amen.
get any did Ticonderoga pencils or anybody reach out for sponsorship?
Yeah, yeah, I got to start
Parfait.
throwing. I do got to start throwing some sponsorships up in my room and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
that'll be easy peasy. Keep them in the background. Nobody notices those ever, right? Yeah. So,
Yep. Oh,
all
we
right.
got Squarespace and yeah,
Yep.
whatever else the other common
But
ones
I'm
are.
glad you can join me this time. It was a little lonely last time, so always good to talk some baseball. Love
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I basically feel like I'm joining you this time.
it.
So we have some baseball to talk about. It's been a an interesting season so far. We have kind of some firsts when it comes to kind of the how sporadic the standings have been, where we have one team that's just absolutely running away with it.
Yep.
Not really shown by the head-to-head standings here, but clicking over to Roto, it's been a one-horse race there. It's been kind of a weirder dynamic when you look at what teams have to offer, what transactions have been made. A little bit maybe on the quiet side, still a fair share of obviously big blockbuster trades we had in the last couple of weeks. But when we look back at how the first 3 months of the season have been so far, what do you think your main takeaways have been?
I know I kind of mentioned this last time, but it seems like it's closer this year than ever. I think at this point last year we had like four sellers. I know last year we mentioned at this point too, like a lot of the big names that were traded kind of by this time.
Mhm.
Right at the end of that last solo pod, I kind of looked back at like when all those big trades happened last year, and it seemed like it was like late June, like the last week and a half of June. And by the time, and I know you mentioned this, by the time we actually got to the deadline, if you wanted to make moves, you're almost too late. Like all
Mhm.
those big pieces were moved. The sellers were like, we're done, we sold.
Tyler
Um,
certainly wasted no time this year.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is it seems
Jordan too.
like Jordan's starting to sell. We'll talk about some of the trades obviously coming up. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but I we're gonna find more clarity in the next week or two, but really 9 through 12, I feel like are still right there in that playoff picture in that playoff race. So
Mhm.
they're right on their heels of giving up and not giving up. So I think these next 2 weeks, in terms of trades, in terms of assets being moved, is going to be really fascinating to see.
Mhm.
And obviously, in one of the most fascinating things, we have Bryce on completely different spectrums, where you could almost argue he's out of it in a head-to-head or very close to, and he's in the thick of things with Roto, which we've never quite seen
Yeah.
that full on before. So it's been
It's,
fun.
it's,
Like I
it's
said in
it's a
the last one,
yearly thing with Bryce, though. It's every year.
exactly. Yeah.
He's
Um,
a full starter. He's a
Spelly's
he's,
been a
he's a
fun,
grower, not a shower.
exactly. And as we speak, I know it's just a position player, and oh my God, damn it, Dansby just hit one literally to the fucking ivy. Holy shit. Oh, that could have been another one. Anyway, no, it's been fun, and I think it has been so tight this year, and teams aren't willing to quite give up yet. Maybe that's why there's been a little bit less of trades. But like you mentioned, there's been a few these last couple weeks, so
Yeah.
the oven's starting to turn on here.
Yeah. If there's one word that I could use to describe a lot of what I have seen and what we have seen this year, it is negligent. I am a little bit upset at the fantasy negligence that's going on in this league. And I'm gonna call some of it out here over the course of the next 4 hours, however long we have recording this podcast here. Hopefully
Oh
not
God.
that long. But we'll see because there's a lot that I'm not pleased with. I'll tell you that much. And I think there's just so much more meat on the bone that could have been had that these negligent fantasy owners are just leaving right out there, and it is bothering me. So here's how we'll lay this out here. We'll talk each kind of team by team. We're gonna work our way down from the bottom. So luckily, Pablo's Powerhouse, you get to start us off here. But we're gonna talk about kind of your uh contention odds here on where you're kind of at, if you should kind of blow it up, if you should not blow it up, or your odds of just kind of making a splash here towards the end of the year, making a difference here in the playoff picture. We're going to kind of take a look at the roster, see what you're kind of working with here, and maybe give you our opinion on maybe a direction this each roster should go. Anything that you want to add to that, Eric, on what you expect to kind of go over with each team?
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, kind of break it down, contention status, where you're at. Obviously, some of these teams on the bottom, we're going to talk about maybe what assets you have or could get away with here, what you, if you have any. And again, yeah, it'll be interesting to see because I think, and there's different perspectives of looking at this. You get in the dance, anything can happen. And I know some people have that perspective. The interesting thing about the fantasy baseball playoffs, though, is you get in the dance and it's a 2 week matchup, right? You might be able to swindle and beat Chad in a 1 week
Yep.
matchup where you get six categories, but when you're going against Chad's behemoth of a team for 2 weeks, that can change things a little bit. So it's one of those things like even if you got enough to get in the dance, do you have enough to for what is it, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Put together a good
Yep.
playoff team, that's where it gets interesting. And I'm
Well,
and I'm
it's
curious because I
really.
know even you have said you might be semi-selling or quasi, not that you're not
Mhm.
competing in a sense, but like, do you feel like you have enough to win a title? And there's part of me it's like, hey, anyone can do it, but to really beat a team for 2 weeks is not easy.
Yeah, which I do like. I do feel like it kind of separates the a little bit more of the anomalous,
Yeah.
whatever the word is, for kind of making sure the right team kind of wins each year. Where it's just like, yeah, just can't have one bad week and all of a sudden your season's over. It's like, no, it's got to be 2 full weeks. You got to either get
Yes.
the win or 2 full weeks of your team falling apart, kind of a thing. So you'd think that the 2 week playoff would really weed out the pretenders from the contenders, but it really has not. And
Yeah.
over the history of the Boys of Summer, we have never seen the best team win the league. If you're talking best team being the top roto team all year, that team has never won the head-to-head championship.
And it's
So,
not a small sample size at this
mhm.
point. I mean, we're what, year seven? Is this year six,
Yeah.
year seven? I don't know.
Yeah, I think year seven. I should probably pull up the archives here so we can have those ready. If we're ever for anything that we might need there. And
And I think
so,
too, what's interesting is I know a lot of us, and we're going to get to the trade while you're pulling that up when it happens. That Nick Kurtz trade where Chad got another like superstar, like the one guy that didn't probably need another huge player was Chad. I even said it in the chat, and who knows what'll happen. Does that lessen contending teams' desire to trade? Because like
Mhm.
we all know we're not catching Chad talent wise. So are a lot of the contending teams at a spot where it's like, well, I just kind of got to hope I get hot in the 2 weeks I play him. I'm not gonna, for example, I'm not gonna trade, a top prospect in baseball or a good keeper with the to trying to close that massive gap between Chad, right? Do I
Mhm.
just try to say, hey, you know? Hopefully, I get lucky in those 2 weeks. So does I guess my question to you is, does a super team like Chad's at this present point almost make contending teams also not want to trade because they're like, hey, I just at this point I just got to get lucky against them.
Yeah, I think it absolutely has. I mean, I should sit here and be like, no, you all have a chance. We should all be trying to buy here, and we should
Right.
all, be 100% in it. Nobody should really sell. Like you have a chance. It's anybody's game, but it doesn't feel that way. It really doesn't. I mean, we'll look at it here last, because well, actually, no, I second to last because he's not technically the first place head-to-head team, but. His team is so good that it's like it does feel like you're playing for second place, and second place isn't nothing. I mean, yeah,
Right.
you might not get a ring out of it, but we pay out second and third place in Roto, second and third in head to head. So, I mean, if we're looking at the Roto standings first to give you a little bit of a landscape of kind of where we're at here, we have our Roto standings are we got Chad here at 124, and I don't think anybody's going to even come close to that. I mean, you might have somebody that comes in maybe 110 by the end of the year, by they scoop up a few points here, but I don't think Chad's really going to dip down
No.
below like 120 at any point, really. His team just built up too much, and there's no reason for it to. He's just got it too powerful. So I think it's a runaway. So you're playing for the second place, the 400 and no, $300, I think, for second place, and third place 150 for Roto. And I guess head to head, it can be kind of anybody's battle. I mean, we can hope that somebody can, if Dana can hold on to the head to head, Dana being in the American League
Yeah,
division.
getting a bye would be huge.
Then we'd have Dana would have the bye, and Chad would have that first round matchup. It'd give three different people an opportunity to
Yep.
square off against him. But man, some poor soul is going to end up facing Chad in the first round, and
Yep.
whoever's going to probably be the sixth seed. So yeah, don't be the sixth seed because then you're gonna get if Dana ends up hanging on to this what's this a three game lead on Chad here, which five
Right.
weeks to go I don't expect that to hold if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, anybody can knock off anybody come postseason time, and I mean, if you're in the championship, you're guaranteed first or second, and then we'll have our third place game as well. So I mean, there are payouts there, and so it's not like it's like, well, you shouldn't you at least go for it because I mean, there is prizes for second and third for both head to head and roto. Anybody could sneak into anybody that's around. Let's see, from a head to head standpoint. Oh, clicked on the wrong thing here. I think everybody that's maybe Phil and above has
Yeah,
some kind of chance
I
at
think
getting in
so.
head to head with 4 weeks left. I mean, some good things need to happen. So, I mean, that's 12 out of 14 teams are still in it for head to head. And like once you get there, anything can happen. Like we've seen, like Jordan won 2 years ago. He didn't deserve
Yep.
to.
Yeah. He was
Once
not the
you're at
best
the
team.
dance, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I think the roto is going to be the one where it's harder to get into. But as we say that, if we were to take a look at our roto by period, so let's take we'll look at your team, we'll look at Bryce's team. So right now we got Bryce is sitting there at 87 roto points, and you're sitting there at 82 roto points. If we go by a different period, let's say like the start of June, let's go 1 month ago, start of June, you were sitting there at 71 and Bryce was at 75. If we go
Yeah.
back one more further at the start of May, and you were down at 71 and Bryce was
73.
73.
Yeah.
Why does it seem like that should be lower? Is that accurate?
I've kind of been around that range almost the whole year out. The first 2 weeks I got off on a heater, and then after that I've really been around probably 70 to 76 points the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, because
And
I knew that
until
you were like the
these
first
last
place head to
couple weeks.
head league or first place head to head team for like a minute, despite being mid in
Yeah.
Roto.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
these
so
last
yeah.
couple
So
weeks been
oh
on a
no,
heater.
on May 1st, let's see. Oh, that was that particular period. That's what that was.
Okay.
Scratch that. Whatever I said in the last 2 minutes, that was inaccurate. That was just for that individual period. So on May 1st, you had 63 roto points.
Yeah.
Bryce had 46.
Insane.
And then on let's see here, on June 1st, you had 68 and Bryce had 57.
Wow. Yeah. Look at the This just shows how much can change in a month
And
though.
yeah, and then if we go today, Bryce knocking on the door at 87, you at 82, and
So
yeah,
just
the
for
others
fun,
have kind of fallen off.
Do the June 1st to July 1st then.
We're gonna see you and him probably at the top here.
Yeah, but it just goes to show that literally we've
Yep,
been
there
a
you go.
pretty much 65 point team the entire season, and then you get hot for a month, and then bam. I mean that's crazy. Wow.
It's actually it is shocking actually that that Chad's only been the sixth best team over the last month,
I'll
considering
say this. I
where the
got
team
some
is.
knowledge, and I asked if I can quote him on this. Dana's pretty confident he's going to chase Chad down.
And Roto,
He says he's been spouting the last few days how he is the best fantasy team in the league, and Chad's time is coming.
that is incorrect. That is not
So we'll
even.
see. We'll see. He told
I
me I
don't
could
even
say
know if
that.
I don't even know if Dana's team is in like the top five of good
Oh
teams.
man, this will be
It's
fun.
like
This will be fun.
it's just barely scratching the surface there. I'm not so sure about that. So,
But I'm right there with
um,
you on the head-to-head standings. I
yeah.
find it kind of fascinating because again, we have technically, I mean, we're midway through this week, right? We have
Mhm.
4 weeks left of head-to-head after this week. So crunch time's happening, but
Mhm.
we essentially still now have 50 win-loss tie that you can still get between
Yep.
this week and the next four. 50, right? If
Yep.
you're 8 games out, I mean, you could go 4-6 this week. Krim could go 8-2, and then Krim's 4 games back of a playoff spot, just like that. So, like, this really is every week matters. But I keep saying it, it is crunch time right now. Like, if Phil and Bryce and Krim have a bad week, they're done. I mean,
Mhm.
they cannot afford another
Yeah,
two and eight
you
week.
can't go 2-8.
You can't go 2-8. You can't go 3-7. But in the same breath, if they keep
You
going
you could
six,
chip away 3 or 4 at a time and be
yes.
there in 4 weeks.
Yep.
But if you lose ground, yeah.
And that's why, again, even yeah, t teams are right there, and that's why I think trades have been tough because I kind of mentioned in the last pod. Does Justin really want to trade with Chris right now? Does Dexter really want to trade with Cot? When you guys are literally maybe fighting for that same, it's kind of tough to say I'm going to make your
You read
team
into
better,
that more than I do. I
and I'm
just
going to make
because
your
I
team
think each
better.
trade should be mutually beneficial.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's easier in baseball. In football, it's a lot harder, right? Because it's like three
Mhm.
teams get in, this and that. You're really got to be careful who you trade with, but baseball's a little bit more open with all the positions. I do get
Yeah.
that, but yeah.
So when you're trading though, you or even when you're not trading and you're kind of looking ahead, you do a better job than I do of like looking ahead at like the schedules, where seeing where we're at, and like you actually look at the upcoming matchups for yourself and others to like get a picture of who should be buying, who should be selling, even, right? Like
Somewhat,
based
yeah,
on how
or at least
hard
I
or
think,
how soft your schedule is coming up in these last 4 weeks.
yeah, at least I think you need to be looking at that. For example, like, if I was, what's a team right on the brink right now? Like, obviously Bryce is on a heater right now. So
Mhm.
when you're looking at Bryce's schedule, and then next week he plays Phil, who's kind of just selling, so that might be an easier matchup. The week after that, he plays Dexter. That's going to be a tougher matchup. So I do think you do have to kind of look at that a little bit. I don't think you base your whole thing off of it, but I mean, if you for some reason play three out of the four worst teams coming up, I think that's got to change the direction of where you're going a little bit and go, hey, like
I
I could maybe sneak in here.
I've had a tough schedule so far, and I know this because I look at the rest of my schedule and I'm like, it's kind of softening up here for
Yeah.
me here. Even though I'm in sixth place in head-to-head right now, and I got
I really
Justin
would.
this week, and then I got next week I think I have Jordan. Oh, then I have Krim, and then I have I believe Jordan after that. Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's cake. The rest
yeah,
of yours is cake. I'm worried now.
so and then Chris
Oh
after
man,
that.
this
So
division lead may not hold. Oh
yeah,
fuck.
so I and then Bryce, so he's legit. He was a buyer, so I do kind of look at that and I'm like, oh, do I buy? Do I sell? But I'm like, how good do I need to beat these teams?
That's
But
another point,
also, I
right?
don't know,
I mean,
you know,
does buying really change you beating some of these teams
it
seven to
yeah,
three? You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, yeah.
Mhm.
So, and that's where I think we're really at a weird spot in the league right now. We're like, and I know you've hated how early some teams have sold in the past, but again, I've always kind of liked the more buyer and seller mentality. When we get to, I mean, our playoffs start what, August 5th? When we get to essentially 2 more weeks from now, when we get to July 15th, July 16th, we should essentially have about 4 or 5, if not six sellers and 7 or 8 teams going for the playoffs. There's
Yeah,
only 2 weeks from now, guys. There's only 2 weeks left. So I
yeah.
mean, like, it makes sense to kind of have about 4 to 5 sellers by the time you get to mid-July. And I
Mhm.
don't know if we're quite there yet. We're close,
Yeah.
but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. And I always hope that there's a fair balance of buyers and sellers. I always prefer there to be more buyers than sellers. I hate when it's just like we get there and just like, all right, our 6 playoff teams are buyers and then the 8 non-playoff teams
Yeah.
are all sellers. And I think like having a little bit of mix up of the head-to-head this year, like kind of like we have, where some teams are roto, some teams are
Yeah.
head-to-head and better than one of the others, hopefully helping with that. But we'll kind of see how some things shake off. We've really only had 2 true sellers so far, and that's Tyler and Jordan. They've kind of made their trades. We'll kind of talk about them
Maybe
here
Phil, is he
when
is
we
he
get
a half a
into it.
foot
Yeah.
in? Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of started the tear down. I think he's probably going to follow through with it, but I don't know, his team's kind of coming alive here this week between Nunez, was it Renato Nunez and Bregman are starting to come
Yeah.
around a little bit with some power.
About
So,
time.
um, all right, we'll get into our first team here, Jordan. As we do, we have Pablo's powerhouse. So this is Pablo's team slash Jordan's team. We'll look at their transactions as well here. If we pull up
And there's
Pablo's,
no question while you're doing that. I mean, obviously, we know we're starting from the bottom here, guys. Jordan's team is not going to make the playoffs. So we're not really
yeah,
going to look at his team from an aspect of like, oh, this guy's struggling. This guy's not. This guy, you got to get this dude out of your lineup. We're not really going to look at it like that. We're pretty much at this point looking at Jordan's team as
do
like,
you want to say where things went wrong though? Do you
yeah, I mean,
have
yeah,
an
I mean, we
opinion
could do
there
that too.
of kind of yeah, what went wrong? So he's obviously our last place head-to-head team. Never really came together for him in any kind of meaningful way for him, unfortunately. But as we kind of look at this team, kind of top to bottom, I mean, obviously nothing, I guess, really went right for him. But is there something that you can kind of put your finger on that was like, man, it just here's why it didn't really go right?
Pablo. No, I'm
Yep,
just kidding.
the curse
I
of
don't,
Pablo.
I forget who drafted his team, but I mean that didn't help. I mean, his team we knew going into the offseason wise wasn't very strong to begin with. You're a very famous Jordan hater. He tries to prove you wrong, but these last couple of years, he's really dug himself into the ground pretty deep. And we'll talk about some of the trades coming up, but the team just never had it. I mean, we both ranked him very lowly coming
Yeah.
in. Austin Riley, of course, has not turned it around. Trey Turner, who I know you've kind of been lower on the last couple of years, is finally really
Yeah.
starting to show his age. I mean,
Never
he
wrong, just
literally
early.
Dansby just hit a granny.
You're kidding.
I'm not.
Oh my God.
It's against a position player, but it's oh my God. All right, I'm
Uh,
hyped. But yeah, things have just not gone well for him. They just haven't. Now, again, this is the bottom of the barrel team, and really when you look at it, it's a lot of it's the pitching. I mean, Casey Mize has been fine. This and then again, I'm not going to dive deep into everyone's performance here, but he just has not had the pitching. There's no way you can look at that rotation and hope to compete. I think he was dead in the water from the beginning, and we both kind of thought that.
mhm. That's probably too
So.
small to see. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to pull up my where I actually had him in the power rankings there at the start of the year. Let's see here. Last season. No, I don't want the 26. Let's see here. Oh, I only found the off season one. I don't know I gotta figure out what that was. You don't have, do you remember what that doc was called?
Like the one that had like,
So
oof,
it's hard without looking at
yeah,
the transactions because there was like he made a big blockbuster trade already that is going to make it this roster look thinner than it already is. So I'm just going
right.
to kind of talk about that. So at the start of the year he traded away Taylor Ward, got back Michael King, which was fine. Both have been equally kind of not
King's
great.
probably been better than Ward. Ward hasn't been good. King's
Yeah.
been a little bit better, kind of a
Ward
wash, but
is they I actually heard Ward is actually like he's a being a better baseball player. Like he's in third today and he's got a 378 OBP. So like he's actually
definitely been
like
going for him.
he's drawing a lot more walks, but it's costing him all of his power. He's got 5 home runs, 23 RBIs, and that's in a full season. He's got
Yeah,
328 at bats. He's been healthy all year. And he just can't drive anybody in. He's got 53 runs scored though, because he's hitting at the top of the lineup, getting on base a ton. But you were expecting more of a power surge from Ward, who's flashed it in the past. He had 36 bombs last year. I was
right.
not expecting him to be on pace to hit 9 this year. I'll tell you that much. As we're over halfway through the season now, and then Michael King's left a little bit to be desired, but just very mid numbers. Under a strikeout inning, 3.5 ERA, 1.2 WHIP,
Yeah.
essentially.
It's
Just
been
kind of
it's been
okay.
fairly even. I'd probably take. I mean, if you need more hitting, you're going to take the hitting aspect. So really, pretty even. Both of them
Mhm.
cheap. Yeah,
Yeah. And then he got rid of DeLauder, got back Painter and Tong, who have both been demoted
yeah,
to the minor leagues. DeLauder had a good run, and he's a $1 A player, which was, helped, I guess, Chad make the next trade with Pablo,
yeah. To
getting
get him
him
right
back.
back, making Jordan
Uh,
look even worse here. Yeah,
because Painter was horrible, 7 ERA, 1.6 WHIP. Jonah Tong was okay in the 3 games he played, 10 innings, and I don't
yeah.
know why they haven't really brought him up. I don't know if they haven't had room in the
And again,
rotation or what,
at the
but
end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like DeLauder's probably the best asset here just because he has been proving it. If he keeps Tong and Painter with where Jordan's at, maybe that's the way to go. But it's hard to look at the
DeLauder's
trade
actually
this
been pretty
way.
bad for the last month.
Oh, he's
He
been
doesn't have a
awful.
home runs. Oh, I think I gave it in the chat. It's like he's got 1 home run since May,
Yeah,
something
he's been
like
awful
that.
lately.
So,
So
um,
again, yeah, kind of a tough one, but overall probably a loss for Jordan. But again, who knows? We'll see. Yeah,
yeah. So that brings us to
the big one.
the big blockbuster here. One of the biggest trades, in the history of the league here. We have this 10 player trade here where he gave away Andres Munoz, Vinny Pasquantino, Nick Kurtz, Kerry Carpenter, and Michael King, and he got back Hurston Waldrop, Corbin Burns, Bubba Chandler, Seiya Suzuki, and Chase DeLauder.
Yeah,
And as I told you, the theme of this podcast, in my opinion, is fantasy negligence. This is the first fantasy negligent trade that I have seen. It feels, I'm gonna be honest, it feels lazy. It feels negligent, and I hate to
good
be
word.
super critical and be like mean because I don't want people to like be like anti-trading because Kyle's a big bully and he's gonna be mean, and I don't want to trade because I don't want to be put on blast on the podcast. I do think that happens a little bit. People don't want their feelings hurt. People don't want it, are afraid of the optics. But the reason why I say all this is that this trade doesn't really make any sense in regards to why package all these pieces together. Like if you were having Munoz, like you could trade Munoz for like DeLauder, Chandler, and Waldrop would be like the probably the price I'd put for like Munoz. Maybe even it's just like Chandler and DeLauder for
Yeah.
Munoz. which I wouldn't love because I don't think that DeLauder's good. He hasn't really been good all year ever since that first
But
week or two.
right, but he's
And
in a spot where he can take a
yeah,
shot on him because his team
it's
sucks, and
fine.
we get that. Yeah.
And it's Munoz, it's a closer, it's one player. Okay, that's fine. And then you're like, all right, Vinny P, like he's underperformed. Kerry Carpenter, he's fine. He's got 13 homers, 36 RBIs, doesn't play every day. So it's like, it's whatever. So if you do take Vinny P and Carpenter, you package them together and maybe like Waldrop for those two. It's like, okay. Then you take Michael King, you're like, okay, Michael King for Bubba Chandler or maybe say Suzuki, one of the two. And we're like, okay, that's probably reasonable. Michael King's just been kind of average. He's a C player, probably not being kept next year. And then you're just like, oh, wait, but then he's going to trade Nick Kurtz for what exactly?
Yeah.
And it just seems like why package all of these together? Like why not piece these out? And I guess that's just the style because we've seen it in four different trades now where guys just want to package them all together and give them all to the same person in one big package instead of like parse it out a little bit more to get the actual guy you want. And like I get it. I get if you're sitting there, like take me for example, if you're gonna pry like Schwellenbach for me, I'm not gonna give you Schwellenbach for just any, just one player. Like I even told Peter earlier in the season, I wouldn't trade Schwellenbach for Judge. This is after he got hurt. I was like, I'm not gonna trade Schwellenbach for 2 months of Aaron Judge. He's like, well, you're crazy. I'm like, well, yeah. So like I get it if there's a certain target in here that you're going for. What What's the target in here? Corbin
Yeah.
Burns, I guess, is your big target that you're going for here?
Well, and here's my point too. Like, honestly, and I know you're a money saver. Answer this. Who actually is the most valuable keeper in this trade?
It's Nick Kurtz,
It's
and
Nick
it's not even
Kurtz.
close.
It's Nick Kurtz. And I get that he's expensive, but and again, I'm not a big guy on keeping dudes for 40, but if there's someone that's worth keeping at the price he's been, it's him.
Yes,
Like
he's
to
played like
me,
a
like
first round player.
yes,
42 bucks.
so to me, like if you're to me, if I'm Jordan, I'm keeping him just because like Jordan's team sucks. He needs superstars. Don't give away
Mhm.
your only superstar. But if you're going to trade him, I'm at least putting in the chat, hey, Nick Kurtz is available for any team. Come with
Mhm.
your best offer because I
Never
agree with
does.
you with the fact that lazy is the perfect word for this because I feel like it was just like Chad probably sent him a message at the right time and got it
Yeah.
done. And then the defense is always, well, nobody else sent anything.
Yeah.
Well, nobody else did anything.
Yeah.
Dude, it's your best valuable player by far.
Yeah.
Do a little legwork and say, "Hey, I might trade this guy. Send me your absolute best offer." Because to me, yeah, he might keep Chandler. He might keep Burns. He better. But like
Mhm.
you're right. Like he could have gotten just like so much more. And I think lazy's the right word
Well,
for it
you
because
can't.
like it's
And
bad.
you even say like you better keep them, but you can't throw good money at bad money either. Like
Right.
you
Oh
can't
yeah.
just necessarily keep like two wrongs don't make a right here. You can't just keep compounding the mistakes. Like these guys aren't worth being kept, then don't freaking keep them. My big thing is like if you want to trade these guys, Munoz, Pasquantino, like these guys don't have zero value. Carpenter and King, and you want to take away Nick Kurtz. And I look at this return, and if it was those four for the five that he got, I'd be like, okay. I was like, maybe, it wouldn't be like, to give up Seiya and Burns, I think in there, I would probably take out Seiya Suzuki because even Seiya is the weird thing because he's played better up until this past week where he's start to, go scorched earth again. At the time of this trade, he had, two less homers, eight less RBIs, and a lot, but we were kind of looking at him only having like 11 home runs and 34 RBIs on the year. So it was like, well, he's kind of okay, but Seiya Suzuki is also 20, what, $6 or something like
Yeah.
that. So it's just like, what are you going to do with Seiya Suzuki's $27 contract anyway? So like, it
Yeah.
doesn't really even make sense for Seiya Suzuki to be in here because he's not a keeper at 27. But even if you're like saying, okay, it's like Michael King, Carpenter, Pasquantino, and Munoz for DeLauder, Chandler, Waldrop and maybe Burns, like I'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense for both teams. You're getting some win now players for some next year players. But it's like, yeah, you just gave up of all these pieces, the best asset for next year is probably the $42 Nick
Yeah.
Kurtz. And
Yeah.
we might look back at this and be like, well, Jordan was right. He should have made this move because all these guys end up being good. Well, here's the thing. DeLauder, like I said, he hasn't hit a home run since May. He's been brutal for the last 2 months. He's a $1 A, probably going to keep him. Who knows if he's actually good or not. Bubba Chandler on the year now is a 4.2 ERA, a 1.39 whip, and he's striking out less than one an inning. Isn't this guy supposed to have like elite stuff? And
Yeah.
he's not even striking out one an inning, and he hasn't really been good all year, and he's not really going that deep into games. They're kind of piggybacking him a little bit. it, and he's not really, pitching that well. I guess he's going into the fifth inning, just not into the sixth. Very often he hasn't really proven to be good. Corbin Burns is not only like he's not young anymore. Like this isn't like 26-year-old Corbin Burns. Let's see here. How old is Corbin Burns now? He is
Right, 32.
31. So he's 31 coming off surgery. So we don't even know if he's good. We don't know if he's going to pitch again. And even before the surgery, if we look at some of these numbers here, he was not the Corbin Burns that was striking out 240 batters an inning like he did in 2022 with the Brewers. In 2024, he only struck out 181 in 194 innings. They were I know like red flags about his fastball and topping out at certain velocities, not being what it was before, and losing velocity and not striking guys out. And then even before that, it was 63 strikeout in 64 innings, and the ERA isn't that elite 2.4, 2.1. It was kind of more like 3.3, 2.9. I guess 2.6 isn't bad, but the whip was a lot higher than it was before because he's been a lot more hittable. So like are you just banking on him being prime Corbin Burns for the next 3 years, where he, even though before he got hurt, he wasn't even that anymore? So, and then Waldrop is, I don't, career 6 ERA guy. I don't really know what we're getting out of him. It's just question mark. It's Waldrop is the guy that you trade for on July 31st when nothing else is on the table, in my
Exactly. Yeah. And then I agree with Dana's message
opinion.
when he said, like, I wouldn't give up all of that for Kurtz single-handedly. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
or this could have been literally a one for a trade and it still wouldn't have looked good. So I don't know. I
No.
get like even having to throw a Kerry Carpenter in there to get a deal done because like, oh, he's a C, like what,
Yeah.
but like, no, I just think that there was so much more out there to get in a return. And we can, like I said, we can hear the whole, well, nobody else gave an offer. Well, I think that's on you at that point to be like, hey, this guy could be traded. This send me what you got. And if that's truthfully the best he got, fine. We can still ramshackle him and say it was awful. You might as well have kept Kurtz at that point, which I think we're all in favor of here. But wow, yeah, this was a tough one to swallow. And especially from a contending team standpoint, there's a little bit of like, damn, he could have went anywhere else, but he
Yeah.
went to Chad. You know what I
It,
mean? Like he could have
it
went
hurt. It hurt especially. It's on
anywhere
an even bigger
else.
microscope because of it. Like, yeah, if it was like Dana or somebody that made this trade,
I think
come
that made it
on.
worse,
Yeah.
right? That it
It
went to
wouldn't be under
Chad.
the microscope that it is.
Yeah. It would still be harshly destroyed, but I mean, the fact you gave it to the best team in the league really is just like more salt to the
Well,
wound.
and,
So,
and even so, not only that, not only everything that we just mentioned just there. If we look at Chad's team, look at how many assets he could have gotten for all of that. You're saying
yeah,
he didn't get a $1 Reed Detmers out of it?
yeah.
He didn't get let's see here, a $5 Gavin Williams would have been nice, $20 Chase Burns, an $18 injured O'Neill
Yeah.
Cruz,
I
a
mean, honestly,
$2.
like I'm not even saying this is enough, but O'Neill Cruz and Reed Detmers as a return for
Mhm.
Nick Kurtz would have been
Yeah.
better. And I still
Yeah.
don't think that's enough.
Yeah, you have a $2 Jordan Lawler, you have a $5 Dalen Lyle, would have been
Yep.
nice. $13 Jack Caglione, you take swing
Something.
on upside.
Something.
A $4 McGonigal
Carlson's even
for
put
the
up solid
Detroit,
numbers.
the Tigers fan didn't get McGonigal back.
Right.
The $4,
And
McGonigal.
and to be fair to Chad, they probably weren't available. And that was Chad's sticking point was he said in trade talks, I'm not
Okay,
really
then
trying to
Nick Kurtz isn't available then.
exactly. Exactly. Because I know Chad said I'm not taking away anything that's helping my team. How the fuck did you get Nick Kurtz in the
Yeah.
return? Like I don't get it.
Yes. It
Oh
doesn't
man.
it doesn't make any sense. And so not only do we have to suffer through all this Chad getting to boast about, hey, have we ever had a 130 point roto guy ever before?
Yeah.
Is this the greatest team of all time?
Thanks,
But now we look
Jordan.
at this fucking roster and it's still full of A contracts of being built for the next three
Yep.
fucking years.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, we're a little pissed, Jordan. We're not
Yep.
happy about it. And it's
Not
not
happy.
just because like it's
You
Chad.
deserve
Like
last
that was
place.
the last thing we said was that it happened to be Chad. It was that you didn't get any of these pieces that you could have gotten. Like
Right.
even putting a guy like Dylan Lyle in there would have made me feel a little bit better about it.
100%. Yeah. And that's my thing too, is some of these teams that point on blank suck. I've looked at some of them. Some of them, truthfully, like just don't really have much they can like offer up. I mean, they just don't. Some of them are that bad of rosters,
Yeah.
and it's like one of those things where it's like, Jordan, you clearly need superstars next year. I don't care that, yeah, Nick Kurtz might be $42. That's fine. You're not keeping Turner at 33. You're not keeping. You could have went into the offseason with so much money. You needed a base, and now you literally have literally zero superstars on your roster right now.
Mhm.
You're starting from essentially scratch. So I don't know.
I don't know
It's
if a single one of those players is going to be a keeper next year, and they probably will be. I mean, you're going to keep Burns. He could have a
yeah.
9 ERA.
You're going to give the shot. Yeah.
You're going to keep him at this point,
Yeah.
whether it's worth it or is not.
And
The
if
water,
Suzuki
you're
ends
probably
up
going to
with
feel like you have to keep regardless of what he does the rest of the year. But
And if
like
Suzuki ends up with 30 and 90 at the end of the year, sure, 27, but that's really at that kind of mark. We've said this in the draft
we're
show.
over halfway through the year. Is he going to hit
Yeah.
20 home runs from this point out?
He did miss a little bit in the beginning of the year too, I remember. But yeah, yeah, but it's tough. I agree with you. Some of them might not even end up being keepers. It was rough. So overall, not good for Jordan. But just real quick, looking at the future though, speaking of all the A's he does have, I will say this. Next year, I know we're implementing the D thing, so there's going to be less superstars like Skeens won't be in there, stuff like that. But at the same time, he does have a lot of cheap guys. Wilbur Abreu, and again, not all these guys are putting together fantastic seasons, but you're keeping Jordan Walker, you're keeping DeLauder at $1, you're keeping Wilbur Abreu at 5. You honestly, with the season he's having, you're keeping Luis Garcia at $1. Francisco Alvarez has been okay at $1. You do have a lot of these guys where you can literally almost go into next season. Bradish, we'll see, he's averaging more than a strikeout an inning.
How about Luis Garcia, 59 RBIs?
I know, look at that, and the home runs too. You know, the home. I mean, the RBI, the
He
home
was
runs
high
are
on him
pretty.
last year and he didn't perform, so I'm glad he got him back for $1 this year
Yeah.
and didn't lose his faith.
But he's at a spot where he probably honestly has 9 to 10 guys I would just keep. And there's your base of kind of your depth and like, hey, here's my stuff. So he does have, honestly, I would say about 9 or 10 keepers, and they are all cheap, which is good. So Jordan should go into next year with almost an entirely clean slate. And some teams, mind you, go into the draft with like 5 keepers. So the
Hmm.
fact that I can at least point to like 8 or 9 guys he should keep, they're all cheap. He should go into next year with an absolutely insane amount of money to kind of reset this thing. So it's not like the next year looks horribly murky. But again, this team you'd still have a ton of money if you had Nick Kurtz, I guess is my point.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. And then at least you have an offensive piece you're building around that fits
Exactly.
fills all 5 categories and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see if he can kind of parse out, Riley or Turner if anybody wants some of those guys that thinks they can
Those are
turn
the
it
guys
around.
you need to combine, right? Two guys,
Yeah,
superstar caliber
yeah,
that are underperforming.
yeah,
Hey, Peter, I'll give you Riley and Turner. Send me back like a serviceable keeper. Because
yeah,
again, you're not going to get a nasty keeper for Turner and Riley, right? Those
yeah.
are the guys you package together to a contending team where the contending team goes, huh, even though they haven't been great, I'm not going to turn that down. Those are the trades you got to start making.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, getting some kind of pieces back for the guys that you're not going to keep, any of the other C or D contracts and stuff. Like, and that's the ones you trade Waldrop for. When it's nobody
Yep.
wants Austin Riley, and then at the last minute you say, all right, Waldrop for Riley. Like I'm not getting anything else. Like that's what you do, at the end for guys like that. So, a little bit puzzling there. It just seemed like I said, negligent because it just seemed like. Yeah, sure. Why not? Like, I don't want to have to go through, trying to piece all these guys out for different guys. Like, I'll
Yep.
just package them all together
White
for,
flag.
yeah,
No
go
surrender
for it next
terms,
year.
white flag, unconditional surrender. You tell me what to do. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. But then I don't know. I don't see it. We might be wrong about some of these guys. Maybe Burns gets back to, maybe most of what he was before. And even if he's, a 3.2 ERA guy for whatever else, and you get 3 years of that, sure, fine, whatever. Or 2 years of that, I don't know if he's going to be a D contract worthy guy or what. But I just don't see this being one where it's like, yeah, we were really wrong on that.
No.
Those 5 guys really were all excellent. And it's
Right.
just like,
We've had some bad trades in the league, and that probably enters close to the Mount Rushmore. I mean that might be close.
yeah. So. All right. So, yeah, we'll see kind of what he can kind of turn some of these last guys. We'll see if he can turn these last guys into anything, but hopefully, like I said, I don't want him to be like gun shy now because it's
Right.
the harsh criticism, and I don't
But
think
at the
he
same
would be.
time,
He's not going to back down.
there's not much left. Get something for Turner or Riley while you can. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Tyler's.
Tyler, so our next team next in the standings is gonna be Team T-Pain sitting here at 5-69. Nice. 69 losses on the year. Has made a couple deals. Should we go over his trades first?
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, I'm for the most part, I've been pretty. I know we talked a little bit pre-show about like who's done good for trades. As bad as Tyler's team's been, I don't think he's gotten like fucked over in any trades. I think his team
I don't
came in.
love it.
Yeah, I think his team came in as one of the worst teams. I said Tyler's one of the worst teams in the league. His team's not going to be
Shout out for
good.
Tyler for keeping the lights on. I guess we should always disclaimer
Yep.
that before
Always
we
that.
tear his team apart. To
Exactly.
have mercy, I guess, a little bit for Tyler.
But a lot of these trades going back, and obviously I went back to some of these like from before, but looking at some of the trades he's made since he knows he's been out of it, like being able to get looking at the screen. Sorry.
Which one are you looking at? Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I should have it up on mine too. But we kind of talked about this a little bit. Getting Trout or getting Hunter Green and Julio Rodriguez Not bad. Are you keeping Julio Rodriguez at that price? Probably not, but we're going to get to another trade of that later. But honestly, the trade with Dexter is really the one I wanted to highlight. I think this
Mhm.
was really a trade that benefited both. The only knock I'll give on Tyler, now I forget, for D contracts, is it one per team or is it as many as you want? I
I
can't
think it's as
remember.
many as you want.
Yeah. Here's the thing I worry about with Dex. Pete Crow Armstrong's probably is a for sure D contract candidate, and that's
Yeah.
the only thing that gives me pause on this trade.
Mhm.
But I will say this: Nolan McLean and C.J. Abrams are both great pickups. McLean's got
Mhm.
nasty stuff. I really do think he's going to be a very good keeper. I think he's $20. I think he was gotten
Yeah.
for great strikeout pitcher. I like that.
Mhm.
Getting C.J. Abrams, probably one of the most underrated players in the league with what he's able to produce. I really like the return he was able to get. He wasn't keeping Rodriguez despite how great of a season he's having, he can't keep him. He wasn't keeping McClanahan. He wasn't keeping Olson.
Mhm.
PCA's probably the D contract extension. But honestly, for what Tyler needed and got, I don't hate what he got in that deal.
If that's where we're gonna start,
We can start anywhere. I can look at any of his trades. Yeah.
I didn't love it as much as you did. And like what I will say is I do like if you're gonna make a trade like this, I do like looking and getting back like a piece that you know you're gonna keep. And like so it's just like, hey, this is my A chip here that I just know I'm getting back. And if you're looking at is that CJ Abrams, then fine. Here's the problem is that CJ Abrams basically like has been the same guy pretty much every year, where it's
Oh,
like
he's getting better.
he's gonna hit about 20 home runs, he's gonna steal about 30 bases, and that's basically what he's done pretty much every year. And he got off to an absolutely blistering start. But are you saying in year seven he's all of a sudden going to be on like a he's a new man? He's got a big power surge
I
here
mean, he
and
kind
all
of
this and
is,
that.
you
But
know?
then, like, if we look like over the last month, he's got, 6 home runs. I guess he hit three last week. So I guess he has kind of maintained a little bit because he was starting to slow down a little bit there. So I
Yeah.
guess if he hadn't hit those three last week, because that was because something I was kind of looking off of, but only 265 OBP, over that time, where it's just like, I just don't think that CJ Abrams is just all of a sudden like a 35 homer guy.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
I
But
think
even
like
still,
this year
a
he's probably
20
going to
30
finish at
guy.
maybe 25, 26, I would imagine, somewhere in that range with the steals, which are actually down. He might only steal 25 bases this year. So the power's going up, the steals are going down. Not the great, it's been a poor OBP guy. And so on the year, 355, but as I just said, he's only got a 265 OBP over the last month,
Yeah.
despite still
We got
hitting
to
the
stop
home
doing the
runs.
last 30 days, though. We got to stop
Um,
doing that. We're
but
half
all
a
I'm saying
season
is
in.
that like you're calling CJ Abrams a new man, a completely new guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got 6 years of track record of him being like pretty good. And
He's
then
been a
and then
full-time guy for
and then
three
the last
years.
month he's actually basically been the same guy he's been all along, which is a poor OBP guy who flashes
Disagree.
a little bit of power and some speed. And at the price where he is, what Abrams is
Great
$17.
price for what he's giving you. Great price.
I think it's fine. I think but it's not like a great overwhelming deal. Keep in mind, he gave up a ton in this deal. Like he gave up
Yeah,
more in
oh
this
yeah.
deal than Jordan gave up in his because he gave up PCA, who was a top six, eight outfielder in the league. Matt
To be
Olson,
fair
who's
though,
but
when this was made on May 30th, PCA was not doing great.
yeah, and McClanahan was pitching better than his numbers look as well, and he's kind of been not the best. And Eduardo Rodriguez, who was been
Nasty.
yeah,
He's been
absolutely
nasty.
filthy. Like he gave up a ton in this deal, and it's again where you have it's you're packaging together four really nice, desirable
Yeah.
pieces. You'd have people would like to have McClanahan, people would like to have PCA, Olson, Rodriguez. People would be lined up to get those guys, and then you're kind of piecing them out. You got an $11 Justin Steele who is not going to pitch at all this year. So you're going to keep him for 11 and go,
Yeah. At
hopefully
this
he's
point,
something.
probably not.
McLean, who is $20, but he throws hard. You hope he stays healthy. Pitchers are less likely to stay healthy. I'm not going to wish injury on him, but sometimes pitchers get hurt. So it's not like getting like a hitter where you're less likely to lose him for like a year for like an arms. One injury isn't going to keep a batter out for a year. One injury is going to keep a pitcher out for a year, and they're most likely to get hurt. And then Abrams, who I think is he's not a 30-40 guy. I think he's like a 25 home run guy, 25, 30 steal guy is what
And
kind
that's
of
all
what he
right at
would
that
be.
price.
And at $17, like it's fine, but it's
Really
it's another
good.
one of those where it's just like you like it a lot more than I do. I'm just like, okay, for $17, like yeah, okay. Like that's not that far off from like Dansby Swanson numbers. More
Oh,
steals, but like
now it's not. Now
yeah,
it's
now it's
not.
not. Yeah. So I didn't love it just for the amount that you're giving up, not getting back like enough. But like you're not going to get a lot of guys that are giving you their ultimate prized assets without a haul back. But this is a quite the haul. So
Yeah, I mean,
um,
and I see your point too. You are giving up a lot, but at the same time, I do think Tyler has done a pretty good job of getting some keepers. I know he might have not been full sell at that point, but even like that May 4th trade, Low, Burger, and Jung, he wasn't selling on May 4th. So looking
mhm.
at this trade as like him selling, we can't do that. But at the same time, who is the most valuable keeper in this trade? It's
Bryce
Bryce
Miller
Miller.
was great.
It's
Well,
Bryce Miller. So
we did not know Bryce Miller was going to turn a new leaf. I mean, the
no,
last
no, we
time we
didn't.
had
But
seen Bryce, the last time Bryce Miller had pitched, he had a 5.68 ERA and a 1.4 whip. So
right,
when he was injured, we weren't looking at Bryce Miller as being like a really good keeper asset. But now that he's pitched 7 games, well,
yeah,
technically 8, and we're like, oh, he's got a under 2 ERA and he's striking
he's
out a
killing it.
bunch. Now we're like, oh, this is an incredible asset. But that's
But
not
Bryce
what this
Miller's
was at the
been
time.
But
It's a
Bryce
nice
Miller's
pickup.
been more good than he's been bad in his career. And I guess
Mhm.
my point is, again, the thing that this is Lowe's going to help Bryce. Lowe's had a great year. Berger's been a decent hitter. Jung's been a
Mhm.
decent hitter. So when we look at this from Bryce's perspective, I think this was a good trade for Bryce. When we
Yeah.
look at it from Tyler's perspective of because right now we're looking at it as a next year thing, he probably got the best keeper in the deal in Bryce Miller. So I kind of
Yeah.
again I think Tyler from his perspective did well here.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's fine. And Will Warren has been pretty not bad all year. I mean, the overall numbers aren't going to be great, but he's been
solid,
pretty
more than a
usable.
strikeout
And
an inning.
Martinez has been good in spurts as well,
Yeah, some
showing some
power, some
improvement.
steals, but
Kind of been like a
from
Tony
Tyler's
Kemp type
perspective
guy.
of where he's at, he can at least say, "I got a keeper out of this," and Bryce
Yeah,
Miller, while giving up three guys that just aren't. I think Berger,
yeah,
Lowe, and Jung are all C contracts. I think I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah,
so
yeah, they are.
from that sense, I like it. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, and a lot of these guys have kind of been on Bryce's bench for a lot of the big chunk of the year. Berger's kind of been in and out of his lineup, and Young has been kind of in and out of his lineup
yeah.
too. So I don't know about that. So we'll kind of get up to now this one's kind of a hard one to make sense of because there's so many big names here. But what'd you make of him giving up Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, and Ranger Suarez for Julio Rodriguez and Hunter Green?
Again, this is kind of hard to look at right now just because Hunter Green hasn't done anything yet. But again,
Yeah, that's what
I'll
makes it
say
hard.
it. I think Ranger Suarez is a C, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So I don't think
Yep.
he's keepable unless again you're throwing a $20 extension on him, which I don't think people are. So again, if this is Tyler kind of selling, I'll say it. Who's probably the best keeper in this deal? I know he's got that big red flag next to him, but when Hunter Green's on the mound, the dude's a top five strikeout pitcher in baseball. And again, we saw what pitching was kind of going for, what needs to be. If he comes in, I don't know when he's expected to come back. July, mid-July, and Hunter Green looks like Hunter Green. I'm subject to say that Tyler probably got what he needed out of this deal. He
Although
got another
Rainier
keeper.
Suarez is actually for for he'll only be $28 if you want to
Really?
put D on him
That's what I'm
next
saying. I
year.
know he's been
He's actually
solid.
got some decent numbers.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it kind of comes down to that. Is the $20 on Suarez better than the 100? We'll see. But overall, again, I don't hate this, but at the same time, what is he really giving up? Because Mookie Betts is not a keeper. Mike
If I'm a
Trout, as good
contender,
as
I'd want Hunter
exactly.
Green. You see if you can kind of reflip Hunter Green there into something.
Right, and he does reflip Julio. So obviously,
Mhm.
we're going to look at that trade in a second. So again, I don't think this trade really hurt Tyler, and I don't think
No,
it's majorly benefited him yet, if that makes sense. I know
yeah,
there's a
because I
weirdly
mean,
enough, if we would have looked at this trade at the beginning of the year with all these are all like
yeah,
big fucking
yeah,
names.
yeah,
To sit here
exactly.
and say like this trade really hasn't like meant anything is kind of crazy.
Trout was healthy when he made this deal, right?
Yeah, and Trout's had a
Um,
good year. And I've
yeah,
even said this, if Trout plays 140 games, which he's not going to, if he plays 130, 125 games, he's probably honestly worth it with the numbers he's put up.
Buxton
But again,
theory.
is he? Is he going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pull in the L. Buxton theory, and their replacement stats there. So yeah, I mean,
Right.
I certainly don't think it hurt. I mean, Julio's the best player in the deal, and Hunter Green might be the best like keeper of the deal. So
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to like it, and especially if this was the key that turned some of the next trade, if you like it.
Exactly. Yep.
Turning Dingler into Donovan, that's fine. I mean, that was Donovan a $4 A or something like
Exactly.
that.
And I think honestly, if he
But
turns it and has a keeper season, you're giving up a waiver wire pickup for a
yeah,
keeper.
waiver
You know, it's
wire
like, okay.
catcher pickup is fine for that. So I mean, I
Yeah.
don't love Donovan, but like this is a fine deal. I don't really bother because
Yeah.
they end up flipping that and being a key cog in the deal with Bryce, where he gives up Hunter Brown, Julio, Brendan Donovan, Foster
Love
Griffin,
it.
and Jake Latz for Akamoto, Wheeler, Soderstrom, Killian,
Oh,
and yeah, for those four.
and this is what I mean. I think Tyler's done it. And again, I actually, when we get to Bryce's perspective, I love this move from Bryce for an all-in move too, because I really think the difference in this trade, Hunter Brown might really be the only keeper he's getting on his side, maybe Donovan. Because again, you're not keeping 50. Really, the difference I think in this trade was Griffin and Latz, because both of them are actually performing really, really well, but they're not keepable. So this was Bryce's way of saying like, hey, If I'm going for it, I need to win this year. I'm giving up very solid keepers to do so. I need Griffin and Latz in there as well. I get the superstardom in Rodriguez and Brown. This was really an all-in move for Bryce. And at the same time, Tyler got, I think, all keepers back, except maybe Killian, right? I don't, he's whatever. But
Yeah.
Okamoto, keeper. Zach Wheeler's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't care if he's retiring as a being, he's going to pitch next year. Nasty. And Soderstrom's been really fucking good. So I really think Tyler's done a good job despite how bad his team's been. If we looked at his roster, he's probably got close to 12 keepers.
Hmm. Uh, let's see here. Um, uh, oh, no, it's actually after next season, looks like. So I think
Yeah,
that's
he's retiring
after.
after next season. He's not
Oh,
retiring
okay.
after this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that, yeah, that makes me
Huge.
feel better about it. Because yeah, I look at this and I think of all the trades, it's probably like the best. I'm still not loving it for the seller. Granted, like I think even though I wish all these sellers would get more, but I'm also, as we're going to parse through these teams, I'm not really sure what more looks like other than just getting more from Chad. I wish we would have made it more harder on Chad to make his team better,
Yeah.
more importantly, but um I don't really, I'm not going to say I like it's an A plus or anything like that because it's another trade where it's just like Hunter Brown, solid pitcher who just showed he can go 6 innings. I was worried because he threw 3 innings in the previous start, then threw six last week. Julio Rodriguez, obviously superstar, first round kind of caliber player. Donovan, okay. Foster Griffin, who's been pretty damn good, obviously with a 2.9 ERA and a 1.03 WHIP. Just been lights out for even the last month plus, where over the last 30 days, 1.1 ERA and a point 0.7 WHIP in his last 30 days there. And Latz, who's been the closer for Texas for a minute, good numbers on the year, 18 saves. He's been great. So he's getting back like four guys that are going straight into his lineup, and then Brendan
Yes.
Donovan he can decide
Big.
later. Um, I don't know why Killian is in this deal. It
Who
just like
knows?
it kind of cancels out with the Jacob Latz because he's the closer for San Francisco. Granted, he's not been that great. Latz has been better. I don't really know why Tyler wanted him back. Soderstrom's been bad, despite he's only going to be a
Bad's
$7
not a,
player
hasn't been
next
bad.
year. So he's left a little bit to be desired there. So yeah, I guess not too bad there. We and Akamoto, he's what $18, something like that,
Yeah.
who's providing, some power, 19 homers, 54 RBIs. You're going to keep that. Not like an overwhelming bargain by any means. He's maybe like a $26 player you have for 18. So it's just
But these
like,
are the guys you need to
okay.
start building some type of core,
Um,
you know?
and getting Wheeler, if he doesn't retire after this year, if it actually is next year, if he had retired after this year, I would have really hated it more. But if
Yes.
you're getting
Agreed.
1 year out of Wheeler, then I like it a little bit more. So
And that's why I
I
said
think it kind of levels it out.
looking at Tyler's rotation from a future perspective. I mean, when you have Zach Wheeler, Bryce Miller, Nolan McLean, and Hunter Green, granted we need to see Green come back, but all indications are like he's 26 years old. He's right in his
Mhm.
prime. If you're telling me Green, McLean, Miller, and Wheeler is your four heading into next year, I think that's a pretty damn good rotation. Like that's a very good base for Tyler to build off of, in my opinion.
Justin Steele is your five.
Yeah. And even I know I'm gonna say it. Amai's been looking pretty good his last couple starts. I don't know if he's gonna quite turn that around, but it's
Yeah.
been pretty bad so far. But even without him, those four is a very, very solid base, I believe, to
Mhm.
kind of start a rotation. So I think Tyler's done a pretty good job of, despite how bad his team's been, like doing a good job of kind of reloading and retooling a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm kind of turning a new leaf because I on the Wheeler thing because yeah, he's been so damn good, and for having for yeah, $16 is pretty
Yeah.
fantastic. So I'll give him a little bit of credit there. So solid, but it's still, there's still a lot he gave up there. Still a lot he gave up there, but you have to give up a lot to get a guy like
Yeah.
Wheeler. So at that bargain, and Akamoto wasn't easy too for Bryce to give up. So I could see this actually going south for Bryce because he could probably use a guy like Wheeler and Nakamoto. He needs those home runs and RBIs, looking at some of the that Bryce needs, but he's going to fill those with Julio
Yes.
and maybe Donovan. So his offense might actually end up getting worse. Giving up Soderstrom and Nakamoto for Julio might actually end up just being a
Yeah.
wash.
It could be.
So yeah, not too bad there. All right, so we're looking at where we're at with Tyler. So you kind of like where his rotation is.
Yeah.
He's got some kind of keeper hitters here. He's the cupboard's starting to kind of empty out. There's really not really much left he has to really move. He's his kind of work done here.
I think for the
Maybe
most part,
Green.
yeah. I mean, I think you could trade like a again, this is where you can kind of some package some guys. I don't know even know if Canzone's like a full-time starter in Seattle or if he's kind of been, but those are like solid number. If you can package like two or three of these Ds together, or if you did have to throw in one of your maybe keepers to like upgrade somewhere, you can. But
Mhm.
I would largely say yes. For the most part, I do think he's done trading. There's not many pieces left here to really pry from. But again, like I said, he's going to need bats come next season because Muncy and Abrams and Okamoto can't lead you. But if your rotation's already, I would argue four deep, and really think about it, who does he have that's expensive on his team? And this is where we always say
Yeah, not
teams need
much.
to draft well because we just talked about how Jordan's going to have a shit ton of money. Tyler's shaping up to have a shit ton of money. He has nobody on his team except for Hunter Green over $20. So he
Yeah.
should head into next year with a shit ton of money and be able to kind of reset the board a
Yeah,
little.
but so a lot of his keepers are like in the teens though. So you say
Even
over 20,
still,
but he's also got Okamoto for 18,
yeah,
Abrams for 17, McLean for 20, Wheeler for 16. So he's
he'll
not going to
still
have
have
quite as
200
much as
bucks.
Jordan, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even I had all those $40 keepers and I still went into the draft with like $150. So,
Mhm.
I mean, Jordan and Tyler should still have lots of money to play with next year. And again, I've always said this. It's always better to go in with more keepers than less. You don't want to be that team that has $220 available but only has four keepers. You
Mhm.
really want to try to go into that draft with seven, eight, nine, as close as you can to 12, so you don't handcuff yourself come draft time. And I think, like I said, I think Tyler's done an admirable job of getting those pieces.
Yeah. If I were selling, I would try and target some of the injured guys would be always my perspective whenever I'm kind of looking at something like that, just because I'm just like waiting for like if Sal Stewart goes and like needs knee surgery or sh like an oblique and it's like Sal Stewart's gonna be out 2 months. That's the piece that I'm be going after or something like that with
I'd maybe be trading to Max Muncy if I was him because like he's 37 next year. Yeah, I see the A next to him, and yeah, he's a keeper.
Yeah.
But at that, like, how much more playing time? How much great? So I think Max Muncy's maybe one you could trade to a contending team if you're Tyler. But
I wouldn't keep Max Muncy at the
yeah,
contract because I think he's underperformed what you've probably wanted out of him at this point.
I don't know, man. I mean, he's it's still really solid numbers.
Turned it on a little
RBI,
bit lately. The RBIs have been shocking, but it's because he
yeah,
doesn't play every day. But it's weird because you look at seasons prior, and it's kind of been the same thing where it's like he's never really played every day, but seasons prior he's had the kind of 100 RBI type seasons, and so it's kind of weird that he's only got 37 RBIs on the year. But I guess it's been a while since he's really been a big run producer. So it's 2023. He had 105 RBIs. It was only 100 RBI season. He's just battled some injuries the last couple seasons, so I don't know. It's kind of not a guy
yeah,
you can really rely on. So, starting to kind of freeze up a little bit here. So, uh, we got this. Come on, you can do it.
yeah.
Alrighty.
We know Tyler's out of it. We know he's
Mhm.
not contending anymore. But like I said, I think he's done a better job than Jordan of at least looking ahead.
Yeah. And I mean, you can always still be open to whatever other deals present themselves, even if it means
Yep.
trading your A players for better players, like or
Yeah.
for better, A contracts and stuff like that.
Agreed.
So. I think it'll all work out. Alrighty, so our next team here. Now, this is going to be our first team that's maybe kind of on the brink. So those two are really the only two where we like can look at them and be like they are out of it.
Out of it. Yeah.
So our next lowest head-to-head team is Phil. So not only has it been like a tough head-to-head season for Phil, but he's also not really that high in roto. He's kind of hanging on. He's got 63 roto points. He's really kind of fallen off actually. I thought he was a
Yeah.
little bit higher in roto, so I think the last couple of weeks have been really kind of
Rough
not
one.
not favor not very favorable for him. So looking at his team here, it seems like the offseason moves have really done him in. And it's
Yeah.
not news to him. It's we talked about it over the phone the other day, where it's just like every move he made this offseason, whether it's Bregman and Valdez, and then it was I think he acquired from Chad. God, I wish Chad would have kept fucking
Mhm.
Kyle Tucker. That was a
Yeah.
big one too. That really fucked him over.
Oh,
If
that
he,
was huge trajectory change. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
100%.
So
And Kyle and Tyler Chad even said I would have kept Tucker because of the
mhm.
lineup he was in. And me and you even
Yep.
talked about that pre-draft. It's like I probably don't keep Tucker at 51, but because he's in the Dodgers lineup, it's hard not to. And
Yep.
then everyone's looking at that now like, oh fuck, man, like what an awful keeper that was at
Mhm.
$51. You
Yeah.
know? That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, luckily he got Joe Ryan in that deal, who's been good, but
Yeah.
he gave up O'Neal Cruz and Randy Rosarena, who have been okay. Randy's not providing the power, but the speed, and O'Neal Cruz has been got thrown back, but has
And yeah,
been
O'Neal Cruz
been
wasn't a
great.
keeper.
So
Yep.
Really, that trade kind of actually didn't go Chad's way at all. Well, kind of did, kind of didn't. It's like
Yeah.
you got rid of Joe Ryan, which he's been good. You got rid of Tucker, who he's been a cancer to your
It probably
team.
helped him knowing he didn't have to keep that
Yeah,
salary. Because if he would have had to keep the Tucker salary, so overall, I'd probably look at that as a win trade for
yeah,
Chad just because he got out of that in a
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And he wouldn't have had the money to go get O'Neal Cruz and a
Yep.
bunch of the other
Exactly.
players that he ended up kind of getting away with. So anyway, back to Phil here. He's made a couple deals that have not gone his favor. Then not
Woo.
only the one from the offseason, but he gave away Hunter Goodman. Would he be helping his team right now? If we look back at he started the year, he gave up Fernando Tatis and got Shohei. How about that? Shohei the
Yeah.
pitcher. That's
Yep.
a
That was
massive
big.
win there.
Yep.
Gave up Turang and Caballero. Oof. And
Yeah.
got back
That's the one we talked about with Spelly. Yeah. That one was
O'Neal
rough.
Cruz,
Yeah.
Polanco, and Ozuna. That was bad,
Yeah.
real
Bad.
bad. His team, Phil's team could look a lot
To think
different
he
now.
only kept Polanco in that deal,
Hmm.
so
And he's
yeah.
been bad. And Turang has been awesome, and Caballero has been even more awesome for his price. I don't know if he was kept, if he was thrown back, and I think Caballero
I think he was kept.
was he kept? Transaction. Nope, he was drafted for $3.
Oh, was
He
he?
was, he
Okay.
was thrown back.
So
Yep.
even
So
still, a Terang for Polanco, that's an easy win for
yeah.
play there.
So then he gave up Max Fried, who's been hurt but good when healthy. And then really the guys that he ended up keeping with Valdez,
Yep.
Bregman. He threw back Doyle and Seager. But by
Kind of
keeping
the
Valdez and Bregman, that tied up a lot of salary and guys
Yep.
that certainly did not help his team at all this year.
Yeah, kind of the same thing with the Chad argument with Kyle Tucker. If you don't have Bregman, if you don't have Valdez, you probably save $70, and that probably
Mhm.
goes somewhere better in the team. Yeah.
Yeah. And then to Joe Ryan and Tucker, you almost wish you just didn't keep Tucker. And if it was just Joe Ryan and giving up Cruz and Rosarena, you can live with
Sure.
it. But yeah, but he's gonna spend the money. He could have spent the money on a bunch of guys that ended up would have busting his team anyway,
Yeah.
with some of the injuries that we had. If it was Tatis, whether it was Judge who got hurt, a lot of guys, big names got Acuna who's gotten hurt this year. Westberg for Vientos was a wash. He gave up Evaldi for Story. Yeah, that one
Story's,
hurts.
story's been awful too, and
And
You've
Eovaldi's
always
just
been
been
solid.
nails.
Yeah, enough where you wouldn't have wanted to do that. Yeah. So again, just those small ones really hurt a lot. They come
Yep.
back to bite you. Even Langeliers has been a good one for him because
Yeah.
Garcia's not really done much. Langeliers has
Cool.
been a lot better. So that's
Yeah.
that's one he's got.
Yeah. I did not see this season coming from Garcia. I was high on 3 homers, 5 steals. Holy cow, that's been
Yeah,
bad.
he's been awful.
Yikes. I didn't know it was that bad.
Langeliers has been good.
It's crazy that Chad's overcome some actually real bad trades with
Yeah,
Phil here to still be where he's at. And Langeliers has been incredible. Oh, not as incredible as Hunter Goodman, but 19 home runs, 43 RBIs.
still very good.
Actually, it's really only like one category here. It's the 19 homers. There's really not a
We
whole
gotta
lot
stop
else.
that. 50 runs in 78 games. He's on pace for 90 plus runs. That's a plus category.
Yeah, on pace for 90 for a catcher. Yeah, if we quantify it
Yeah.
for a catcher. And then you giving away Hunter Goodman early and Yates for Riley Green. Ouch.
Yeah.
Oucharoo there. Riley Green's been pretty bad. 11 homers, 38 RBIs.
Dude, stop. How
What?
is that? He's not been bad. He's got an elite OBP. He's on pace for 20 bombs and seven. I mean, it's not like some pop off numbers, but we can't say he's been bad.
He's been
Like,
bad.
come on. No, he's
Has he been
not.
worth the $25 salary?
He's probably right around worth a $25 salary. Yeah.
He's a guy that doesn't steal bases and he doesn't
Yeah.
hit home runs.
Uh,
But he's good. Yeah.
he probably
Go
still
get Luis
finishes with
Arias if you
25.
want a dozen home runs and no
Oh, man.
steals.
I don't know. You're not starting him in your lineup.
Yeah, but then that's why he's in the position he's in because he's
Uh,
not a good
I
run
don't know.
scorer. He's not a good RBI producer. He's not hitting enough home runs for a guy that doesn't steal bases. He's a one category producer
Oh, man.
for
I don't know.
$26, whatever. He's a
I'm not saying
$30
he's
player.
been worth like the entirety of the money, but I'm just saying like he's not
25.
bad.
He's bad. I stand
No.
by it. Hunter Goodman at the catching position is blowing him out of the water.
Well, yeah.
With counting stats and all, and every category but OBP. And so yeah, I've said that one hurt. Giving up Santander and Kirby, getting back
This is
Weathers
kind
and
of a wash
Cabrera.
because whether Santander and Cabrera, nothing, and Kirby and Weathers have kind of put together similar-ish campaigns. Kirby's been fine. Weathers has been fine. So to me, this is kind of a wash.
Yeah, I mean Kirby and Weathers are kind of it's about the same production. Weathers got a better contract than Kirby does,
Right.
but Santander is probably still on the best. So yeah, it's kind of a wash there. Soroka for Adames.
Again, kind of
Soroka
same
got
thing.
hurt quickly
Soroka
after.
was pitching really well until
Yeah.
that happened. Adames has been kind of awful this year.
Mhm. Yeah, Palencia for early. I didn't mind it. This is
Probably,
before
I
early
looked
got
at this
hurt.
one earlier. Probably a keeper for a keeper, right? Palencia,
Yeah.
as long as he keeps the save spot. Early looked pretty solid in his time starting. So again,
I
decent
actually
little
thought
one for
Palencia
one.
was a C player, so I actually don't really love it to actually have the closer for ten
Yeah,
dollars.
you'd want to feel a little
Um,
safer with that, right? Yeah, that's kind
Yeah,
of what I was
more.
thinking too.
I've seen more out of Palencia than I've seen out of Early to be worth, keeper. So I
Right.
mean, 1.25 whip from Early to 3.4 ERA, it's fine for a dollar. You keep it, but I don't know. I still might like Palencia more. And then, how'd you feel about Tucker for Musgrove? You weren't a fan of this one.
No, not, I mean, not at all. I mean, this is a classic case of I get Kyle Tucker's been bad. I get nobody wants to put on, and some people can't put on a $50 salary. And I'm not saying that Phil needed to like ask for anything spectacular from him, but like I would have at bare minimum said, "Hey guys, I am trading Kyle Tucker. Give me, I literally I'm trading him.
I
Send
think
me
he
your
did,
best
right?
offer." I don't. I know he said he's on the block,
Yeah,
but
he said a lot of.
but there's a difference between just like outright cold bang. He's traded for Joe Musgrove, who hasn't pitched in literally two
Oh,
and a
now
half.
you're being picky about the
No,
verbiage
no,
that
no.
you
Listen,
use
listen.
to announce you're
He's
on the
not
block.
pitched. He's not pitched in 2.5 years. I can guarantee you, if Phil said I am trading Kyle Tucker by the end of the day or by the end of the week, 100%, I am trading him. He could have got back more than a guy who hasn't pitched in 2.5 years. I know Kyle Tucker's not been great, but I feel like there's teams out there, contending teams, maybe like myself, maybe like Dana, somebody that would have just given anything just to be like, I'll take the shot on Kyle Tucker. Getting a guy who has not pitched in 2.5 years, this is awful. And no, I'm not saying
One and a half years, first of all.
Phil would not have gotten some bona fide keeper. I'm not saying that, but like Dana, for example, could have given up like a. I'm trying to look at rosters right now. Like a, I'd have to look,
Yeah, yeah. It's not what you
I'm
might think
only
it is.
looking at his roster, but
Yeah.
like I would have taken a shot at something, a Spencer Steer. I would have traded straight up for
No,
Kyle
I'd rather
Tucker.
have a $6 Musgrove.
No, dude, stop that. He has not
Uh,
pitched. He's not pitched since 2023.
2024.
And how many
Right
innings
there.
did he have
19
then?
starts in 2024. One and a
Yeah,
half years. Keep saying 2.5 years.
it's
One and a
been
half
two
years.
years. It's been 2 years.
It's been 1.5 years, and if he pitches this year, it'll be 1.5 years. But that's
What's
that's
it
a big
say? Is
if.
he pitching
But
this
it's
year?
still only $6. I wish it was $1 A, not a $1 B, because it's gonna be $6 next year. But I mean, for a $6 guy who's basically been good every time he's been on a mound, for the last 5 years,
Oh
he's
man,
been good. I actually don't mind it necessarily. I wish he would have gotten a little bit more, sure, but like Kyle Tucker's also been garbage, and he's comes with a massive contract that not a lot of people can
I
fit in their
agree.
lineups. Granted, there's not a lot of teams that have made trades. There's actually not a lot of teams that are having luxury tax issues. I have plenty of luxury tax room because I haven't really made any trades to acquire salary. Um, I actually think it's probably fine. Musgrove for six
No,
dollars for next year. If he can prove that he's something by the end of the year, that'd be great.
I'm not keeping anyone who hasn't pitched in 2 years, and he just started playing catch.
Yeah, but he's got then 3 months to get on the mound still. So, and he's
Yeah, if
been a
he
good
does.
pitcher for his entire career when he's on the mound. He's
Again,
33.
I'm
He's
not
still
saying he
got
could have
plenty of good
gotten
years
anything
left.
great for Tucker. I get that it's probably going to be like a flyer, but I think there could have been much better flyers than Joe Musgrove at this point, who is what, 36 years old and
Had you
hasn't
been in
pitched
the
in 2 years.
DMs offering some of your flyers that you had, you could have had him.
Yeah,
He
I
said he
guess
said he
so.
was starting to, he sent that message before he made that deal about the guys that he was trying to move. So, uh,
Maybe.
you know,
Yeah.
it's on the rest of us. I didn't want to be the first to swipe in on Tucker because we'll get hit with heavy criticism if
Oh
he sends
God.
him to me or whatever else. So, if it
No,
was
I think
me.
there was a lot of there could have been a lot of better options than that for sure.
Yeah. So as we look at his roster now, he made that one sell move, obviously trading his best hitter for a guy that hasn't pitched in a year and a half and who isn't pitching until August. Does
Like
this
Spelly, for
team?
example, Spelly, I would have given up Carter Jensen. $4. He's had a solid season, $4.
I've
Kyle
been
Tucker.
trying to get Jensen for months and he won't give him up.
But who's to say he wouldn't have done it for Kyle fucking Tucker? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
who knows?
I don't know. Maybe.
We'd have to ask him.
Um, does this team as it's currently
Yeah.
constructed, does this team have a chance to make any head-to-head noise before this season?
No. And I think obviously he's kind of at peace with that because obviously he traded Kyle Tucker. I don't think, as bad as he's been, I don't think you just do that for Joe Musgrove if you're not 1 foot in the selling can already. So no, this team, and we said it in the beginning of the year. I said this is one of the worst teams in the league. I kind of stand by that. I did give more hope for the owner though. I think I said that in the post draft
Yeah.
show. Like, hey, I don't like the roster, but he usually makes good trades and gets in it, and it just hasn't happened this year, and that happens. But this offense just does not have enough firepower. I mean, we just gave a lot of shit to Riley Green, and outside of maybe when Brandon Marsh is probably the best hitter on your team,
Yeah.
or Shea Langeliers, then you just don't have enough firepower. So no more noise this year for him. But at the same time, and again, different than what I think Tyler's done. I'm a little worried about Phil's team moving forward because I don't see a whole lot of keepers here. I don't see a whole lot of guys that you can go in and say, "Oh, I'll keep him for $1. I'll keep him for $2." I don't think there's much here at all. So I think Phil's in a really, really interesting position right now.
Interesting or tough situation here.
Very interestingly
Um,
tough. I think he's
yeah.
going to almost have to start over outside of keeping Langoliers, outside of maybe keeping a 36-year-old Christian Walker. I mean, there's very little to go off of here. I would much rather be Tyler than Phil. We'll
I
see.
would much rather be Tyler than Phil, but Tyler also had a lot more desirable pieces because Tyler
Yeah.
had the offensive pieces that are a little bit more desirable and the pitchers that have kind of hit.
And
But
this
I
is where,
also think you're underplaying this rotation because I'm absolutely keeping Otani for $36 next year.
yeah, maybe.
And then I'm absolutely keeping Joe Ryan for 35 next year. And if my rotation starts with Otani and Joe Ryan, and then you mix in if you're Parker Messick as your three, Ryan Weathers as your four for $6 and $1, that's actually pretty darn good. I know you wax poetically about Tyler's rotation, but Tyler isn't as top heavy as that is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was actually going to go in a different direction here. If I was him, I would actually, to try to make more noise and get more keepers, I would try to package like a Joe Ryan and a Valdez together, or at least like a Valdez and something else together.
You
But I
better be
agree.
sure that you're getting something that you're going to keep though,
Yeah,
because I certainly did that would not do that for maybes. I wouldn't do that
right,
for any
exactly.
players that
If
were
you're
in the Jordan
if
trade.
you're attaching Joe Ryan, who's a keeper at 35 next year, I agree. You
Yeah.
need to be getting something for sure. But I agree where this rotation could be good next year. And we talked about Otani at length post draft. I've always said he's going to be worth it at 120 innings. He's going to be worth it at 130 innings. But we
Mhm.
do got to think we're more than halfway through the year. He's barely going to touch 150 innings. Now the numbers are there. I'm not saying
Mhm.
the numbers aren't there,
Yeah.
but if he's not pitching this elite, it's hard to keep him at 36 for me because you really aren't going to get anywhere close to 160, 170 innings. You're
Yeah.
more likely in that 130, 140 range, which again, if he's putting up those numbers, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know even want to say it's a gamble, but it's a tough call.
Yeah. Well, and it's also just kind of crazy how it's also you have that, but it's also like he's like damn near the top of the league in wins quality starts despite not having
Oh yeah.
the uh the innings total. Because it's like, oh, he's over a strikeout an inning, but it's only in 79 innings, 86. Yeah, he's leading the league in wins quality starts at
Yep.
13. So
I mean, here's what's
that
crazy,
that
dude. The
part's tough.
guy's pitched, he's literally has 13 games played, and he's
Mhm.
got 13 wins quality starts.
Yeah.
He is ice out there, man.
Yeah.
It is insane what he's
Yeah.
able to do.
So yeah, I mean, I'm keeping that at 36. Same thing with Joe Ryan at 35, and so I'm
Yeah.
fine starting my rotation that way. So I mean, he can
Yeah.
trade him if he gets a good offer, or he can stand put, and I think that's fine. So
Brandon
and
Marsh needs to get traded
love
though,
Parker
right?
Messick at one as well.
Maybe here's a better
So
example. You need to package
Connor Lee early.
A Riley Green and a Brandon Marsh to a contending team and get something back. Those are the things you got to start looking at. I think so there's still some ammunition to be had, I would say, at least.
Mhm.
Even a Willie Adames, someone has an injury at shortstop. No, he's not been great. But maybe you get the better second half of Adames. Remember, he started off awful last year and still put together 30 home runs. So
Yeah.
maybe just look at some contending teams, you still might be able to pick a few here. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how many contending teams have the assets to move like that. So I don't
Right.
know. So yeah, we'll kind of play it by ear. I'm sure he'll be active one way or the others, but I think it's gonna have to be more of a seller than a buyer because he's out in
Definitely.
Roto. I mean, he's at 60 Roto points, I believe.
Yeah.
He's way down there. And then head to head, he's down 22 wins, and there's not enough horses right now for him offensively, and he knows that that's the story. Even if the pitching is as good as it can be, it's just there's not enough horses there for him to
And he
kind of
plays
make.
Dana this week, and I mean it could be an 8+1 week for sure. So I
Mhm.
think I think Phil's firmly in next year mode. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So our next team here
this
is
is where it
going to
gets
be
interesting, right?
the Beantown
This is
Boys.
where it gets interesting. Now, before
Yeah.
we go to his team, looking at these standings, right? every team now that we're talking about is essentially within what, 8 games of a playoff spot. We have
So
exactly
right now, if we actually look, so it'd be they're in the same division, and then you and I are in the same
same
division.
division, so it's more 9 games.
So it's basically no, because it's these top six would still be the top six, right? Because
It,
since it's you and I are the top two in the other division, right?
yes,
The National.
yeah, but
So
I mean like no
I'm
matter
backing
what
up
you
you.
would get in, even if you fell essentially to like
Correct.
yes, yeah, because you're the
So
second
above the
team, yeah.
check. So yeah, so really Bryce only like 8 games back.
Right. And so all these teams we're going to be talking about coming up here, Bryce, Krim, they are all very much in it from a head-to-head perspective, and it'll be interesting. And that's why I say this is really
It's
crunch
crazy
time.
that Phil's only 9 games back, but he's
Right.
going to be more after this week.
Exactly. Yeah, because of the moves. Yeah. It's going to be really, and Phil also plays Dana this week, so that makes
Mhm.
it tough too. So Bryce is a very fascinating one, probably one of the most fascinating things we have to talk today because he has a really good roto team right now. He's been surging, but head to head wise, he's right in that same thicket of Phil, of Krim, of Justin, and all those kinds of things. Um, but the good thing is for Bryce is he does play Tyler this week. So could this be another 8-9 win week for Bryce? Although Tyler's team's kind of been holding teams in
Yep.
check lately.
Four,
So
four, five, one. Everybody.
this could be a huge week for Bryce, and it's not off to a good start hitting wise. It's
Yeah.
been brutal for him.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce is a fascinating one.
Yeah, so and Bryce has made no shortage of trades here, and a couple big ones, and so I think Bryce is from the vibes that I got, and from different rumblings in the bushes that he wanted to make a big move. He didn't want to make a small move. He didn't want to do a 2-for-1. He wanted a 4-for-4 kind of deal where he gave up assets and got a bunch back, and so he mission accomplished that with Tyler.
Yeah.
There was a similar deal actually on the table with Phil. For Bryson Field to kind of make the similar kind of move that he made here with Tyler, but there was a couple reasons why it wouldn't have made sense in that. So he turned to Tyler and kind of got this job done here. So man, there's a lot of different trades here as we go through here.
And we've kind of went over some of them, yeah. And obviously we got to do it from
You
different
want to take
perspectives.
the lead here and tell me anything that hops off the page here from these kind of moves?
Um, Looking at it again, the some of these early off-season ones are tough to look at. Again, I'm going to bring it up one more time, but like pre-draft, you're dumping salary, you're doing this. For example, he dumped Vlad as a salary. That worked good
Mhm.
for him because Vlad's not been great. I mean,
Pena
Krim
and
and Bryce,
Durbin haven't been really been good though either.
right? Krim and Bryce literally made like 4 trades this offseason,
Yeah.
and Bryce's or Page is pretty heavy. We didn't love Bryce's trades in the offseason. I remember
Mhm. We never do.
yeah, in the beginning of the offseason, we probably looked at him as like a top 3 or 4 team. I remember we had him on the post-draft show when he's like, I still like my team. I still think it's really good. And me and you were like, I don't know, man.
Mhm.
We're kind of worried about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been a mix of that,
And we
right?
had every reason to be. It was bad for the first
Yeah.
month. It was
The
real
Scooble
bad.
trade obviously has
The
been
last time
awful.
we podcasted, his team was real bad, and we were right about it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And the Scooble trade, even though Scooble's missed time, is just it's just not good. I mean, we can nitpick that all day. I know King's been fine. Butler's been awful. Riley
Mhm.
Green's been fine, but you just don't trade Tariq Scooble for that. That was really the killer
Yeah.
there. And in fact, if he had Tariq Scooble, I would feel a lot better about his chances of coming back right now than the names he does have. But overall, looking at some of these trades, I do think he's done a fine job. Like when we're looking in season, the May 4th trade, I think is honestly pretty even. Tyler needed keepers, got some here. Bryce got some really solid bats all around. We talked about that one. Jace Jung, or Josh Jung, Jake Berger, Brandon Lowe. He really like amped up. I think those all 3 of them are starting in his lineup. They're all in there. They're all contributing. I think that one was fine for him. I think that the May
I
10th trade
think
with Krim
Jung is on his bench. Berger's been on his bench for a little bit,
has he been a
back in
little
his
bit.
lineup.
Yeah. But they've been putting together solid def pieces and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think the trade May 10th with Krim's kind of a wash. Grisham and they're kind of a split, right? Grisham's been would be fine. I know he's been hurt
Mhm.
a little bit. Ozzy Albus has been solid. I'd probably give a slight edge to Krim because Albus has been playing, but really their numbers are kind of
Yeah.
similar-ish.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think both honestly are probably keepers, even still at their small price tags.
Mhm.
Um, June 15th, I have as a, or sorry, May 13th, the next one. Slight edge for Bryce. Bichette has begun to turn it around. Soderstrom's been solid. And honestly, Dana needed a catcher at the time, like badly. I know he's
Mhm.
pulled off that. We can look at William Contreras as the best player in the deal, but really, when we look at it fully, Bichette and Soderstrom have kind of turned it around to the point where this is actually looking okay for Bryce.
Yeah.
Initially,
It
not
looked a
so
lot
good.
better for Bryce. And
Yeah.
Soderstrom's not what Contreras has not been good either. 9 home runs, 50 RBIs,
Man,
47
oh,
runs. At least the counting stats are still there for
yeah,
him.
it's just
OBP has
solid.
been solid. It just
Again, for catcher,
power
Dana
drop.
needed a catcher at the time. He's got Dingler now. So again, a
Mhm.
little bit different story. And we'll look at his team later. But the
Yeah.
next trade I think was a huge, huge loss for Bryce. This was like the really big first one was Brandon Lowe, who's been amazing this year. Willie Castro's been fine. Altuve's been awful. This was really the first big, big loss, I think for Bryce, at least in season. And
This
then
one
June
was only
20.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I know. And Brandon Lowe's been really, really good. And June 28th, was like I said, that was one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen. So Bryce obviously wins there from a competitive aspect.
Disagree, but that's you.
But from a competitive aspect, I mean, it's got to be a win for him, though, right? If he's going for it. And
Hmm.
then June 29th, like I said, I know we talked about that one at length before. I think Latz and Griffin really, really make the difference there because of how good they've been. Obviously, he gave up a lot, but I actually really, from like a, if Bryce is going for it, which again, even 2 weeks ago when I did my solo pod, I was even hinting Bryce probably shouldn't go for it. I even said, like, hey, Juan Soto, like,
Yeah.
probably time to trade him. I literally
Yeah.
said that on the pod.
Yep.
He's going all in. He's going for it. Good
Yep.
for him. In terms of a going for it trade, I like the moves he made with Tyler there too. And again, roto wise, he's in it. Head to head, he's just as much in it as Krim and as Justin. So we'll see. Now, question to you: looking at his team, does he with the surge he's making and the firepower he's done? Would you have made some of these moves to like go for it essentially, or would you have kind of been a little bit more hesitant and maybe went the I'm going to actually trade Soto route? I'm going to trade this guy route.
Here's the thing. When teams kind of sell, it doesn't guarantee you anything. It gives you like a little bit of a head start on the competition, but you could give away all your assets and still, with a good draft, be relevant for the following year. And I mean, we've seen that before and anything like that. So you never fault somebody for trying to push their pieces into the table and kind of going for it because it's not like Major League Baseball where it's just like, oh, these contracts are up and now we're gonna got to restart. There's no free
Yeah.
agents or anything like that. Like it can be done, certainly. It's just a little bit harder to be done. So I think that Bryce, I give him all the credit in the world for looking at this going like my team is really performing bad right now, but I don't feel like it's a bad team. And then I did hear that every week. It's like I don't feel like my team is bad. And when he had
Yeah.
40 roto points, when he had 60 roto points, and now
That's
when
been
he's
my
at
mantra all
87
season too.
roto points,
Yeah.
literally like he's like what 6 points out of the money in roto after being like what we thought was dead in the fucking
Dead.
water. I mean,
Yeah.
2 months ago we were just like, dude, give up. Like it's
Yeah.
not happening two
Exactly.
years in a row, and here we are. So I mean, you got to give him credit for him, digging himself out of the hole there. And so yeah, I do think it's worth it because he very well might be like he could be he might be the second best team in the league right now.
Ooh. I don't know if I
And
go that high.
looking at the roster top to bottom, and he might be the favorite to be second place in Rota by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to take Chad, but I look at this roster and go, I think this is a pretty solid roster. And so it's hard when you look at the offense because you're not blown away by like the infield, but that's because you look at the outfield and it's, Julio, Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker, in
Yeah.
the outfield. And so like that's going to be obviously the probably the best, outfield in the league right now, especially considering, Aaron Judge is hurt. And I think the pitching is overall got some depth and it's been pretty solid. I mean, if you have Foster Griffin on your bench this year, that says a lot about where your pitching's actually at. So, I
Crazy,
look
crazy thought though. Like, why are we starting Helio Ramos over like Josh Jung or Spencer Torkelson at this point though? This is
I would
this is
have
where
to
people kind of
agree.
punch themselves in the face and kind of like make I just
Why
don't
are you
know.
so big on Josh Young with nine? He's played a full season, 300 at bats and only 9 home runs,
No,
32 RBIs
I
in no
totally
season.
get that, but like over Ramos, yeah. I
You
mean,
loved Ramos this offseason when
I
was it Prim
did,
traded
but
for him?
I did, and I'll fully admit that. But when we're halfway through the season at this point, like you got to go with the guys that are just playing better. And Torkelson, the numbers are there, is playing better.
Yeah.
Josh Jung
Ramos
is
almost has
playing
more
better.
more home runs per at bats than Jung
I
does.
get that, but that doesn't matter right now. I mean, like
Um,
the dude's awful right now.
I
I know I
wonder.
was high on him
I wonder
beginning of the
who's
year, but
hotter. Let's see. In the last 30 days, we got Ramos just coming off injury. Looks like only 10 at bats since getting healthy. So, and then all that. I mean, I don't know why you'd bench Altuve if you're going to trade for him. And
right.
looks like Torkelson's been 6 home runs in the last month. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense not to play Torkelson,
Yeah.
over Ramos. But I criticized him last week for benching Soderstrom, and he was right about it. Soderstrom didn't
Yeah.
do jack shit, and I figured who he played last week. But
Sure.
let's see. Last week he benched. Wait, it's previous week here. Last week he benched Soderstrom, and I think for like Willie Castro, oh, it doesn't tell me what they did for this week, but anyway, not important. But it just kind of works out. I think
Yeah.
give Price credit. He knows how to run his team. We can't tell him how to run
Yeah.
his team because it's been
And like,
working
and
for
I think
him.
the big thing for him too was getting a guy like Hunter Brown because he went out there and got an ace, and I think that was probably what he was kind of missing.
Mhm.
Like BB's been fine. Nathan Eovaldi's been fine. Drew Rasmussen's been really, really solid. Would I say he's like, should he be your number one? Probably not. So like for him to get like a Hunter Brown in that situation, kind of fresh off the injury, this and that, I think it does make his team look better. Closer wise, they might not be big names, but Brian Baker and Jake Latz have been two of the best relievers in baseball this
Yeah.
year. They've been two of the best closers this year. So when you're just straight looking at it from a this year perspective, I don't know if I want to play Bryce in a 2 week matchup where I got to get where
Mhm.
Hunter Brown gets two starts or maybe more, right? We're talking maybe three or four starts. Drew
Yeah.
Rasmussen gets three or four starts. Then you got that at the back end of the bullpen getting
I do
saves.
love that for the 2 week thing because usually like the two start
Yes.
pitchers, it's harder to load up on them.
And then like you said, even though Tucker's not been great, even though Julio Rodriguez hasn't hit like his old peaks, like if I go into a 2 week playoff matchup against Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, and Kyle Tucker, I'm like, oh shit, man. Like I don't want to see those faces
Mhm.
either. So I do think this team could make noise when it comes playoff time. I guess my thing is I don't love the team as much as you do. And my fear is it too little too late, at least from a head to head perspective of him getting in the race. I know we just
It's only
mentioned how he's
eight wins back
exactly.
with
He's
five
only
weeks
eight
to
games
go.
back, but do you trust this team to consistently win essentially seven or eight categories a week to like bridge that gap?
Well, the thing that we said is, and we never really counted him as a head-to-head team. Like we thought he was out. We thought he was in the water, and it
Yeah.
turns out to be like because nobody else has really taken off in head-to-head. We've all just kind of been mid. He's just kind of pieced, fought, and kind of worked his way back in. Now, not only is it like, oh, he's just got to be pretty good. No, I mean, he has to not only make up 8 games, but he's got to make up 8 games on six different
Yeah,
people that also are
exactly.
trying
Yeah.
to do that. So it is an uphill battle. It's he has to be really good from here on out,
But
and
listen,
not have a bad week.
Tyler this week, Phil next week, who's selling. Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you the schedule. Then he's got Dexter, tough matchup.
Hmm.
Okay. Then he's got Dana, tough matchup. That's back to back tough ones.
Hmm.
Then eight, and I know you don't love his team, but we'll get to that. And then he's got Kyle. He's got you. I
Hmm.
mean, that's arguably three of the top 4 or 5 teams in the
Yeah.
league, in my opinion. That's tough. I mean, that he's
But he
gonna really earn
could
it
be
if he does
stealing
it.
playoff spots from those might be the teams he might need to gain the spots on the most though. And
True.
if
I
his
mean,
team is actually better, which it very well might be, then we might be talking here. And
all right,
he
how
might
about
not be
this? Just
done. I
for fun.
mean,
Just for fun, let me ask you
yeah.
this then. Does Bryce make the playoffs?
Hmm. I'm gonna say yes, just because I actually think
Okay.
the team's pretty good.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think he gets through that gauntlet of Dexter, you, and Dana and just like comes out clean in that. Even if he has like some 5-5 weeks, that's not gonna help him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so to me, I think he
Well,
almost
I
needs.
think it all depends on these next 2 weeks because if he's still 7 games out after these 2 weeks, then it's going to be a no. But if he
Hey, let me
cuts it
ask.
like he's like 2.5, 3.5 back, and
Sure.
he's only like two spots, and then he can just kind of tread water and hope that other guys kind of just beat up on each other
Right.
at that point, maybe. But yeah, it's
Hearing that
yeah,
schedule though, how important is it for him to like take 8 or 9 categories against
yes,
Tyler this
it's
week?
entirely important. But it's also
Yeah.
not off the table that he could beat anybody 8-1.
Yeah. Oh,
I think
agreed. Yes.
I think he could
He's
go
got the
play
team.
Dana
Yeah.
and win 8-1-1. And then it's just
Right.
like, oh, whoa, I think this is a team that could do it. I think that the offense needs to still get better, especially the infield. But Bichette's playing better. Stott's been okay. I don't love him. First base is a little bit of a hole, but Berger's offered some power. He's streaky. Catcher hasn't been great, all things considered. But I think that there may be another trade or two here if he can kind of get busy. There's some of those kind of offensive teams from whether it's Jordan or whether it's Phil or whatever else, where if this is like a Riley Green team or if this is another player that could be active in trades, the pitching is really good, and he's still got Bubic coming back. I think Reagans is cooked for the year. I don't think he's coming back. But when you have Christian Scott, Foster
Sure.
Griffin,
Yeah.
and Urania all on the bench, but even like number for number, like look at these ERAs from these guys. Hunter Brown, a 1.7 ERA. Melton, 2.0 ERA. Latz, Baker, elite. Rasmussen, incredible. Eovaldi, 3.9 ERA. It was like the bring in his ERA and whip down. But all these sub 1 whips he's got here, like statistically is the best rotation in the league on paper right now. Now, he hasn't gotten the luxury of having all these stats throughout the year, but like if they keep doing this, I don't think they will all keep doing this well, but if they keep doing the ballpark of what they're doing right now, like this could be the best rotation from here on out.
Sure.
And obviously having the stud outfielders here, he could do a little bit more to address the infield. And kind of some of the offense, but maybe he can kind of flip, any of these other pieces. Like, if it comes down to it, you trade a $1 Willie Castro for Riley Green or something like that. Who at the deadline, if there's no other offers out there, or for like this, I mean, would be a great team for Austin Riley or Trey Turner, but I don't think he has a salary for
Sure.
those guys, so he'd have to
No,
get
and that's the thing is,
creative about it.
and that's another reason why I think that Tucker trade kind of handicapped him a little bit. Is I like the move kind of as like an all-in buy-in trade, but really he's right at the brink of that 330 salary mark, especially if he did throw like an Altuve in his lineup. That he did, unless he trades one of those big salaries, he doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room at all.
Yeah. So, but he could always three team it or something. Like he could always trade Tucker away
Sure.
for something else. Like,
Yep.
you know, there's always that. Maybe he couldn't. I've been there before. I've just tried to trade Tatis or someone last year just to
Mhm.
try and get off salary, and I couldn't do it either. So I
I
don't know.
will
Maybe,
say
maybe he
though,
could.
I know a lot of those guys aren't performing great, but from a depth perspective on his bench, it's got to be one of the better benches. I mean, again, I
Mhm.
know some of these
Yeah,
guys aren't
certainly.
performing great, but like Grisham, Altuve, Butler, these are guys you can kind
You
of
could
count
probably
on.
get a decent piece for Grisham, Pena,
Yeah.
Donovan, those
Yep.
guys as well if you traded those.
That's
Torkelson.
interesting though. If we stake on it right now, you got Bryce sneaking in, which again is more of the gamble, right?
Mhm.
That's the low odds. I got Bryce right now, not
He's been
making
the
it. I
best
don't.
team over last month. How could you not?
Yeah. I
I
don't
wouldn't
know
bet
if it.
against him.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. We'll see. I think to me it's more the schedule than anything. If
I
you would have
agree.
told me if you would have told me he was playing Krim, Jordan, Chris, Phil, I would be with
Yeah.
you. I'd say yeah, he's probably going to win 7, 8 categories a week the rest of the way. But I think the schedule makes it tough.
Mhm. All right. All right. Brief break there. So we're gonna get to our next team, which is Crim's Crew. Been almost uncharacteristically quiet on the trade front for the most part this season. Was busy this off season, but mid-season, let's see, he's made two trades since the season started. So we had the
Yeah.
Ozzy Albies for Trent Grisham, and then the one with Tyler that we already discussed too, where he acquired Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, and Rainier Suarez for Hunter Green and Julio, which I feel like these trades, Mookie hasn't been good, but he's been better lately.
Yeah.
Trout getting hurt sucks because that's what Trout does best.
Mhm.
Um, but Rainier Suarez has been pretty solid as well all throughout the year. So it kind of ends up washing out where Green hadn't really pitched up until this week. Still hasn't yet. It's going to come this weekend, so we don't really know what we're getting there. But I think kind of a wash for the most part there when it comes to the actual production level of what you kind of got in there.
Yeah, I
Um,
would say I would say too for the most part. I do like the move in terms of him, getting I guess some type of superstar value there, but um looking at looking at the trade, I would agree with you. It's pretty even
mhm.
wash there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as we look at this team here, I just realized I realized I needed to put the crock pot on like 2 hours ago and I didn't.
Oh no,
Whoopsie.
you're
I'll
uh-oh.
do that. I'll do that in a sec. So as we kind of
But
go
real quick,
through,
looking at the trades though,
yeah.
probably one of the biggest ones on the season was the day after the draft. I did want to point out probably league changing in some ways.
Oh
Trading
yeah.
away Cam Schlitter for Joe Adell. That looking on it right now, again, a trade most of us probably like blinked at. We're like, oh, okay, whatever,
Mhm.
two kind of whatever. That's huge ramifications, right?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, imagine if Krim had Schlitter and Dexter didn't. Could we look at both teams
Twitter's
being around 500 and stuff like that's crazy.
Twitter's been so good. Yeah, I mean, it could have flipped the circumstances of each team.
Yeah.
To this point of flipping places there. So, yeah,
Right.
I think of all the offseason trades, that's probably one of the bigger ones where most
That
kind of
has stood
impact,
out.
where there's kind of clear winner, clear loser. A lot of
Right.
our offseason trades just haven't really even worked out. Where it's like even the Vlad for Durbin and Pena. It's like, okay, well, one team was better because they cleared the salary,
Right.
and well, you're usually anti-clear the salary. You usually get the guy.
Yeah.
And you
And
could
at the
look at
same time, like, would his team be worse without Vlad? It would be, even though Vlad's
Mhm.
not been great. So it's kind of a catch-20. It's
Yeah.
tough. Yeah.
So you could look at a lot of trades as clear winners and losers from that. But in regards to where it's like this one, where it's like, nope, there's clearly a better player that came out of this
Yes.
than the other. Because even in the Vlad trade, like I said, Vlad hasn't been good, but neither is Durbin or Pena. So it's just kind of like
Right.
whatever. So
I think one
definitely you're gonna have
interesting
money.
one though is the Lazardo one, Rasmussen one. Again, who
That's
a
tough.
lot of these are pre-draft, so we don't know how that impacts the draft. We don't know how they would have drafted different. But a world where he had Lazardo and Rasmussen in his rotation right now is definitely a better world than Raggins and Green. And I think that one's kind of an interesting one to look back on too. But yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, it's kind of hard to scope the pre-draft ones just because there's other implications other than player for player and even dollar for dollar. A lot of it is salary dumps or wanting to get more money and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Um, so as we're kind of looking at his team now, and yeah, I mean the couple of those trades kind of go one way or the other. Yeah, how do you looking at the Lindor and Hap for Ramos and Cease?
yeah,
Uh,
I mean Cease has been huge, right? So I'd say Cease, I'd say Krim probably gets this one. Hap's been fine. Lindor's barely played, but Cease has been an animal. And I
Mhm.
remember there was even a point in the offseason, and I didn't necessarily disagree with you, but there was a point where you were like, I'm not keeping Cease at that price. He was
Mhm.
awful. He was horrible. And it ended up working well that he did keep him. He's one of the best pitchers
Well,
in
it's
baseball
the
this year.
coin flip. It's are
It's
you
the
getting good
and I
Cease or
said
bad
that,
Cease?
yeah.
And you got
I said
good
that
Cease this
exact
year,
thing.
so it's worth it.
It's every other year with him. So that one's an interesting one too. I also think, like, for example, it's a pre-draft one, but Julio Rodriguez has not been worth $48, right?
Mhm.
So like, yeah, he traded Ramos and Story who've not been good, so he didn't miss anything there. Would his team have been better without $48 of Julio Rodriguez?
Mhm.
Theoretically, his two superstars, Julio and Vlad, have kind of vastly underperformed. So it's kind of interesting looking at those pre-draft ones, but yeah.
So yeah, I mean a lot of kind of trades that have moved the needle. So
Right.
as we see how Crim's team has come together, it's not a bad team. It's not a particularly good team. Where do you kind of put his prospects here in regards to him being what 18 games? Where is he? No, 20 games back. So same
Yeah.
amount as Bryce.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what, yeah, and then that's what makes it fun too, because so many of these teams are so close, we can almost literally compare them head to head. Now, Bryce has a harder schedule. I've not really looked at Crim's, but I can't
Yeah,
imagine it being any harder than
I'll
Bryce.
look it up while you talk about his team.
Um, but honestly, looking at this team, I'm actually, again, schedule bearing, we'll see what you say in a second. I'm actually a little bit more optimistic for this team than Bryce's. And I'm not saying that this is team's necessarily better than Bryce's, but I really think Sonny Gray's been really good. Dylan Cease has been really good. Max Meyer's been really good. Ranger Suarez has been really good. Braxton Ashcraft has been really good. I'm putting this rotation up there with Bryce's. I mean, I
Mhm.
really am. I mean, Crim's rotation, I mean, Eric Lawler notwithstanding, and that's where you can maybe go in and get another piece. But like Crim's rotation, numbers wise, again, like you said earlier, he hasn't had these numbers all year, but Crim's rotation actually is pretty damn solid. There's that big glaring Eric Lauer there with a 4.8 ERA, but like everything else is pretty damn good. Now the lineup I'm taking Bryce's just because of the sheer firepower of Tucker, Rodriguez, and all that. But
Mhm.
remember, outside of that outfield, he didn't have a ton of there. Krim does have Vlad and Mookie and Ozzy Albus. Again, not as much star power. I am going to take Bryce's lineup, and I think their rotations are close enough where I will say I do think Bryce is the better team. But in terms of like competing rest of the year, these 5 weeks, and again, you'll shoot me the schedule in a minute. Maybe I'll even feel better about this.
It's
But let's hear it.
what do we call it? It is there's a term for it. Jekyll and Hyde, the Jekyll and Hyde matchups. It
Oh, okay.
is he's got me, he's got Jordan, he's got Chad,
Ooh,
he's got Phil and Spelly.
okay.
So
So
it
I feel a little bit better about his schedule then.
yeah.
And,
Hmm.
and that's what I'm saying. I think Bryce's team's probably a little bit better, but let's not scoff at his rotation. Now, the lineup, probably a bottom five lineup in the league. So that doesn't bode well for like playoffs. And I get that, but it does have some star power, not as much as Bryce's. But again, when we're literally looking at some of these teams, Bryce's team we just talked about, Krem's, we're going to talk about Justin's in a second, Chris's, these teams are so damn close that it's hard not to compare some of them. And I think I'm a little bit more optimistic about Krem's team.
What?
Throwing in the schedule included.
What?
You got to throw in the
No.
schedule.
Jaylen Brown just got traded to the 76ers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What? No,
You
Paul
knew the Jaylen
George
Brown
and
trade was
picks.
coming, man. You knew Jaylen Brown was getting
Oh,
traded.
that's terrible. Oh, that's brutal.
What'd they get back?
Nothing. They got Paul George in 2 first-round picks and 2 seconds. And the Sixers
Ooh.
are going to be good. Those are bad first-round picks. God damn it.
I wonder how many years George has left because that almost seems like a salary
Oh,
dump
he's
in
not even
itself.
good. He was good in the playoffs, but oh, that's disgusting. I'm gonna puke.
Sorry, man.
Oh, oh man, that just ruined my day. I'm gonna be in a bad mood the rest of this podcast. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying I'm a little bit more, especially schedule included. I'm a little bit more optimistic. And again, I'm not even saying Krim makes the playoffs. I said Bryce is not. I don't think Krim is either, but I do think I'm a little bit more hopeful with this team, seeing who he's going against, seeing where he's at. Because again,
Yeah.
that rotation can hang for these. I mean, it can. It's been doing pretty good.
Yeah. I disagree a little bit with the rotation just because I think that you're overlooking whip as we often do. And so looking at the whip here, why? Oh, there we go. It's frozen for a second. Looking at the whip here, a lot of these guys, Cease has a high whip, Lauer high whip, Sonny Gray mid, Meyer mid, Rainier Suarez mid. Like nobody's really bringing his whip down. Like Bryce had 4 guys with a sub one whip.
Yeah.
Now not to say that
The
the
strikeouts, though.
not to say that those are sustainable. I mean, a decent amount of strikeouts for some of these guys, and not to say that the numbers that Bryce's guys are putting up are even sustainable. I just saying on paper what they've been so far, Bryce's numbers are very
Yeah.
clearly better. What they're going to be going forward, I think Ashcraft has been really good, better than expected so far. But over the last month, he's really been pretty underwhelming with 4.8 ERA and a 1.2 WHIP. So he's kind of starting to show a little bit of rust there. And Meyer's been really good most of the year, even better in the past month or so.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't really have the depth either that Bryce. Like Bryce
I
has
agree.
2 guys on his bench and Urania and the guy Foster Griffin who are like ready and willing to be solid contributors where that
Yeah.
Krim doesn't have.
Who would
So
start for Lauer at this point? I mean,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I just looking at kind of the rotation. I'm not blown away by the rotation, although it's been fine. And then obviously the lineup. I wish there was something I could point out to the lineup that he actually does well with his hitters. Where it's just like I don't see a lot of power. I don't see a lot of speed. I don't really see a lot of OBP. A lot of guys here that just are bringing him down a
Right.
lot of ways, not really helping him in a
They're
lot of
just doing
ways.
okay. There's no
So
one
I'm
that's
just
doing
like,
like awful, but there's really nobody that
yeah,
I would argue is even doing like good, right?
yeah.
Outside of Casey Schmidt, maybe. But like, which one of those guys is having a career year outside of Casey Schmidt? Betts underperforming. Albus, he's done better.
Mhm.
Vlad underperforming. I mean, it's a lot of that.
Yeah, so I can't look at this and even tell you uh one category that he can win on a given week. So I don't really give it that much of a chance to really make up ground because I just don't, I can't see this team stealing 9, 10 categories in a given week.
Right. And
What
he's gonna need to
offensively and
probably, right?
pitching
At least once or
and yeah,
twice.
the pitching is probably gonna be good enough at times to win a few categories here and there, but yeah, it's I just don't really see it. So it's tough because there's also not like the big names here that you can really trade. I mean, Vlad, obviously, you could get a pretty decent haul for Vlad if you trade him. But I don't know how many guys are willing to give up that much for a guy that's performed as poorly as he has, with 4 home runs, 34 RBIs.
Right. You're
So
not keeping him. You're not giving
yeah,
that
so
DO.
he's probably going to try and hold on for dear life as long as he can because he's been had a couple down years in a row now. So hopefully he can kind of hold on tight for a little bit, and then I don't see him kind of making it and being one of those top 6 teams by
Agreed.
the end of the season.
Agreed.
So what do you suggest that he does?
It's tough because I think he's done a lot. Honestly, I don't think, like you said, there's not a whole lot you can also trade either. I mean, you've mentioned that before. I know Trout coming back. Trout comes back very, very soon. So if anything, I'm kind of riding the lineup right now as it is. There's not much you can do there. If anything, I'm really trying to solidify that rotation even more. Get Eric Lauer out of there. Try to get someone else good in there because again, I know you're like you said, it's hard to pick categories. So if you can really go all in on pitching and say, hey, I might be able to get 3 or 4 categories no matter what on pitching, and then I just in a playoff matchup need 1 or 2 steal hitting categories, I think I go that route. So if anything, I might just go more all in on like another very, very solid pitcher.
Hmm. Yeah, it could be. It just I don't know what he goes all in. What do you think he goes all in with? And Casey?
I would trade and I know Pablo Lopez has been out, but as an A, someone's going to take that shot on him. I would maybe trade like a Pablo Lopez and I don't know, Owen Casey. Owen Casey's up to
No, you
46 right
can't
now.
you can't trade Pablo Lopez if you're Krim because you don't have you have a prayer of making the playoffs. You're not going to trade your best piece for next year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I see what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
unless
then and,
the
and
only thing
that's
I
where it
could
is
see
too.
is what if you traded offered Tyler like Pablo Lopez for hitters and Zach Wheeler
Well,
and then
yeah,
something
but
like
Zach
that.
Wheeler's a better keeper than Lopez.
So you'd rather have Zach Wheeler for 17 than Lopez for 5?
Oh, 100%. With Zach Wheeler's pitching right now and doing well, we got to see Lopez come back from, again, barely pitching last year, half a season, and then
Mhm.
not pitching at all this year. Remember,
Yeah.
it usually takes a year to come back after that big surgery,
But
too.
you're
So,
also probably looking at 4 years of Lopez, or probably after this year, three, because if he pitches anywhere near what he can, you're going to extend him for
yeah,
$30
still taking Wheeler.
because
Still
it'll
taking
be
at
five
this
next year,
point.
10 the following, and then 30 the year after that if he wants it. I mean, there's
Right.
3 years of Lopez versus only 1 year of Wheeler,
Still probably taking Wheeler at this point. That's not saying Lopez
and
won't come
and
back tomorrow.
saving $12.
Yeah. Hey, if they want
So
to make the deal, they can do it. They could go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
I don't know if Tyler has like the offensive pieces or the pitching pieces, the left to kind of give there, but maybe
Right.
maybe they get together again on a deal. So, um, yeah, it's tough. So I think he just kind of holds fort, and then it's probably going to be if he doesn't do well, it's going to be one week where he goes 2-8 at some
And
point in
that's
the next
it.
couple weeks,
And
and
I
then
told him that. I
yeah,
told him that verbatim this week. I said, Krim, you're literally on that spot where you have one more 2-8, 3-7 week, and you are done. Like that is it. Like you cannot afford that. You can maybe afford a 5-5 and hold fort week, but 3-7, 2-8, your season's over.
just about. All right, so next we have the Wahoo Maniacs who find themselves we're a little bit in the thick of it for Roto. Right now they're at 70 points in Roto, so kind of holding on for
Would
dear
need a
life,
surge.
probably
Yeah.
not. Yeah, need a surge of some sort. They're getting a little bit from Bryce Harper as much as they can, but find themselves 18 games back of first place, which is really only 6.5 games back of a playoff spot here
Yeah.
right now, and playing me this week. So if he takes, a 7-3 victory or something this week, he's up 5-4 right now. He's going to make up 4 of those games right there, and be right there smack dab in the midst of it. So
Yep.
looking at what we see at Justin's team here, this is another kind of one of those, in my opinion, fantasy negligent teams. We'll get to his transactions here in a bit, but he's had these 3 first basemen all year and hasn't moved a single one of them. And when we get to Peter's team, it makes so much sense for there to be a trade with Peter. But unfortunately, these guys haven't come together for a trade because Peter really needs a first baseman. He has for a long time, and Justin's finding himself with these guys locked in: Bush, Harper, Naylor. You're not benching any one of them, but then you're going to run into like you got Springer on your bench, McLean on your bench. Rutschman's been okay. Not that I'm a necessarily, utility or catcher kind of guy. I'm not, but there's just no room to put some of these guys in your lineup. And so it's just log jammed. It's not at its true potential when you could maybe trade one of these guys and get some decent pieces back. So I think this team's in an okay spot. It's not one of my favorite teams, but I wish that it's like a 1 or 2 moves away from going in one direction or the other. I wish he would push his chips in a little bit more than he has.
To me, honestly, I'm gonna say this. I was very high, if you remember, on Justin's team heading into the year. I think
Mhm.
he had a lot of good pieces. I think he was in the right direction. I think he had one of the best drafts as
Mhm.
well. I think he has also been one of the unluckiest teams, not when it comes to injuries,
Mhm.
but when it comes to just players not performing as well as they could. I mean, when we're looking at how Michael Bush started off, okay, when we're looking at Luke Keeschel and the way he got started, and I'm not even getting to the big names, right?
Mhm.
When we get to the guys like Josh Naylor, who's underperformed a little bit. When we get to Christian Yelich, who, yes, has missed about 100 at bats, but has underperformed a little bit.
Mhm.
When we get to I mean, let's not forget about Kyle Stowers,
Yeah.
who came off like a heater last year and
Yep.
has literally been nothing
Yep.
this year. I mean, literally nothing.
Yeah, I thought he would
Adley
be. Yeah, I
Rutschman, I know
thought sure he'd hit 30 home runs.
yeah, Luke Kuechly, I remember a lot of people were high on heading into the year because in his small sample size last year, he went out there and stole 14 bags, this, that. elite OBP. I was high on him. I think he's had a lot of really, really bad luck when it comes to that. And again, I don't
Mhm.
really necessarily even think that's like user error. I just think like if I was him, I probably also would have waited for Yelich to turn it around and Naylor to turn around and Keisco to turn it around and Michael Bush is finally starting to turn it around. I think it's tough because I think he's had such bad luck with that. Oh, the bad luck continues. I was big on him getting Strider for that price, and Strider is probably dead. I mean,
Mhm.
literally, we saw he dropped to 88 miles an hour. Like, he's probably cooked. I mean, his
Yeah.
career, who knows about his career at this point, right?
Yeah.
I think that was obviously a super bad look. Grayson Rodriguez, again, has never been a great pitcher, but like, again, I think he's had a lot of bad luck. Now, with that being said, if Justin makes the playoffs, and again, that's a big if, right? I do think similar to some of these other teams, like it could be a dangerous C team just because like the bullpen in itself, Iglesias and Smith is probably one of the best, if not the best 1-2 in the league in terms of closers. That is elite. You go in that a 2 week matchup head to head, that's killing you. Woodruff has pitched good this year. Stay healthy. Robbie Ray's pitched good this year. Stay healthy. McGreevy, where the hell did he come? Stay healthy, right? K's are way down. You don't love the K's there, but I think he's like really one more solid pitcher away from like being like, hey, you know what? This team in a head to head could be like competitive, but I
Mhm.
just don't think he's quite there. And I think it's tough because it's like what moves. And I know you mentioned some moves you can make, but it's like it's not like Bush, Harper, Naylor, like you said, you're not taking them out of your lineup. So like, is he really sitting on his hands, or is he just like not getting, the numbers and the luck that he needs? I don't know. I'm disappointed in Justin's team, but at the same time, I don't really think it's been his fault because like a lot of underperformers to
Yeah.
me.
It just feels like there could just be an addition by subtraction kind of some deal here. But I mean, I don't know what the trade would be with Peter, and I think Peter's stubborn with a lot of his guys. But
Oh,
I almost like it with how they've played. It's just like, how about Josh Naylor for Tatis? Like, is that, or just, find some other moving pieces one
yeah,
way or the other that would make more sense. And even like, and we've talked about Justin's depth of like he's had decent depth, like Springer and Sowers and Nootbaar and some of these guys. I don't know, McLean. These are guys that probably would be starters for Peter. And so it's just like how have they not kind of come to a deal where something that kind of makes more sense for something like that for both teams. That part's just a little bit not frustrating, but just mind-boggling a little bit. And I think we talked in the offseason. What I said about Justin's team is the reason why I liked it more than most. And I don't know if I remember saying this about Justin's or maybe Chris's, but I talked about like the path is like there is a path to this making sense. And unfortunately, that path has been filled with potholes because of all you said, all things have kind of gone wrong. Where you can look
right.
at it and like things go right, and his rotation is Strider and Imanaga and Jared Jones and Woodruff and all
Yeah.
that. And so he's had some good breakout performances from Cade Smith and Colson Montgomery and even Arenado's been well.
Better, not still not
He's
great.
been more than he expected, but not great. I remember him having like a pretty decent like month of May, and then not
Yeah.
much since then. Um, to where like it's okay. Like I think it's okay on paper. He's got a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed here and there from a couple different spots. The pitching can be decent, but
Just always feels like it's not enough right now. There's just something
yeah.
there like you're maybe one if not two things away,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure like what he has to kind of move because I don't think guys are necessarily buying Gray Rod with his 80 ERA or buying Adolis Garcia, who
Exactly.
was terrible before then, from a contract standpoint, maybe McLean and stuff. So I know it's just kind of tough to figure out what kind of direction he could go in here, but I think he's right there. I think he can make the playoffs. And I think he could make some noise and be competitive, but it almost seems like he's just going to need to 6-4 his way there and,
Yeah.
to relevance.
Jared
And I think he
Jones to me is
could.
the X factor. I know he doesn't have many
Mhm.
innings this year. Jared Jones to me, and he's off to a rough start in his first handful of starts. If Jared Jones can be the Jared Jones that we know, that can make all the difference in this last 5 weeks of the regular season. But like, I feel like that's kind of what's missing. He needs that one more just great, great pitcher to like put him over
Mhm.
the edge here and be a little bit more competitive. But
Yeah.
I mean, as weird as it sounds, out of the three teams we've talked about, you really like Bryce's team. Crims, you weren't as high on Justin's. They're all almost in the exact same spot head to head wise.
Mhm.
Where would you have them?
I would go Bryce, Justin, Krim,
Okay. All right.
in that order of how much I like their teams, what I almost said, it's almost like how much I fear them too,
Sure.
in a way. And that might not be like the probability because of how many games ahead Justin is on the other two. So it might not be even probability that they make the playoffs, but just like teams, it's almost like I wouldn't want to see or teams I just feel the best about, I guess.
Yeah. And obviously Justin playing you this week is huge.
Yep.
And he's off to a decent start offensively. Obviously, there's a lot of pitching left to go, but um, I think this week is every week's huge, but this week is ginormous if he can even 5-5 or like 6-4 you. The rest of the schedule for him, real quick, looks like he's got you this week. Then he plays Dana, not easy. Then he plays me, not easy. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I've been doing well lately. Then he plays Dexter. I mean, these are all literal right now playoff teams. Then he plays Jordan as the last week of the year. So the schedule itself is not easy. Those are all playoff teams currently, except for Jordan.
That's tough. That's tough. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's if his team gets hot, like that's what you need. You
sure.
kind of want to play the playoff teams,
Yeah, I
knock
see
them
what you
down a
mean.
peg.
Because you're not
Because if
knocking
you're
them down yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're gonna be like the only way that you're going to make the playoffs is if your team plays well. You can't play poorly and then by make your way into the playoffs. So if you
But
want to
you
play
can play
well,
Jordan and win 8-2 when you would have
yeah,
lost 2-8 to
yeah,
Kyle. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? And
yeah.
I think that's where some teams have gotten a little bad luck this year.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah. I don't hate the team. I think there's like I said, I think there's a path to it, but it's hard to. I don't think it'll be a top team. I don't think I'm like necessarily threatened by it yet. Maybe you can kind
Yeah.
of pull off some stuff. Trade here and there. Yeah, and I know him and Phil have had some negotiations on some stuff. So we'll kind of see where you can kind of go with it. Oh, we didn't talk about. Did he have any trades? I don't know if he.
I don't. He was one of the ones I think has made one since the season
Yeah,
started.
May
Yeah,
24th,
Soroka and
just
Adama.
Adames for Soroka, which
Yeah,
Adames hasn't been great, but Soroka got hurt immediately after he traded
right.
him, so made more
Exactly.
sense at the time. In the offseason, I mean, the low and Shaw for Pablo, that hurts because he ended up throwing back Pablo.
Yeah, that one hurt, and I don't think
Um,
Pablo was hurt at the time, so that hurt. Yeah,
correct. And then having Lowe would have been super helpful.
huge.
And then Chisholm for Schwarber, only to flip Schwarber for basically Bush and the
Which is
keeping
funny because
Akinsik.
of how bad Chisholm started the year. And I mean, Schwarber for Chisholm looks like an absolute steal at this point. And remember, ADP wise, they were almost the same, but Chisholm was half the price, right? And I remember you
Yeah.
ripped him for that one. You're like,
Mhm.
what the hell? What the hell?
Chisholm's been I would still rather have Chisholm at his price than Schwarber.
No,
Have you
dude.
actually looked at what his numbers are? 26 steals, 12
That's
homers, 43 runs, 33
I'm,
RBIs.
dude, you're
That's
taking
like
Schwarber.
third in the league in stolen bases.
Schwarber's got 30 bombs, 60 RBIs, and elite OBP. You're taking Schwarber. I don't care about the savings.
With
Come
those
on.
extra $20, I can find
Yeah, yeah.
that gap in home runs.
20 bucks, yeah.
Um,
But no, I know. I think we weirdly enough is him trading Schwarber did kind of hurt a little bit because Bush has been turning around. And again it's tough. We don't know what he does with the extra money, but Schwarber on his team definitely, without being said, makes his team look better. But maybe with Schwarber he doesn't pay for Strider, and
mhm.
he still has Schwarber. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, or he took that $20 and you could have gotten Nolan McLean, and then things
could
would
have,
feel even like even better or something like that. So
but it
yeah, you
shows
never
with the
know.
extra money he went after Strider. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
And then then just to turn Schwarber into Bush, Castillo, and Springer, which just Springer,
Sounded
you were
good.
hoping to get a lot more out of Springer. I didn't
Yeah.
hate it at the time, but I hated the Castillo part of it, and it's proven to be true because Castillo, we knew he was slowing down and he hasn't been good. And for his salary, should have never been
Yeah.
kept in the first place for what you're
I
actually
remember we
getting out of
talked
him.
that Castillo shouldn't have been a keeper anyway.
And
Yeah.
you liked him more than I did, but I think we both probably wouldn't have kept him at the price, but
No,
you were
I think he was like
more in
33
favor
or
of it.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bush, I think, has been fine for his actual salary for
Doing better.
47
Oh, yeah.
RBIs and good
Yeah.
OBP and 11 home
The
runs.
runs are
And
rough.
like if he was freaking, and don't misquote me here because you could say like those are Riley Green numbers. And I'm like, yeah, that's because Bush is $6 and Riley Green is 25. There's a difference
Yeah,
there. So when I say
but at the
Bush has
same
been
time,
fine and Riley Green's been bad,
I
despite having
get
very
that. But
similar
like
numbers, yeah.
Bush also with 36 runs, like that's a negative at this point with how many at bats he has.
Mhm.
Like that's not good. 11 home runs for a
Yeah.
first base at this point. We know the
Mhm.
numbers are getting better, but like those still aren't like, yeah, they're $6 numbers, I guess, but like those
Yeah.
still aren't like,
Those $6 numbers, which
yeah.
and you kind of didn't really want Bush as your starting first baseman anyway. He's kind of more of like a utility as is. So
At the same time, though, as Cubs fans, we all expected 30 and 90 from him this year.
Yeah, I was hoping for that, and that so he's going to be looks like a far cry from that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, our next team that's been pretty confounding, which is going to be Dex's team here.
Oh man.
Made a couple deals here throughout
Yep.
the off season and season here. So you were higher on Dex's team than I was because I thought it was a little bit. It's weird. I thought it was a little bit disjointed with like the lot of power that he had, but then the speed guys, and it's so strange because we were doubting his pitching. His pitching has been incredible.
Yep.
And then like the guys that we thought weren't going to give him any power are like Xavier Edwards has 6 home runs. That's
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
it is.
And freaking what's his name? Where did Caballero go? Oh, there he is. Caballero's got 8 home runs, 28 RBIs,
And those are
19
guys that literally had
steals.
like one last year. So
Yeah.
like those are big jumps.
I think I looked. Caballero had 18 career home runs and 1,000 at bats into
Yeah.
this year. So he had 1,000 at bats going into this year, and 18 home runs, and he's got 8 on the year. So I mean, yeah, I didn't really see that coming, but I guess Yankee Stadium can do that kind of thing to a guy's career. So, yeah, it's been weird because you'd think that almost with all that being said, that well, you'd think that getting those kind of productions and getting this good of pitching and doing the Cam Schlitter trade that he'd be one of our top teams. Why is he not?
Right. And I remember mention well, we talked maybe about a month ago over chat, and I said, is Dexter getting unlucky or is his team bad? And I remember we kind of had a little bit of back and forth. You're like, well, maybe he didn't structure it right and stuff like this. I've not looked at his schedule, but I will say this. I think Dexter is now officially, he is above 500. This is the first, I think, week, and maybe not the first week of the year. I don't know what his first matchup was, but like this is literally like the first week he's been above 500 all year. I mean, and to think that when we look at his score roto wise, if you're an 86 point roto team, which is that, yeah, an
Oh,
88
I
point
fucked up. I thought Justin was at 70 roto points, but I had the setting wrong. Justin's actually down at 57.
50,
So Justin's
yeah.
out.
Okay.
Justin's out in roto.
Yeah. Dexter with 88 roto points. And let's not forget, the first almost 3 months of the year, he did not start a single closer. So we're literally saying no closers at all right there. So then, okay, no closers at all. He was throwing saves. So let's say he's got literally 1 point in saves, right? That
Mhm.
means let's pretend he was a league average team in saves. That means Dexter's right around a 94, 95 score roto team. That is very, very, very good. The only thing he was really dragging on was saves because he literally had zero. I think Dexter's been, and again, I'd have to look at the schedule. I think Dexter's been the most unlucky with head-to-head matchups. The numbers speak it. Everything shows it. His pitching numbers have been good. His hitting numbers have been good. No, he didn't start a closer, so he was literally taking an L in that category every week. But like, I really think Dexter's team, if it gets in the playoffs, watch the fuck out because I think it's really, really good. And the trades he's made all year, I said it to you pre-show. I said, man, I really think Dexter's like not lost a trade. He's maybe not won every trade,
Yeah.
but he's not lost any trades. And when you get, especially that Tyler trade, which I didn't even hate for Tyler, but when you get Rodriguez in the season he's having, Olson, Pete Crow, McClanahan, that trade right there on May 30th shows that like I really think he's a contender. Dexter's team, if it gets in the playoffs, I don't want to face it.
It's a little bit scary. So yeah, we'll kind of talk about the trade or the team as a whole. Let's look at the deals here. So he gave up Taj Bradley, Evan Carter, got back Nick Martinez, who Martinez has been 2.6 ERA on the year. Over last month, not as good, 5 ERA in the past month, so not too bad. Taj Bradley showing a little bit of chinks in the armor here lately, who got off to a really good start to the season, but not been great here. So probably going to be a win there for him getting Nick Martinez there. Acquiring Pico
Although
Armstrong
since
right.
he's got Nick Martinez, he has been trash. I will say that.
Yeah. Acquiring the Pete Crow Armstrong right before the basically one of the greatest months of in history. His 30-day stats, he's got 21 runs, 11 homers, 20 RBIs, and 8 steals, and damn near 500 on base percentage in the month of June, basically since he acquired him, which was on May 30th. So literally that is what he has acquired since his 30-day stats is those right there. So I mean, shout outs there. I mean that maybe that's what turned the momentum for Pete Crow Armstrong was Dex giving him a little vote of confidence trading for him there. So
Oh
thank you,
yeah,
Dex,
we'll
for
take
doing
it.
that. Matt Olson hasn't really actually done much in the last month either. Only 4 home runs, 7 RBIs in the month of June. Is yikes there. So there's still a little bit more that he could get there. Rodriguez has just been confusingly good. Still surprisingly, McClanahan's kind of been up and down. So not a bad trade by any means there. kind of getting some really good production out of Pico Armstrong. I mean, you'd probably give away all three of those guys knowing that Pico Armstrong was going to put up the numbers that he did there. Obviously, the Schlitter for Adele. I mean, triple A plus. I mean, shout out to you. I mean, I even offered him like Chris Sale for Schlitter at one point during the year, and
And
he
that's
turned it
league
down.
changing right there. That trade
Um,
on March 1st that nobody even, like I said,
yep,
probably blinked at
yep.
is league changing.
Yep. So yeah, and then to do a lot of these didn't really I mean giving away Burleson actually, another thing that went right for Chad was not too bad. Let's see here. Gave away Sandy for Pete Alonso. Didn't love
But
that.
again, it's kind of worked. Yeah, he could have
Yeah.
saved some of that money going in, but he's got Pete Alonso on his team. He's
hmm
doing like it kind of worked.
Just
Yeah.
fine, yeah. Giving away Bichette, Machado, and Pepio, and acquiring Jimenez, Bush, and Tyone. I mean, really, so we're looking back at that being like Machado, Bichette for Bush. It's kind of like
Right.
mostly a wash. None of those guys
Yeah,
really made
especially
impact
salary
on
included,
that.
because I think Machado's been really bad, and I think he's like $30.
So I think I'd like it more for Dex because he saved salary by getting the cheaper guys, getting rid of Machado. And but I liked Pepio, and I wasn't expecting Pepio to be hurt, obviously, so that one hurts. That's why I didn't like it at the time for Dex because I liked Pepio, but since he got hurt, it kind of evened it out.
But I mean,
Um,
really looking at these trades, he's either massively won,
mhm.
come out
Yep.
okay, but do you see a single trade that he's lost?
No, I don't really actually. Yeah, there's nothing that's really hurt him actually. So as we kind of look at his team here, he's got speed, he's got all kinds of power. And considering several of his power hitters haven't even hit for power, like Cal Raleigh and stuff. He's got superstars all over. The rotation, once it gets whole, once he adds Boyd to it, is going to be disgusting. So he added Hader and Boyd to it probably next week. It's going to be pretty filthy. If Gage Jump can be something, Elder's not good, and I don't know. We keep consider Elder will pitch good for a month and then kind of confuse us, and I don't know if he's actually good. And then Nick Martinez shown he's not that great either. So I don't know if it has the depth, but if we're looking at going Schlitter, Eduardo Rodriguez, maybe Gage Jump, Matthew Boyd, McClanahan, and then maybe Adewaka or something like that, and then having Hader as your closer is what is one closer. Yeah, he got the one closer in Hader, but not many guys better in the business than Josh Hader. So, I would like to see him acquire a second closer, maybe with Tyler with getting just Caleb Killian or something. I'd like to see him acquire another starting pitcher. I don't know what he's gonna move, maybe a Quinn Priester or Waka or Justin Crawford to do it. So, I think that he could be one or two moves away. It's another one of those. I feel like he's been pretty negligent and part of it is I would really like to see there's several guys on this team that just don't really make sense being here. I mean, mostly like Justin Crawford. Like I just go trade Justin Crawford for a closer. Why has that not happened yet? You don't need Justin Crawford. You don't need his skill set, his steals only skill set in your lineup at all. You have zero need for it. So go trade him for a starting pitcher that has more upside than the guys that you have, or go trade any of these guys. You don't need Michael Massey who isn't really providing a whole lot. A lot of these guys that you have here, just skill sets that aren't really needed for your team. So that's my biggest gripe here. I think it can be scary. I'm not afraid of the pitching because I just don't think that a lot of these guys are sustainably good. Like Nick Martinez, Bryce Elder, Gage Jump, Eduardo Rodriguez. Like I think
Right.
that does not strike fear into my eyes at all. Like I feel like one of those guys is going to get lit up in the postseason at some point.
I agree. Name
Nobody on his
recognition
bench.
wise, again, and I think it's the same thing we looked at this team coming in. Name recognition wise, no, none of this scares you.
And you
The
probably already
numbers,
got more production out of McClanahan, or more innings out of him than you even expected.
right? Then if you were to look at this rotation and say, do you think those numbers are going to continue or go down? I think for almost every single one of them, we would say go
Yeah.
down. But at this point, those are the numbers, and that's what they've been doing. And we doubted his rotation all this time. So I do agree you'd like to solidify that up one more time, get someone else. But as of right now, like I said, I don't think I'd want to face his team right now. I mean, there's wiggle rooms and there's ways around it. But if you're talking about like sneaking in and getting that sixth playoff seed, especially with where his head-to-head record finally is now, I think he's gotten bad luck a lot of the year. I, I'm probably picking Dexter as that team getting in.
hmm how do you rank Dexter with the last five teams?
I think it is the best. I would still take it over. I would probably say Dexter. I know I liked Krim's situation better. I think Bryce's team was better, so I'd probably say Dexter, Bryce, Krim in terms of teams. But I do think Bryce and Dexter are probably far and away the two better teams. Yes.
Um, I still like Bryce's team more. I think his
Yeah.
pitching is significantly better, and I think that his offense is a little bit worse. But I don't know. It's tough because the big bats are the big bats, and when they're playing, when they're firing off cylinders, like when Schwarber and PCA are, it's hard to really say. Well, there's leaves a little bit to be desired there. But man, every time I want to say there's not enough like power here. It's just like, oh, that's right. And he still has
Yeah.
Matt Olson. Oh, that's right.
I
And he
mean,
still
this
has Pete
team,
Alonso. Oh, that's
yeah.
right. He still has like Ellie De La Cruz. And
And this is with Cal.
so,
And here's the
yeah.
crazy thing. And this is, I remember we raved over, at least I did, him having Ellie and Cal Raleigh out of the draft.
Hmm.
And Ellie's been fine. He's been solid. I wouldn't even say great by any means. Has he been worth $46? No, not at all.
Yeah.
So the fact that his two biggest draft pieces, Raleigh and Cruz, have not by any means close to being worth $80 and his team is still this good, like I think from at least a head-to-head perspective, you have to go against this offense for 2 full weeks. How many pitching categories does he really need? You know what I mean? Like, I,
Yeah.
I I mean, if you're going against that
He's
offense,
going to win steals pretty much every week, right?
right? And that's where I think you're right. Maybe you do get a closer. If you're looking at this from a huge head-to-head
Mhm.
perspective, okay, in a playoff matchup, Dexter, you need to win four offensive categories minimum. Okay. Well, then at least make sure you're going to win saves, right? Go out there, have Hader, have someone else make. There's five. Now you just got to go and win one more. And that's where I think from a head-to-head perspective, Dexter's team is scary because his offense is that good.
I guess my question is if his offense is that good, why is his offense not that good? Like he's got 53 roto points in offense. Wouldn't we expect that to be like way more?
Well,
And
again, Rally's been awful and Cruz has been fine. Do you not think
Mhm.
they could do a little better?
Well, that's almost like why it's just like it's confounding because it's like, well, shouldn't this team be like the greatest offense team we've ever seen? Because we've never seen a team with this many studs on it. And, especially after the historic month that PCA just put together, that he got all of. He got every bit of it. And so to have, Pete Alonso, Cal Raleigh, PCA, Schwarber, Olson, Ellie, like nobody is going tit for tat with that. But then you got guys like Noelvi Marte, Michael Harris, Xander Bogaerts, Xavier Edwards, who Carriero's been fine, that aren't really providing a whole lot outside a little bit of speed. Where it's just like these guys are valuable to teams. Xander Bogaerts is a decent player. He'd be valuable to teams. Xavier Edwards is a decent player. He'd be valuable to teams. That's just like a speed guy with great OBP. Noelvi Marte is an okay piece that maybe you could get people to buy in, but he doesn't really perform that well. But the guys that like he doesn't need these kind of guys. He needs like he needs more Ian Haps than he needs more, Caballeros and Xavier Edwards. So that's like just the part of that just isn't really making sense to me, where it's just like it feels like having all this pop in his lineup that he's had Schwarber all year, he's had Olson for a good chunk of the year, he's had Ellie all year, he's had Alonso all year. You'd think that he'd be first in the league in homers, and the reason why he's not is because he's got too many guys in his lineup that are bringing him down. So that's why I feel like it's not unbeatable. And I'm just what I'm trying to wrap my brain around is this team beatable offensively in the postseason? Is he guaranteed to win all five categories in the offseason in a head-to-head matchup hitting wise? And the answer to that is no, it's not unbeatable because he isn't even he's not even top three for best offenses on the year when he probably should be when we look at this on paper.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I think against good offenses like Chad's, like Dana's, no, he's not guaranteed to win four categories, and he's going to need to be. But I do think his offense is a top five offense for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the number four offense on Roto on the year, so it's right behind you and Dana there. So it's just like it's not invincible, and I think it could be. Maybe it's a couple moves away, and it's just like this. He could almost even trade away one of these guys to even get a couple other pieces back. That would make more sense. Just a couple
Yeah,
turn an A into a couple B's and a C or something like that would actually I think more
but
sense for it.
I
But
guess for me, my thing is like I think the offense is at least there. The
Mhm.
pitching, as good as it's been, I think we both agree. Like come September time, are you really counting on that? Like again, the names just
Yeah.
aren't popping out to you, and that's where I think if he
Mhm.
does make a move, it's probably that direction. But kind of similar to your team, which we'll get to later. Outside of maybe a Justin Crawford, which you're still not getting much
Yeah.
for, there's not much you're not getting rid of that isn't also hurting you. Okay, like
Mhm.
I feel like if you're getting a decent pitcher, he's probably got to give up one of his good hitters, right?
Yeah.
Because like, what else are you giving up on your team? So I think that's where he's at a tough spot.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Phil, I would trade Framber Valdez for Justin Crawford and Quinn Priester or something like that. At that point, something like that. If Phil can't get a better offer for Framber Valdez, and that's like at least a guy with some name recognition that you can count on for the last month or two of the season.
Like for example, if I was Spelly just for fun, he traded or not Jordan. If I traded Kurtz, I would have traded just for fun. Kurtz, I would have, and then I would have traded. Did he have another big pitcher on his team? I can't remember. And
Michael King.
oh, that's all it was. Okay, never mind. I would have tried to do something crazy for like if
He
he had
had,
another
he
great
had like
pitcher.
Bradish.
Okay, yeah, never mind then. Okay, forget that thought. Okay.
Mhm. But yeah, so yeah, something like that. So anyway, I don't know. I always want a little bit more out of Dex
So let
than
me ask you
than I
this then.
usually
This is
get.
this is a fun thing. You like Bryce's team more, but Bryce obviously has a little bit of a more of a gap to climb. And that
Mhm.
gap right now, head to head wise, is he is only 7 game. He's 6.5 behind Dexter, which is
Mhm.
do you like Bryce's team more? You said you think it makes the playoffs. Does that mean Dexter's does not?
Um, It's tough
Because
because
because because
Dex team is pretty good and it's playing pretty well. I would have to probably say yes because he'd have to steal because if Bryce is going to make the playoffs, which I would like it better than most, I think it might, which means he has to boot probably either me or you or somebody out. I think
well,
Chris is currently in the
yeah.
playoffs,
Well,
right?
if you look at the
And
postseason
Peter.
right now, the two teams, and again, we've not gotten to all of them yet, but obviously Dana and Chad are in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah.
It's me, Peter, Spelly, and then you. There's only 6 spots. I think we're going to kind of both agree on which team's probably going to get bounced, but only one of these like chasing teams can really get in at that point,
Yeah.
unless we think. So it is kind of interesting. I don't know. I think Dexter's
It's a
team,
yeah. I
yeah.
guess I'll just say it now, but I think if I had to guess right now, it's a tall hill to climb because he's all the way down in 11th. But I would say that
Exactly.
Bryce is going to take Spelly's spot,
Okay.
and
And
then
so me and you
I'll
are on
take
the same
this
page
guy.
that Spelly's, I think Dexter's team's underperformed, and I think Roto shows that. Spelly's team head to head has overperformed, and Roto has to show that.
Dex could very easily bump me out if my team keeps performing the way it's performing
Yeah,
because if I don't end up like beating Justin ends up beating me this week, then I'm not like that's a matchup I need to take care of. And if I don't do it, then that's bad news for my squad.
right. Yeah. So like I said, it's going to be fun, but you're also second in the division right now. So you could be
Mhm.
seventh theoretically. If you're still the
Yeah.
second best team in the division, you're in.
Yeah. Who's
So
okay. Oh, that's a good place to look for it. So if I look here, so right now so Dex has Peter next week. Who's he got this week? He's got Chris right now, and he's got Peter, and then Bryce. That'll be a big matchup.
oh, that's a big one.
And then let's see here, then Justin, and then you. That's not an easy matchup, and those teams I think are all going to be kind of in it to win it for the most part. So that's a little bit of an uphill schedule. So I'm gonna put my money on Dex not making the playoffs, but I don't know. I've lost a lot of money on betting against Dex in the last
Yeah.
couple of years, so
Yeah. And
I
it's
don't
tough
know.
because like Bryce and Dexter's team, again, do we think? I don't think either of them are like top 3 or 4 teams, and I
No.
don't think you really do either. I mean, you did say Bryce, you were
He
quite a bit higher.
Bryce I think he's probably maybe the second or third best team in the league.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Okay,
I think
okay,
he's probably gonna end up finishing the league in second place in Roto.
okay.
Because he's climbed so far and he's right there, and his team is just performing better, and it's better on paper right now than my team. I think it's better right
Right.
now than Dana's team, and so even
Sure.
though it's like behind us right now, I think it's just trending in the right direction.
Right. No, I see that. It's kind of interesting. Like I said, and that's why again, there's part of me that says I don't think there's been as many trades. Like, how close are these teams?
Mhm.
And I know we talked about it earlier. It's easier said than done, and it's easier in baseball than football. But like,
Mhm.
if I'm Dexter, I don't want to like fuck up on a trade with Bryce and like help him out more. You know what I mean? Like, I get that you can kind of help each other out logistically, but at the end of the season, you might have fucked yourself, and that's where it's tough. Where I
Yeah.
think these contending teams, like, how
You,
much are you really trying to give to another contending team? It's a tough spot.
yeah. Yeah, you read into the matchup thing more than I do, not trading with those guys. I don't ever really look at that or where
Yeah.
somebody is in the standings. I'm
You're more of
trading
a
with them,
football playoff
but
schedule guy. You start looking at
yeah,
football playoff schedules in like week 5.
yeah. But I just mean like I don't think guys don't trade in guys based on where they're at in the standings. Like I think that guys will or won't trade with guys based on relationships built or the
Sure.
opposite direction, or just like maybe not compatible. It feels like there hasn't really been compatible assets in a lot of different
Yeah,
trades.
I
Or
agree. And I
teams.
think I said that on the solo pod a little bit. It's tough to somewhat match up some of these teams to make a
Mhm.
trade. And I think that this year has been harder than ever for that for some reason, whether it is the standings, the teams, the contract status. It just seems like it's harder. I feel like in the past, you've even done a really good job of being like, this team could do this with this
Mhm.
easy. I feel like this year's a little bit harder to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, all right, so we're gonna go to a team that we don't expect to make a lot more noise, but is still right there as the
Yeah,
next
it
closest
is.
team to being in a playoff spot, which is Chris's team, sliding in the DMs. So he is currently just one game back of a playoff spot, I believe. Is he
And
in
you
my
were high
division?
on him coming in. You were high on
Yeah.
him.
So yeah, he's one game back of a playoff spot because one game back of me for he can even be in the second team to come out of the National League. So he, if he has a good week this week, he can snatch that spot away from me and maybe hold on to it tight. Yeah, no, I was high on his team until he, lost Lindor and then he lost Crochet and he's
Yeah.
really kind of, battled some injuries and I mean, luckily we don't have to talk about any transactions because he unfortunately hasn't made any trades this season. He's our
No.
only team, I think, that hasn't made an in-season
Yeah.
trade. Boo.
He
Much
is.
shame.
Yeah.
Brought shame on this family. Made a couple this offseason, traded away. Now the red hot Dansby Swanson, whose numbers now
Yeah.
don't look too bad. Holy 57 RBIs after a brutal start to the season. Holy cow. What's he got in the last month? 22 RBIs this month? Does that even include today? I think it does, right?
It does. Well,
Um,
and here's the thing too, Dansby all year, his RBIs have like been fine. Weirdly enough,
mhm.
of all the Cubs, like his average has been awful, but his RBIs have always been like all right. But at one point it was like, man, was Wilson Contreras like Wilson Contreras was having like a decently solid year. So I was like,
Mhm.
man, did that hurt
Yeah.
me? Did that not hurt me?
Yeah, I mean, both teams that, Contreras has been fine. 18 home
Yeah,
runs, 53
he's
RBIs,
been
and
really
great. Always
solid.
good for OBP. He always gets on
The
base a
main
great deal.
reason I did that was he lost catcher eligibility, and
Mhm.
I had so many first basemen. I was
Yeah.
like, ah, fuck it, I'll get Dansby. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think it kind of didn't help or hurt. And at some point, you probably maybe thinking about dropping Dansby. I remember looking at your
yeah,
roster being like, why is he even hanging on to Dansby Swanson?
yeah.
But it kind of all worked out. And then trading away Elio Ramos, Dylan Cease for Lindor and Hap. I don't think he'd probably do it again. Cease is pitched well, but a little bit overpriced for my liking. And you get good Cease because not knowing which Cease you're going to get. That's why I thought it was
Yeah.
overpriced. It was
I
like
mean,
at the
that, from
point.
what he's doing now, that's not
Yeah.
overpriced. That's one of
Yeah.
the best pitchers in the league.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But like in Lindor getting hurt is like the opposite side of
Right.
that. I wasn't expecting to get only 30 games of Lindor at this point in the
Right.
season when he's been healthy for most of his career. Lindor has been pretty reliable. His
Yeah,
first year's kind of been hurt.
I agree.
And Ian Happ has been not great. He's been okay, but just kind of what Ian Happ does. It's just like 28, 26 home runs, 80 runs, 80 RBIs is just kind of what you get out of Ian
From a
Happ.
pure fantasy perspective, it's going to be his best offensive year of his career.
Yeah, from a power standpoint, but the RBIs aren't really there.
RBIs are going to be around what he's
Yeah.
used to,
Yeah.
80, 85. His OBP is going to be around what it's used to. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
From a pure fantasy perspective, he's going to have the best year of his career.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll be close, but it'll just be on par with what he does every year. It's
Yeah.
mid-20s homers, it's 80
Yep.
RBIs, it's 90 runs, and it's like
It's
a
very
great good
solid.
OBP and like
Yeah.
8 to 10 steals.
And
Like
that's where me
that's
and
just what
Krim
you
have
get
even
out
talked about what is the perfect $20 player? Is
of
Ian
him.
Happ like the perfect $20 player where you're not
Yeah, I
like
brought
going
him up
super.
several times because it's like a
Yeah.
lot of teams could use an Ian Happ instead of having Xander Bogaerts or Xavier Edwards or Caballero in your lineup. A lot
Yeah.
of guys could
And
use
that's
one
why
of them.
overall I'm going to say Krim wins this, but I think based on where they're both at right now, Chris is obviously in a better head-to-head spot. Would you rather have, because Lindor's healthy now, right? Hopefully. Hap's playing every day now. It's almost weird because like on July 1st, where both teams are standing, is it better to be Chris right now with Lindor and Hap than it is
Yeah.
to
So
essentially
I
just
think it
have
has
Snead?
worked out so far better for Krim, but I think if they were both knew what they know right now, they would still like do the deal. Like I think Chris would
Yeah,
still rather have from this point forward rather have happen Lindor than have
right.
Cease.
Sure.
And
Now with
Ramos has
Crochet
been
being
bad.
hurt, that's tough. But I see where weirdly
Yeah.
again, like you said before, a lot of these offseason trades didn't really hurt teams. I don't think this was like a massive loss for anybody. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Krim got an ace. Chris probably needs Lindor the rest of the way and have
Yeah.
to really make a shot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He needs a lot of things because I don't really actually think this team has much of a prayer,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Because I look at this roster and I'm like, all right, where's the studs?
Yep.
Where's the stud? No, okay, not really any studs. Okay, so I'm sure this roster is at least well-rounded. I'm sure it doesn't really have any holes, and it's like,
Ooh.
ooh,
That bottom half of
it,
that lineup is rough.
yeah. So, you have kind of, Kyle Teal at catcher hasn't really done much. Bazana's been okay. You want maybe a little bit. You thought you were going to get a little more out of him. In his 200 at bats, he's probably at like a 20 homer, I guess, 30 steal pace, I guess, which is actually probably fine. Brooks Lee's been decent, for the most part. Hap has been good. Teoscar not. Mitchell not. So Soler not. Goldschmidt's been great for what you thought you were probably going to get out of him. And Otto Lopez is leading the league in batting average, right? But doesn't really draw walks. So his on base percentage is 366. Steals are there, but not really giving you much of anything else. A few runs scored here and
Yeah.
there. There's not really a lot of depth here of guys that you're dying to get into your lineup. Duran has been
Well,
okay from power and speed, but killing you in OBP and just
yeah,
about everything
yeah.
else. And there's, Murakami losing him hurt, but like Murakami is not the difference between this team being like a true contender and a not. So like he needs
No,
more than that. And
but similar to Justin, I do think from at least the lineup real quick. Talk about severe underperformers. Jaron Duran was a top 50 player heading into the year fantasy wise. Eugenio Suarez has been a 40 home run like guarantee pretty much,
and you
or at
thought,
least
yeah, going to Cincinnati, that wasn't gonna be a problem.
right, 35, 40 home run guarantee he's been. So when you really look at Duran, Suarez, and then I would even argue a guy like you could throw in Lindor, who's been hurt
Mhm.
all year, I could see why you liked this team a lot coming into the year because it's like, damn, like, and they've all pretty much done nothing for him. So
Yeah.
I, I agree with you. I think a
You
lot
could you
has to
could look
go
at this
right.
roster and find like an extra 60 home runs of just from underperforming, whether it's
Yeah,
Duran, Suarez, Soler, Mitchell,
yeah,
Teoscar,
yeah. There's a
like
lot.
those guys, like had they just hit like their average of what you just expect, not even like good seasons, just average seasons, then
Yeah.
like this team would look a lot different.
Well, and the funny thing is, Wilson Contreras is not really known for power at all. He's going to have a career high in home runs this year. I mean,
Mhm.
he leads his team in home runs. Like that's not. I mean, outside of
Yeah.
Murakami being on the
Well, I
IL.
mean, we didn't like that he lost catcher eligibility, but then we didn't think like, oh, well, because he's not playing catcher, maybe
Fenway.
his legs are going to be fresher.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe that's why he's got more power. He's more fresh. He's just standing there playing first base,
Yeah.
and,
And
and,
then, like I said,
doesn't have to
Murakami
play.
being out,
And he's been
that's
more
stuff.
healthy.
And that's what I'm saying. If Murakami was in this lineup, if Duran was playing better in this lineup, if Suarez was playing, it would look like a hell of a lot better lineup. But at this point, like it is what it is,
Mhm.
and it just doesn't. Pitching wise, too, this is where
Losing
I think he's.
Snell and Crochet, it's hard to recover from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You really
Snell,
just lose those two guys and just expect to just, pretend like status quo.
right. And Snell's one of those guys for me. And I think even at $14 after the draft, I actually said, like, hey, that's actually a pretty good price for Snell. I
Mhm.
like that. And I don't, and again, but this is the gamble. This is the risk you take, right? Because like Snell never makes 30 starts and he never pitches more than 5 innings and he never, so
Yeah.
he's such a gamble, but Crochet hurt, Snell
Can,
hurt. He's had a lot of rough breaks. And
can,
still having Mizorowski and Peralta's
can
not been
you
good though.
imagine if this rotation was healthy? Like, can you imagine if it was Crochet, Miz, Peralta, Rodon, Snell, Sheehan, and Johan Duran?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and also imagine
imagine how
again,
disgusting that would be.
he wouldn't have Lindor and Hat, but imagine if he didn't trade Cease right there.
Yeah.
Like that would
Mhm.
be disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
would
probably
be
yeah.
too.
You'd hope that he would have traded a pitcher at that point if he had still had Cease, but
Right. But no,
um,
I mean the rotation, and again, you got some underperformers. Rodon's obviously missed some time. Sheen's been awful, but I'm kind of with you when you what you said. Like, yes, this team right now, we're going bottom up, right? This team's got the best
Mhm.
record. They're in a better spot than any team we've talked about from a pure head-to-head record wise. I'm putting this team below Dexter and I'm putting it below Bryce. Like, I think Dexter's team's better. I think Bryce's team's better.
I
I don't
think I
think
think both those teams are better. I agree. Do you still think that even with the gap in wins, that both those teams will finish ahead of Chris?
I think they do. I do. I think both teams do finish ahead of Chris. And I think you even talked me into being higher on Chris's team in the year. And I think I'd have to look back exactly where I put people from that. But
Like I still like it, but it's not. Yeah, just
yeah,
unfortunately, you can't look at the performances and be like, well,
right.
we see what happened here.
I mean, to me, we literally have 5 weeks left of games, right? This week's obviously halfway through. None of those standings have been put in yet. Dexter's half a game back of Chris. So it's
Mhm.
one of those things that's like, yeah, I like Dexter's team more. I think he overtakes Chris. This is when I can maybe start seeing that fall off happen. And again, there's only 6 playoff spots. And we're going to
Mhm.
start getting to these teams that are in the playoffs, starting with the next team we're talking about. Every team we talked about has been on the outside looking in. How many spots, kind of what I just asked you a little bit ago, how many spots are really up for grabs? You know what I mean? Like, obviously it's wide open, but like, how many spots are really up for grabs right now? How many teams are really just going to fall off?
Yeah.
Is Chris one of those? Is Spelly one of those? We'll see.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, the rotation could be something, but I also think these guys just aren't pitching at their peak, and I don't know if they're going to.
Right.
Like, I don't like Peralta and Rodon, like they can, but I don't really know if there's just like, oh, they just haven't flipped the switch yet, and they're going to flip the switch.
Right.
Like the same thing with Bueller. It's just like you'd think that
Oh, Bueller
these
hurt him
veterans,
today.
yeah, they're veterans, and you'd think that they can. I think that I don't know if Peralta's going to be the guy that he's been in some years of his career, or if he's just kind of just going to be a guy that transitions into a new part of his career, kind of like how we
Sure.
saw with Corbin Burns and stuff, where it's just hard to be. Yeah, it's hard to be a pitcher and be good that long. You don't see guys that have careers like Max Scherzer, where they're just
Right.
like good for
And I
14 years.
And I guess you've said this before, and I'm kind of looking at it now. To me, like what you've said it before, from a pure head-to-head perspective, like what does this team like guarantee right now? It
Yeah.
does this team really, can you look at this team and really say, like, yeah, they're gonna get me home runs on the week, or they're gonna get me steals on the week, or
Yeah.
they're gonna get me that maybe K's with Mizorowski if he gets
Mhm.
2 starts and Peralta's still a K guy, but like
Yeah.
outside of that, yeah, you have a great closer in
Under a
Duran.
strikeout an
But
inning for Peralta too.
Right. But I mean, yeah, you have a great closer in Duran, but when it comes head to head playoff time, you might need two
Yeah.
because and then maybe you don't play one the set, but you need that flexibility, and he
Mhm.
doesn't have that. So to me, Chris's team is actually one of the teams like I kind of hope would sneak in because from a pure head to head playoff perspective, it doesn't like scare me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dexter's team could blow up on offense, right?
You'd love to see this just be across from this team in the playoffs. You hate to say it, you hate to be mean, but yeah, you'd
Right.
much rather play this team than Dex's team,
Yeah.
because you could look at PCA and Schwarber and they could
They could
just
just
hit,
go off, right?
yeah, and it's like, oh, never, they hit 9 home runs in 2 weeks between the two of them. So
Yep.
I didn't get 9 home runs with 10 players combined in those 2 weeks. So yeah,
Exactly.
it can be kind of tough. So do you buy? Do you sell? Do you have pieces here? What do you think you do with this?
I'm one of those, and I've done it in the past. I'm one of those when I'm this close to the dance. I'm not like hardcore selling at all. I'm buying. Do I go all in? Probably not. I don't think like I would not think my team's
You
that
just
great.
probably you just hold, or
Yeah, and
you're probably not
exactly.
buying, or you're not giving up future assets, but you're not.
And Chris is really good at just not making moves. So like maybe
Yeah,
maybe that's
don't
what
threaten
he
him with a good time.
yeah, just hold Chris on the not making
Yeah,
moves aspect. So yeah,
yeah,
we'll see. And again, looking at like assets and stuff like that, like really, what are you giving up for a Jackson Holiday who's still like not done much yet? So
Mhm.
stuff like that. So I think you're probably right. I think this was kind of a hold situation. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some pieces that maybe you could give up that you just like you won't miss. You like if it comes down to it, if it's just like if it's Tyler, if it's Phil, who you know they're out, it's July 31st or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and it's just like okay, take a $4 age on Carlos Stanton or Jax Holiday, which like you're
Yeah.
probably not going to miss them.
And
Just take this A
right.
contract for a C contract, and I'm going to go
Or
for it. But
maybe
at
they have a
that point, it's going to
closer.
probably
Yeah.
be too late for him.
Right.
Yeah, for Caleb Killian. What can he send over for Caleb Killian to Tyler or
Right.
something like that? That makes sense. Grant Taylor, but it's tough because some of those guys, you might need them next year.
Yeah.
If he kind of goes that
Now he
direction.
needs Crochet back yesterday because at the same time in the playoffs, if he
He's
gets two
not
starts
anywhere
from
else near
Crochet
that.
and 2 starts from Mizorowski, ooh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you're going to get probably 3 starts out of most of your pitchers in a playoff
Yeah.
series, maybe 2 to 3. So I
Right.
don't know. We'll see there. So all right. So that concludes all of our current non-playoff teams. So as we currently stand, so we get into our last team in the standings here that is currently in a playoff spot, which is going to be me here. With my team here, I felt fucking stuck all year, and I've said this to you, I've said this to others, where it's just like.
Yeah.
You even said on the last pod, we were like, okay, maybe Kyle should probably be a buyer. He probably doesn't really have enough horses to be elite right now. So let's see what Kyle can put on the table to be a buyer. Crap. He
Yeah.
doesn't really have much here. So yeah, I'm like kind of looking at this roster, being like, yeah, I have a hole in RBIs because I have too many leadoff guys that don't drive in runs. I was banking on Acuna and Langford for steals, and now here they are hurt. Half my team is fucking hurt with Geloff and Acuna and Rooker and Langford and Freed and Nelson.
Yeah.
I've been kind of battered by injuries, but like I can complain about it a little bit and it'd be fair, but I also knew what I was getting into because I knew that I drafted guys with injury history. So it's not like I can be like, who could have seen this coming? I'm sure that's probably right on the tip of your tongue,
That new
right?
red flag next to Buxton too. Oh
Yeah.
no.
So yeah, I'm hoping Buck's gonna be okay, but I think it's just a hip thing. I'm hoping he can avoid the IR. But yeah, I mean, I was hoping to get more out of Langford, and he got hot
Yeah.
right before getting hurt again. Like in the last month, he was starting to really kind of
Yeah.
turn things on. He had 7 home runs, 14 runs, 16 RBIs, and 3 steals in the
And
last month.
remember, he was a top 50 guy coming in fantasy
Mhm.
wise. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, he was pretty much like on the no trade list for you because you're like, he's
Mhm.
$11. He's a
Yeah,
top 50 player.
yeah,
I mean, looking back on it, you might have actually gotten decent offers for him,
Yeah.
and you're like, shit, that might have
Mhm.
like helped me out this year. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I think I
it's
was always
tough.
going to
Like, how do
value
you?
him higher than anybody else would.
Right.
So just because I'm the value guy, so it's like tough for me. Like if somebody offered me Manny Machado, even though he might be drafted higher, I'm not going
Sure.
to take the $30 Machado for him,
Exactly.
kind of a thing. So yeah, that's tough. So I look at this team and I'm like, okay, the lineup is okay. Like there's good pieces here, but not great pieces. I don't think my offense is as good as Dex's or some of the top offenses. The pitching has been pretty good. It's been led by my two horses, DeGrom and Sale, who of all the people that have stayed healthy, knock on wood,
Yeah.
usually
Right.
it's
Oh,
been
well, yeah.
Sale and DeGrom. So
Crazy.
losing Max Fried kind of early in the season really hurt because that's the one guy. If it's like, all right, DeGrom, Sale, and Fried, it's like, okay, you can count on Max Fried, but you
Yeah.
can't count on the other two, and here we are. So obviously having Mason Miller and Seawald have been great for me. But I just like I don't really see trade pieces that I can really trade here to get better. I'd trade Nelson for a piece. Schwellenbach is like the one piece that I have that I feel like I could get a decent haul back for, but I'm also looking at being like, all right, you're in third place right now. You're probably going to make the playoffs. Like, do I want to trade Schwellenbach just to come in second place, and I might just come in second place anyway? That's like the tough thing now. And Schwellenbach would hopefully is going to help me in the second half of the season. I'm
Yeah.
praying. So I don't know. Well, what do you think that is a path for me here, and what do you see here?
The thing with your team is, and I think you're pretty much hitting the nail on the head here. You know your team best is, and we talked about your schedule earlier. I don't know if you want to have that ready when we get there, but like your schedule.
Yeah, I can do it here. So it's right now I play Jordan, and then I play Krim, I believe, and then Chris and Bryce.
So he does not play a single scheduled playoff team. I mean,
Correct.
literally, like we know Bryce's team's solid, so that'll be a tough matchup. But in terms of actual
Yeah.
teams that are in the playoffs right now, you do not play a single team scheduled to make the playoffs. So
Yep.
and again, things could go wrong, but I think you're right in a sense that like I wouldn't say you should feel a playoff spot secured because you could throw up back-to-back 2-win weeks. Sure, that would be awful, but I
Mhm.
think you can at least feel confident that you feel pretty good about making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's where I think your team is dangerous because the second Max Fried goes back in that rotation, as long as DeGrom and Sale are there, which again, like you said, those are still big what ifs.
Yeah.
But as long as Sale and DeGrom are there, who wants to face that? You just said you get
Yeah.
probably in a 2 week span, you get 3 starts minimum from a starter, probably. We're talking maybe four, if not a 3 start week and a 2 start week. You're talking 5 starts.
Yep.
That's going to be insanely, insanely hard to go up against week in and week out. Throwing Mason Miller, keeping the K's, the whip down, still being a plus on the K's, everything. You have two closers. Okay. So
Mhm.
you saves even look good. So to me, I think you're one of the scariest teams if they make the playoffs. And I
Mhm.
think if I was you and your schedule was hard these last 5 weeks, I'd actually be a little nervous
Yeah.
because I don't think your team's set up to win right now over the next month.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
but you don't need it to be. Your team's set up to win in September when the head-to-head playoffs start, or sorry, I guess early August. But literally, Freed's scheduled to come back, what, July 24th? Okay.
He's throwing bullpen. He's throwing the live BP now, so probably like three
Okay.
weeks, I'd say.
Yeah, 3 weeks out. Okay,
Yeah.
head-to-head playoffs start in about five. So I mean, like he comes back right at that perfect time for you. So it's one of those things. Like if you get in the playoffs, saying you should based on what's there. Acuna comes back. Okay, maybe Rooker actually starts. Oh no, Rooker's out
Mhm.
for the year. That's right. Acuna comes
Rooker's
back.
not, no, he's not out for the year.
Oh, he's not. Okay, I saw February as like an expected return.
Yeah, it's what it says, but it's a bone bruise.
Okay. Well, either way, if he does
Yeah.
come back, even more to my point,
Mhm.
this is not a team I want to see in the playoffs right
Yeah.
now. Honestly, after looking at Dexter's team, after looking at Bryce's team, I'm kind of like, man, I like those teams better. Like if we all started off 0-0 right now and over the next month, they probably do better than you, right?
Yeah.
But when it
Mhm.
comes to
Yeah.
September, I keep saying September, when it comes
Yeah.
head-to-head playoff time in
Yeah.
our league,
Yeah.
Acuna,
Mid to
all
late
these
August.
guys, all these guys come back. It's like, damn, yeah, I don't want to play Kyle in the playoffs.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's where I think you kind of do just hold because like the way you're going to get better is the guys that are hurt that are going to come back.
Yeah. And hope that nobody else joins them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think like a DeGrom getting hurt or a Sale getting hurt really would be a dagger for you in
Mhm.
terms of at least winning a
Oh yeah.
title.
Yeah.
But I mean, if these guys come back, there's no reason you can't win a title again. I mean,
Mhm.
they'll be there when you need them the most. But
Yeah.
we'll see. You
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, I mean, you say that. I wonder it's just if I can get you to kind of stumble a little bit, if I can get the first round by, I'd feel a lot better. And if they just give me an extra
Oh
two
yeah.
weeks to kind of get healthy. But I don't know. I think it's kind of an uphill battle fetch because my team's not firing on all cylinders right now, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to make an all-in move, and I don't really have pieces to make an all-in move. So it's kind of tough. I've offered Acuna to a few places just to try and make the next couple weeks better.
Yeah.
But obviously my price for him is high. You know that from the offer I sent you. So
Right. And
um,
if we did this, I look back on every video we do of this podcast at this time of the year, if Acuna is not on your team, not in the red section, I don't know what's wrong. I mean,
yeah,
it's every damn year,
yeah,
Kyle.
yeah, yep. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 100 times, shame on
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I could consider, and it's tough because it's like you don't think to do this, and I get like Chad's point of view with some of this. It's like I could trade an $8 Byron Buxton, who is going to
Yeah.
be a $13 Byron
And
Buxton
just get
next
like,
year. Who would be, I would imagine, be a pretty coveted asset, but it's tough to kind of do that to try and how do you make your team better by trading Byron Buxton, who's
right.
got 25 home runs, 7 steals, and or something like that. So it's not something I've really considered, but I mean, could be something that could be maybe beneficial. We'll see.
Well, with where Bryce is at, maybe you trade Buxton for Soto.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. That would kind of probably make him pretty powerful, and that would give him the freedom to go get more another pitcher, another bat,
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah.
that might be the one trade where I push back on and join you with being like, I don't think I want to do that for Bryce.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think doing that though would help because it would help me in the RBI department. This one place
Right.
I'm weak. So we'll get into our team. I don't know if we didn't really talk about my trades here. Because I've like
Surprisingly, not a ton to go off of,
I
right?
don't feel like there's been I've tr like kind of tried, and I just don't really see anything there for me either. Like I
Then
just don't know
the
how to
Seager
make a
the
trade.
Seager Perdomo one didn't happen, so that's erased.
Yeah,
We've talked at length about the Fried Seager Bregman one.
it's
We don't really
crazy.
need
I've made only 3 trades this
yeah.
entire calendar, like even in the off season.
The Aranda Rooker one, obviously, you wish you could have back at this point based on what's
Yeah, Aranda
transpiring.
he was good, but he hasn't been great. I mean the RBIs are solid, 13 home runs. Like for a first baseman, you almost want a little bit more, but
The OBP is
great
elite
OBP.
though.
hmm
Yeah, the OBP is elite. I mean,
hmm
yeah, I mean, you definitely would rather have him than
Yep.
Rooker all year. You
Than
know what I mean?
than an injured Rooker, yeah, and
Yeah.
who also wasn't really playing well. I thought Rooker, even if he was healthy, I thought he'd have a good second half in Summers and in Vegas.
Right.
But
But
yeah,
at
I
the
just
same time, you
need to
probably
get him
kind
back.
of somewhat replaced that in the next trade where, yeah, you gave up Castro, who's doing
Yeah,
fine, Altuve, who's not, and you got Brandon Lowe, who's been doing really, really well. So
yeah.
it's not like, again, overall, if we looked at your trades on the year, it probably is like a flat, like, yeah.
One thing we didn't talk about with Bryce, though, is the reason why he did this trade is it opened up outfield for him because he needed an outfielder at that moment in time. So he was able to move
Yeah,
Altuve to the outfield and then back to second
I
base
guess. But
afterwards because his outfield was really thin at that moment in time. So that was after another kind of trade that he made. So
yeah.
that's part of the reason, incentive why he did it as well. So next we'll go to the team that we both believe it sounds like is going to fall
Yeah.
out, which is going to be the Bad News Bears here, who in his rookie year is probably playing better than we expected him to. As an owner here, his team is sitting there in a playoff spot,
Yeah.
and head to head, he is how many games ahead? Let's see here. So he is 2 games ahead, it looks like, of a playoff spot. In Roto, he is all the way down in 70 Roto points.
Here's a fascinating thing I'd like to do, and I'd have to do the homework on it. I would love to have flipped Dexter and Spellies. I think this would be a good
Mhm.
exercise. Dexter, who I feels like been unlucky, Spelly, who I feels like been lucky, and I'd love to flip their head-to-head schedules and see who what their records would be.
I don't know. You say Dex has been pretty unlucky, and I'm not saying that he hasn't. He probably's been a little bit, but like you'd think that there'd be a larger than an 18-point roto
Right.
gap. If
Well,
you're
how
like
about this?
saying like their schedules have been so bad, Spelly's has been so easy, and Dex been so hard, there'd be a larger than an 18-point roto gap if that was the
Right.
case.
Here's another fun exercise, though. Okay, Chad has a great roto score, and his head-to-head's fine, but he's not even leading his own division, mind you, right?
Yeah,
Has Chad gotten a little unlucky in his scheduling? We're like,
he'd
I
be the
would love
first one
to.
to tell you if he was.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would actually love to flip Chad and Spelly's head to head
Yeah,
and see how much better Chad would be.
yeah, hmm
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Head to head wise, it would fascinate me. But
hmm
yeah, anyway, yeah, Spelly's team. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So yeah, I mean, looking at this roster here, there's just There's some players that have played well, and then there's so many just kind of black holes in a lot of places
Yeah.
where he can't really figure out utility, he can't really figure out a lot of guys in his outfield just aren't contributing well to his team. Devers has been having a down year for what you expect out of Devers. Turang has been okay, 12 home runs, 13 steals, not really what you expected out of Turang this year. Wanted a little bit more of a breakout than that. Chapman's been bad. Bobby Witt's not bringing the power you wanted to, despite stealing 28 bases, which is
And the runs
phenomenal.
are a little down too for him at that
Yeah,
point.
that's true. Only 44 runs. You'd think that he'd have a lot more than that. For a decent OBP, 367, you'd think that would be higher. But then you go to the outfield. It's like Benj, who's been okay. He's been better lately. Carrig, blah. Merrill been bad. Nimmo bad. Carter Jensen not great. Bowers has been good, but now they're kind of moving him back into a platoon. I think with Andrew Vaughn. So I don't think he's gonna be playing as much as he was before. Not really a ton of depth. He took Colt Emerson, who I thought was playing pretty well out of his lineup, but lately he's kind of starting to cool off. So there's not really reinforcements here. He's been remarkably healthy, other than losing like Clay Holmes. He hasn't really battled too many injuries, and I'm sure he'll fire back. Oh, well, I had so and so hurt for a little bit, and I'm like, well, not really. So I mean, it's for a remarkably healthy team to be as kind of mid as he is. I'm not really scared by it. The rotation is okay. I mean,
Yeah.
getting Yuri Perez back after all this time could be a
Yes.
nice jolt. If Kirby keeps pitching well, he's kind of been hot and cold. Gore could be good if he kind of turns it back on, but he's
Yeah.
kind of hit or miss as well. Gilbert's starting to turn things on. I mean, it could be a really good rotation. I don't know if there's enough there, but we'll kind of see. It's just not. Oh, wow, we literally just spoke that into existence. Holy shit, Brent Rooker expected to go season-ending knee surgery.
Oh, damn. Sorry, man.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
I
Awesome.
saw the February Fantrax is on things, man.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. That's pretty nuts. Yeah. Well, this is just a banner day for
I
me.
was gonna say you're getting great news on the pod, man.
Oh man.
Hey, at least
Um,
Dansby, you know, it's
yeah.
good. I'm doing great today. You're
Wonderful.
struggling. Yeah.
Wonderful. 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 Anywho, yeah, you go ahead and take from here. I'm gonna go cry.
Yeah, Spelly's team, we kind of alluded at it earlier. I mean, when breaking down these teams one by one, it's been interesting to kind of do. Bryce's team, I'm taking over this. Dexter's team, I'm taking over this. I'm not going to go as far as to say Crim's team, I'm taking over this, but like Spelly's team, I do think is in a little bit of danger of missing the playoffs. There's enough weeks left. There's enough results left for him to fall out. It is that close. It is that tight. For example, Matt Chapman's in his lineup right now. He just got put on the IL. I don't know how long that'll be, but like obviously Colt Emerson swings back in there. But it's just one of those things. I'm right there with you. You have too many guys in your lineup that just like simply aren't performing. Nimmo's really been struggling lately after a good start. Merrill's been awful. Carrick's been not too good. Benj, for a rookie playing in New York, 23 years old, that's a decent stat line. Fantasy baseball, we need a little bit more than that. So Witt's underperformed a little bit. Terang got off to an insanely hot start, you mentioned. So I'm not scared of this team. I'm really not. There's just too many spots where you could be like, man, I could sub that guy. I could sub that guy. I could sub that guy. And like you said, I just don't know how much the rotation can go. Those are very solid numbers from Gilbert. I think that's about what we're going to get from Gilbert. That's
Mhm.
about what he does. He has about
Yeah.
a 3.4 ERA. He gets more than a K an inning. He's not your Tariq Skubal ace. He's,
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, next
Okay.
best thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So George Kirby, like I think that's kind of what we get. Yuri Perez might be one that can take, like you said, that step up, but like I just don't really see much like I don't want to say going right for him, but I don't really see like where he outperforms what he's doing. If anything, I do see regression in some areas, and that's where I worry. So again, there's lineups I'd take up over this. Dexter's we've talked about. There's pitching I'd take over this. We've talked about how good Bryce's has been. It's just one of those things where it's like, man, I think Spelly is the one that falls out. I think the Roto scores kind of indicated he's maybe overperformed, and I'm sure Chad, if he's curious enough, will do that homework. What's his head-to-head record with Spelly's schedule? So I don't know. I'm right there with you. If I had to stake on it now, I don't think Spelly makes the playoffs.
Yeah. And I wish there was a quicker way to do it. I don't think there. I think you'd have to
I know.
really do it
It reminds me of the
manually.
breakdown in fantasy football when you could do
Yeah,
the
I wish we
breakdown.
had
And
it.
see, yeah,
It'd
it'd
actually
be
be
so
cool
fun to
because
see.
you'd see like it'd be like the thousands of like
Oh, it would.
14. You'd have 140 matchups a week or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very cool to see, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish there was something like that. So, is there like a change that could be made here? Do you think that there's chips that he could push into the middle of the table here, or one way or the other of a direction you think he should go or could go?
Honestly, not really too much. I do think, again, it just depends on how high people are on him. To me, I'd still be high on Yuri Perez at $9 next year, 24 years old with what he's been showing and doing. So like if I'm
I
a
think he gave up Sal Stewart and other pieces for him.
I
So
know, and
you're
that's
gonna
what's
believe in
tough.
him. You're gonna keep him. You're gonna ride that one out.
If I'm a seller, maybe I go after something like that. But honestly, not a whole lot here. No one's keeping Jackson Merrill at this point. You can't trade that off. Bobby Witt's like going to a contending to right. So I don't really see anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see a whole lot he can do. A lot of D's on his bench. So yeah, I don't see a whole lot here. I mean, he's kind of got to at this point, like we've talked about. And again, I think this is why we're not seeing a lot of trades. At this point, he's kind of got to ride it out and see what happens.
Hmm. Yep. So I think that there's maybe a few moves here and there that, I think he's probably going to play a little aggressive, although I don't know. He's kind of been protective
He's
of some of
tried.
those future
He
assets. So,
tries to trade. I get a lot of messages. I've
yeah.
tried to, and this is just giving away some of my, and it's not really giving anything away. I've tried to go after Devers. I've tried to go after
Mhm.
Terang. I've nibbled at some of those guys a little bit, and obviously, like those are two of his better-ish players, but
Yeah.
he strikes a hard bargain. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
So yeah, I just if he could improve the lineup a little bit, I think the pitching has a nice floor, or and even a nice
Yeah,
ceiling. You
yeah,
could see this pitching being real good for you could look and be like, man, he's got 6 starts this week. He got 6 quality starts. And it's
exactly.
just like it can be kind of one of those things. He's got 2 quality closers. You hope that when Chapman gets traded, you hope that he gets traded into being in the closer somewhere.
Yeah,
Same thing if Riley O'Brien, if they hang on to him or if they trade him. He's been worse actually than I thought. He was really good to start the year. Looks like he's kind of
was.
starting to fall off from a ratio standpoint under a strikeout an inning. Usually when closers can't even strike out one an inning, usually it's not
Yeah,
sustainable for them being good, in the long term. So I don't know. We'll kind of see what ends up happening here, but yeah, it's not a team that I think is real good, and I don't think it's a team that can really has moves to make to really improve it that much. So I think it's another team that just probably holds fort a little bit. If you can move some pieces around to address some offensive stuff, maybe trade any of these bench pitchers, maybe it's a little bit better, but it's tough to imagine him really getting to a point where we feel great about it. But I mean, really, can he just
yeah,
go like 500 from here on out? That might be good enough to get into a playoff spot. So
right.
I know we'll see. So he's got Tyler this week. Then he's got Phil.
Okay,
Then he's
that's
got
good.
let's see here. Who's that after that? Wait for it. He's got
Yeah,
Krim. Oh man.
and
Then he's got Dana.
and then
And then that's
that's
it.
it.
So
Yeah.
what I missed one
I,
there.
I
Krim,
I feel like
Phil. Yeah,
that's a
yeah, Tyler.
favorable-ish schedule though,
He's got
right?
Peter this week. That's about as favorable as it can get.
Yeah, that's tough. Huh, interesting. So we think he's
It'll be
fallen
tough.
off, but he's got a favorable schedule, man.
I
That's
mean, because all he's got to do is he's just got to go like 6-4 every week.
yeah,
Like, can he do that versus some of those bad teams? And the offense isn't good, but it's going to be better than Krim and Tyler.
right.
So, it's going to make it tough for
It
the guys
is,
like me
man.
and Bryce and whoever
Oh,
else wants to get in those spots. Oh man,
well, even
maybe that
and we're
does
about
kind
to
of change.
talk.
See, I wonder if that changes his mind, where it's just like he does need to kind of go all in a little bit more and move a piece, knowing like he can't necessarily sit there and just be mid
Right.
because he'll get passed up. He needs to be good, just not great to kind of get to the dance. I don't know.
And just for fun, I'll get into some trade secrets here. He's been going after Caminero earlier, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that would
Would you
help.
do would you do Wit for Caminero? I said hell no. Like why would I? I said if I'm trading that, I got to get Wit and something, right? I mean that makes sense.
No. Well, Caminero's got a keep full contract, right?
He's going to be a $35 D next year. I mean that's easy
Okay,
money.
then yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like I would expect Wit and
Um,
I would you want
I
power?
still think
You want
Bobby
that?
Witt's gonna be better than Caminero rest of
And he
season.
might. And I totally get that, but from my
So I
perspective,
think that it's probably slight edge to probably Caminero from the keeper value
yes.
there.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I
Yeah.
need Wit and something
Mhm.
like ish. And he was like, oh no. I'm like, and that's again, that's relook at trade talks, and it's a little bit different and all that kind of
But I,
stuff.
I could see why he would look at Bobby Witt and be like, he's got 28 steals. He's one of
Sure.
the top 3 players in the league or something like that. No, I'm gonna want more with anybody to get Witt. So I mean,
Right.
can't hurt to try.
And
See
now
what
this is
ends
going to
up
be
happening.
fascinating because we're going to look at a team that's at the exact same spot games back wise in the exact same head-to-head win percentage in
Mhm.
Peter.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets fascinating, right? A team that famously always sits on its heels and doesn't make moves and falls off at the end. Will it happen again?
Uh, as critical as I always want to be on Peter Seaman, just like there's things that have gone well, and there's kind of some more ceiling that can
Yeah,
kind of happen with this team. Like he's going to get Judge back at some point. I mean, Hunter Goodman, for Christ's sake, 26 home runs. Weird, he doesn't even
oh
have
my,
50 RBIs though with his
I
26
know.
homers. He's actually
Bad
been
team, right?
shockingly like better on the road. I don't know if you've seen his home and road splits.
No.
So he's got 18
Wow.
home runs on the road and only 8 at home.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's so that part is kind of strange
That's insane.
there.
Imagine
When
if he
you,
hit in Coors fucking
yeah,
Field.
like get this man out of course for Christ's
Who
sake.
says that?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's this is again one of my fantasy negligent rosters here where it's the moves that needed to be made kind of haven't been made here, and there's I don't love this team. There's kind of a lot here, a lot of guys here that I'm like, ugh, he's starting for you, ugh. And obviously Jordan and Goodman have carried him this far, and Jazz is kind of holding it down, and Steele has not played too poorly, but just up and down the lineup, it's just like you got Manzardo as your starting first baseman. Okay,
Yeah,
Cody Clemens have been okay, I guess. 13 homers, 6 steals, has
right.
been fine. Moniak, lit the world on fire for the first month, but since he got back from injury, hasn't really done anything. 23 homers, or 23 at bats, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, and a poor OBP. So maybe he's just kind of coming back down to earth. Tatis has not hitting for power, 5 homers on the year. Connor Griffin just got back from injury, not providing a lot of pop, but giving you the steals. Cam Smith, bad OBP, some power, some speed, not great. And it's just like there's not enough star power here. He doesn't have the 5 studs that Dex has to have these kind of guys in his lineup that
Right.
aren't providing much. And even in the pitching rotation, yeah, sure, Skeens and Wu hasn't really been great, but Skeens has been fine. And then after that, you're like, okay, Cantillo's okay. Sandy's not great. Okay. Tanner Scott, great job finding him on waivers. So brag about that. Brenny Young's been good. And what I do like is that he's got some intriguing young arms that, maybe come playoff time could be a little bit scary. Where it's just like Tully could be good, if it
Yeah.
kind of come playoff time. Noah Schultz could be good. Ben Brown has been great. I don't know when Ben Brown coming back. He could be out for the year, right? Last time he had the neck injury, he was like
Yeah.
out for the
Last time
year.
it
So
was rough. Yeah.
Cade Anderson, he's holding on to hope. I don't know
But
how they're
what?
going to
Come
I don't
on.
know how Seattle's going to open up a spot from there. They already have too many pitchers, but he's the number one pitching prospect right now. So I mean, I get it.
But he's a
Um,
D. I
but
mean,
yeah,
he's got to pitch this year for him.
so he's just hoping that he gets called up at some point, maybe in September. I don't know, but he's going to be in the bullpen, I would imagine, because they don't have a rotation spot for him. Andrew Alvarez has been okay, good ERA, bad WHIP. So like he has names here. Jake Bennett's been good. Like that could be good. Palencia comes back, that'll help. It's just I don't know. A little bit negligent when it comes to some of the pieces in his offense that could be improved. And it's not a team that strikes a lot of fear into my eyes. So it's just a team that maybe this is one team that falls out. He's got a little bit of a lead, but I could see some teams that by sitting pat too long, waiting on Judge, that maybe he falls out. But we also said he wanted to fire Sale months ago. We kind of talked him out of it. So I don't know. Where do you think he's at?
Now, and listen to this, right? He's playing Dexter this week. Tough matchup in my eyes. Dexter's a good team.
Yeah.
Then he plays Dana. Tough
Mhm.
matchup in my eyes.
Mhm.
Okay. Then he plays um oh, it said Dana again. Dang it. Was it doing that to you too? Hold on.
Yeah, it froze up a little bit. Uh,
Week 18. So he plays Dexter, he plays Dana. Does he play Dana again? Did that work? Did the schedule work out that way where that happened?
Let's go back to back. He plays Tyler in the last week.
Okay. And then he plays Chad, and then he plays Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
That that's about, to me, outside of playing Tyler, that's about as hard of a schedule as you can get, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's tough. Dexter, Dana, all that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
it's Dex. Yeah, Dex, Dana, Chad, Tyler.
yeah,
After
that's kind of tough
playing
for me.
this
What?
week, yeah, he's got Spelly this week.
And Spelly this week. So honestly, to me, I'm looking at it as I just heard Spelly's schedule. I looked at his team. I just
Yeah.
heard Peter's schedule. I looked at his team. If anything, I think Peter's more of a candidate to fall out.
Maybe. He's looking at the schedules. I think you might be right. Who's got the better team between Peter and Spelly?
Honestly, looking at it, I mean, yes, I know Judge is on the IL and Skeens and Woo pop, but at the same time, Skeens, as good as he's been, has not been Skeens. Woo's not been Woo. That's giving me a little bit of pause where I think if you just like popped and looked at the names real quick, you might say Peter, but honestly, right now, I might feel better as Spelly. And that's not to say Spelly's team's great, because if I had to pick right now, with how good I like Bryce's team and Dexter's team, are they the two teams that fall out, and those are the two teams that go in?
Uh, Yeah, I mean, possibly. So even if we compare, so let's say, would you rather have Goodman or Ben Rice?
Ben Rice.
And then would you rather have, let's see here, Jordan or who's Jordan or
It,
Bobby Witt?
I was gonna say don't Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I mean kind of washes out there, but then I mean you have Tatis and Jazz here, and I think I like these
Yeah.
surrounding pieces better than I like any of Spelly's.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
I
the
agree with
offense
you
is
where
better, and
I
I
think
feel like
the
I don't
ceiling's more there.
and I
Yeah.
don't know if Peter's pitching will perform good. It could. Like I don't think that if I look at Peter's like his current guys that are active right now, I'm like, I don't really like it. But I'm just saying like there's some ceiling here, some young arms that could be interesting. But it's going to be hard to mix and match and figure out when those good starts are going to come anyway. So he's gonna if he pulls all the right strings, it could work. I'd like to see him make another move or two, but
Yeah. But I do think you're
we'll
right, though.
see.
When you look at guys like Tatis, we're going to get the better part of him the rest of the year. Connor
Yeah.
Griffin's back. We're going to get the better part. So I do see what you're saying. And again, even from a keeper perspective, I think having like Weatherholt and stuff like that, I mean, you're going to keep Jordan at that price. I don't care how expensive he's been. But yeah, man, it's really tight, man. It's fun to
Mhm.
look at.
Yep. So, all right. That's going to be Peter's team there. Do we have transactions for Peter?
I don't think many.
Yeah, let's see here. It's more than we thought. So we started the year with getting Sandy for Pete, which I think
Yeah.
is fine because I just like the contract on
More of
Sandy.
a salary dump. Yeah.
Yeah, if you an extra $30 over, it saved just fine. Gave up Strellenbach who got hurt, and Kauser's been bad for Riley Green.
Gotta like it. I'll take it.
And
I'll say it.
so
Yeah.
yeah, well, he acquired Green, who's been bad, but then he flipped Green anyway, right?
I
Yeah,
don't remember.
he
Yeah.
flipped Green for Goodman early and
Yeah.
Yates.
So that
Wow,
worked out for him.
big W there.
This
And
next
then
one, Otani for Tatis, was a huge L,
yeah,
though. Imagine if he had
huge.
Otani.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Imagine that rotate.
And
Ohtani, Scenes,
that was a salary intake
yeah,
before the draft.
yeah. Could have really filled out some extra depth there.
That would have been huge.
With some extra
Looking
depth.
back on that, honestly, that's like a $35-$40 difference. That might actually be one of the biggest trades of the offseason in terms of
Yeah,
like the effect it had on Peter.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, with Ohtani as incredible as he's been, yeah, it's a shame. We have And like it's another team where it's like this Ian Happ would just be awesome on this team
Yeah, yeah, right,
On
yeah,
Peter's team. And that's like the price of the gap between Otani and
yeah,
Tatis. Ian Happ and then some, kind of a thing. So yeah, that's like an Ian Happ and like a Yandy Diaz. Like had
yeah.
you just taken that money and gotten those two players, you fill first base and outfield, and
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
then Peter's probably in first or second right now. So then we have he gave away Churio and Rafaela for Jazz and Singer. Churio's been a little hurt, but he's
He's been
put up.
really good though. He's been really good when he's
He's been
played.
okay.
Dude, times that by three. If he was times that by three,
Okay.
that's
Well, you
30.
can't. I mean, I'll
Well,
times
I
it by
know,
two because he was
but
hurt.
he was hurt, but pace wise, 150 games, that's 36, 99, 18 steals, 100
36
runs,
homers and 18 steals. So he's
and
been good. That's good.
and
I'll give you good.
105 runs. Like, come on, dude.
I'll give you good. But I mean, he did get hurt, so I mean, there
He
is
was.
that. So,
And
but I'm the king of 162 game pace, so I
Yeah.
can't take it away from you. There.
Rafael has
So
been solid too. Rafael at $1.
mm, for a dollar, he doesn't really
For a
do
dollar.
anything. He doesn't do anything you can't find on the
But
waiver
he's one of
wire.
those guys that's like perfect as like your 11th or 12th guy in your lineup, and that's exactly what he is for me. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
so.
could find all of those stats on the waiver wire right now
But he's a
individually.
keeper at $1. Why not?
Why? Why? Why instead of why not?
Because you can't get any
Uh,
cheaper than that.
yeah, but you could just buy and throw him back and get the same guy for a dollar next year. Because who wants
I
him? Who's
guess
gonna who's
that's
gonna
where we
bid two
differ,
on
man.
him?
That's where we differ.
Who's gonna go up? No, I want him for two. I
Someone
can't.
does. That's what they
His
literally
skill
do
set
in the
is
draft.
irreplaceable. I don't know where I'll find.
That's literally what they do.
I don't know where I'll find 9 home runs and 12 steals if I don't have Cedon Rafaela.
Damn
I have
right.
to have him for $2.
Damn right.
Yeah, I don't think so. So yeah, I guess Heckle and Jekyll, a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde is what I was looking for.
Yep.
Trade
Heckle and
there.
Jekyll. I like it.
Yep. So all right, next team we have in the standings, which these guys we're feeling more confident. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not out of the realm of possibilities you could crumble late here, but I feel
True.
pretty good about your team here, that you're gonna probably hold on to this spot. Not a great roto team, but you've held down head to head for a while. Talk about having favorable matchups for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we'll take a look at any trades here. You haven't made a ton of trades mid-season. You've only made two since the start of the season. So you made the acquired Taj Bradley and Evan Carter for Nick Martinez. You have any regrets there?
No, because honestly, I knew I probably, and this is the way sometimes I look at it, I probably got the best 50 innings Nick Martinez was going to give me all year. I think the time I traded him, he literally had like a 1.7 ERA. I mean, he was
Mhm.
literally killing it. So
Yeah.
since I've traded him, I don't think he's been very good. And not that Bradley and Carter have been good, but I know the potential's there for Carter. I know the potential, and I just like the move. Martinez is 35. Carter and Bradley, I could keep Carter for $2 next year. I know again that's kind of where we
Mhm.
disagree. You wouldn't do that. Same conversation we kind of just had, but I don't think it's hurting any of us, and theoretically, I could keep them both. So I don't really have any regrets over that one.
Yeah. I mean, and Evan Carter, like, I mean, he's has some ceiling there
Yeah.
of what he could be. I don't see in Rafaela, per se. So yeah, could be something there. So you probably regret the Savage for Fairbanks one.
Nah,
No,
not quite.
you got you Savage, right?
Yeah, that was big for me. That was actually very big
That
for
was
me.
big. So
At a time when I started the year somehow with five closers and it quickly dwindled to like one, I to be able to get that move off when I did and get like a reliable starting pitcher and Savage again is I think $12. So that actually could be one of my best keeper assets if he continues to pitch well. So
hmm So, yeah, and I think some of the other trades we talked about this
yeah.
offseason have kind of, already been kind of
Yeah, we
hashed
talked
out.
about that.
So, as we're kind of looking at your team here, I mean, you probably feel pretty good about where you're at, right?
Yeah,
Despite Jose Ramirez being injured and Roman Anthony not playing
y-
Basilier.
yeah. And the funny thing is, I think the first month of the year I had absolutely no injuries, and I was actually at a point where I was like, man, I really want to drop someone, but like I can't because like I can't put anyone in my IL, like, but I didn't want to drop anyone. And then right when I thought that into an existence, I literally had like seven injuries within like a fucking week span, and
That's
it just
usually how it
absolutely
goes.
killed me. It was insane. So I've been really injured, but weirdly enough, and I feel like I literally say this every year. I think I actually have a reputation of starting off shitty and then like getting there by the end of the year. I've never like started great and then fallen off. It's always start
Mhm.
shitty and then you kind of fall finds it. I've weirdly always just felt like good about my team all year. I don't think I'm like a top two
You and
team in the
Bryce both.
league. Yeah, and exactly, and that's where we have such fascinating cases of where we're at, where we've kind of gone the last month. We're both the two hottest teams in the league in the last month. So it's kind of interesting that we both kind of had that mindset of like, man, like I really still feel like my team's really good without like drastically changing things. So I've kind of just held forward, not freaked out. Roman Anthony obviously had 100 at bats. He hasn't been able to show anything on a bad Red Sox team. Gleyber Torres has been really good when he's played, barely played. So I weirdly feel like I've had such bad luck injury wise, but I feel like come playoff time, in a weird way, similar to you, if some of my horses come back, like I do think in a 2 week span, like I am a team that could be threatening.
Mhm.
Again,
Yeah,
do I want to
certainly.
play Chad? No. Do I want to play another team? No. But I really feel like if I get some of these guys back and I make the play, I'm as shocked as anyone that I'm in a place for a buy. I think I'm probably one of the scariest teams right now. You don't want to see me really get a buy because I feel like if my team just gets healthier, I do feel like it's scary. But at the same time, like there is a path where like I fall off because of how many injuries I've had.
Yeah. It's I I don't see like unfortunately like I don't see it like striking actually a lot of fear into my eyes. Granted, it's hard to look at some of these guys like, Churio because you just look at his overall stat line, you're like, oh,
Right.
it's not like this doesn't blow me away, but it's just yeah, it's only in, 200 at bats and stuff, but it's obviously the pace that he's on as you've kind of said and stuff and Freeman. So it's just like Camaro's heating up. You don't have a lot of slug after that.
No, I
Even
don't.
Ramirez, he was only on about a 26 home run pace or something like that in the ballpark there. So, and losing Seager again, who could have seen that
I know.
coming, right? He just got placed on the IL again. So I think you're missing a little bit of slug here without Ramirez. Which when's he coming back?
It's that Hammett bone injury, so it's like late July.
Oof. So I mean, you're kind of a little bit thin on speed without him. I'm looking at how you've only Chase Meidroth as your second baseman. I guess just providing a little bit of runs scored. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't really find better second baseman there.
That's literally the only reason I got him. Yeah, because I mean I had to
I'm
fill it in
surprised you
somewhere.
haven't tried harder to kind of get a second base, especially knowing like you got like Bryce has got Altuve on his bench or something like that.
Altuve doesn't got better numbers than any of those guys.
But then Meidroth he does. And
I
Altuve is
don't
also
know.
he was also
Altuve's not
hurt
been
for
good, dude.
he's been hurt for part of the year too. So you could
Yeah.
take his numbers and proactive stat them out. Having Robleski on the bench, he's been pretty good for you. Has kind of changes my opinion a little bit on the lineup, but Webb and Lazardo are just kind of flawed, like the next tier, not aces, but just kind of the
Yeah.
next thing after that. Dominguez, I don't know how much longer he hangs on to the role there as a closer. So you might only, and McGill kind of been on the fritz a little bit. So does this team have a closer he feels good about going into the playoffs? I don't know. The
Right.
rotation is high whips kind of all around. No real aces here. Not a lot of some strikeouts, not a ton. You're getting them from Lazardo, not really a lot of many other places. And it's just like I could see like I said, I could see the bottom falling out a little bit. You have
Right.
enough to probably maintain. What's Robleski's matchup this week? Why you got him on the bench?
I think I wanted to get Lambert's two starts.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, which makes sense. He's not irreplaceable, especially with low strikeout numbers. Bradley's kind of been up and down.
Yeah.
Abbott's been pretty
Yeah,
reliably mid
he's
is
been
kind of
better
what you
lately.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some teams that could probably use a guy like Andrew Abbott, just to kind of go out there and get you 5 to 6 innings and 2 to 3 runs.
But when you see what like
So,
Jeffers was on pace for, when you see what Torres was on pace for, when you
mhm,
see like these are guys where it's like fuck, man, like holy shit, like this sucks, you know.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
and I
that's
do weirdly feel enough, and you might disagree. Leo DeVries is literally the number two prospect, number one prospect in baseball. If no, never in our league has a number one prospect in baseball not gone for at least 15 $20. So the fact that I do have him essentially next year, probably going to be in the major leagues off jump at a $1. No, no,
when's he gonna be in the major leagues?
oh, next. I think he'll be up start of next year. Yeah.
Start next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's tough because you don't get the
Oh, I get
you,
it. Yeah.
you get like the maybe he's good. So maybe he gets called up next year, and then it's maybe he's good. And usually
Right.
it's guys struggle their rookie year, and so then
But
you
I
might
feel
get
like
like
even you,
1 year
number
of him maybe that the following
right.
year if you still hang on to him that long.
Totally get it. And maybe you disagree, but I feel like even you, number two prospect in baseball for $1, I feel like at that point, I mean, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's good piece to have. I think there's teams that would take a swing on a guy like that, especially the guys that
Right.
have better keeper options. You don't know. It's a mystery box, scratch off lottery ticket a little bit, but
Yeah,
I feel better
exactly.
about his keeper eligibility than some other guys. So,
Right.
we'll see there. So, I don't see it's inconceivable for this team to kind of have a few rough weeks kind of chained together, but with Dansby hitting the way he is and Caminero hitting the way they are and Churio back, I feel like they're going to do just enough to kind of keep your head above water, get you to where, J Ram comes back, maybe Roman Anthony comes back. And if the pitching is just probably just above top half, I think you're just going to be
Yeah.
there almost threatening. So I don't know if maybe that you're going to try and make a move here at some point to push some chips in. I think you probably could. Or you just kind of happy holding fort going, I don't think Kyle's going to catch me in head to head. His team's too battered, and I'm just going to hang on to my bye week. I'm guaranteed being in the top four. That's a 3 out of 4 chance at finishing the money head to head. And Roto, I don't know if I'm not going to get in first place. I don't know if it's worth pushing my chips in to try and get second or third in Roto. Maybe I just kind of stand pat. It's
That's
kind of
why I think
something
to
we
me this
battle.
is that's why to me I think this is such a critical week for me because I play Chad, right? That's an
Hmm.
incredibly hard matchup. If I for some reason like 8-2 him or 7-3 him, I almost feel like I can stand pat in terms of feeling good in the division. Maybe not
Hmm.
like winning it, but just feeling like okay, like I'm in a good spot because I do play Chad, I play Chris, um, I play Justin.
Mm.
So I mean, I do have some
I feel pretty
favorable
good about that.
matchups. Yeah, I do have some favorable matchups coming up with that. Then I play Jordan. So I mean,
Ooh,
really, as
wow.
favorable as my schedule's
Oh,
been, I have an
I don't
extremely
like hearing that. I was hoping to snatch that bye week from you.
right. I mean, as favorable as my schedule has like looked so far based on like the way it's gone, I still have a very favorable schedule left, which means I've probably just caught maybe teams on bad weeks. But at the end of the day, it's tough because like I feel like if I get a buy, if you told me right now you're gonna get a buy, I would almost maybe say I think I hold then. If you told me like, hey, you're gonna be fighting like for that playoff spot all the way down to the last week, I might make a little bit of a more push because I think it comes down to that question of like I don't think any team's catching Chad in terms of talent. So it's one of those things like, okay, so I make my team like a little bit better. But in a 2 week matchup against Chad, I think I just need to kind of get lucky and have a lot of things going my way. So it's like, am I really willing? And I know you don't look at him as like a huge keeper asset. Am I really willing to give up like a Leo DeVries for like a small upgrade, over Jung Ho Lee right now. I just don't think so. So and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. So, I mean, maybe it could one or two pieces maybe put you over the top here. Could be the difference between a bye week and a non-bye week, maybe.
Yeah,
Could be
and
the
that's
difference
big.
between second
Yeah,
place and third place roto. Could be the difference between $150. I mean, maybe the margins are going to end up being very thin between a lot of the teams that are raced there between you, me, Dex, Dana. Like, could come down to it being like, a 2 point roto
yeah,
race, and it's like
it could.
not only who made the trade, but who made the trade 1 week before,
Yeah,
like, getting those extra 1 week's worth of stats. It could, maybe make a difference there. So,
yeah, 100%.
all right, we got what do we got here? Two teams left. So we got Chad's team and Dana's team. Uh
And real quick, since we finished our division, at least, if you look at the division standings, it is kind of fascinating to kind of see the season Chad's had and how he's fighting for his division. And then like
mhm,
my roto score and kind of seeing where it's at. I mean, literally, I have a 5.5 game lead in the division. That's not huge by any means. You could catch
mhm,
that theoretically in 1 week, but I
yeah.
feel like that's a decent lead in the division. Not great, but decent.
Mhm,
And then you look at the other, and Chris is far behind. I mean, not far
yeah.
behind, but like there's that.
Yeah.
And then you look at Chad, who's had such an amazing season. We keep saying how almost unstoppable his team is,
Yeah.
and he's sitting there right now, like literally having to play in the first week of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fascinating. We're kind of finished with ours. The last two teams, Chad and Dana. Here we go. Like, what do we
Yeah.
think?
So, I mean, I don't know how much we really need to say about Chad's team just because it's just like incredible top to
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah,
So I mean, it's got power. He's maybe a little weak in speed, but he's got Yuri Perez or Esteury Ruiz. I mean, on the bench if he wants to
yeah.
inject a little bit of speed in there. He's got O'Neal Cruz and Miguel Garcia, hopefully coming back from injury at some point to provide that. The rotation is incredible.
Incredible.
When it comes to who he has, he's gonna maybe get Glasnow back at some point. So he's going to go. He's got Christopher Sanchez as an ace. I mean, doesn't really get a whole lot better than that. Top probably three pitcher in the league. Chase Burns has been awesome this year
Oh,
as well. Kyle Harrison found him awesome. Detmers has been real good. Gavin
really good.
Williams has been solid. So it's like one, two,
Look
three,
at
four,
those
five there.
K's, man.
Great.
I mean, look at those
Yeah,
K's. It's
yeah,
insane.
just phenomenal. And then he's got now options on the bench between Zebby Matthews, Michael King, Zach Allen are all options. We'll see when Glasnow comes back, but just another guy that's when he's
Yeah.
throwing it, you lock and load him into your lineup because he's just always good when he's actually on the mound. Just a matter of him staying on the mound. So just like it's hard to really beat that. Getting Munoz, like closer was the one weakness. So now that he's got Helsley back, I think from he was injured for a bit, and then pairing him with Munoz is two guys that not only like are solid closers. The numbers don't really reflect. I think they're going to be better rest of season, but they're going to be guys that play on teams that are going to have a lot of save opportunities. It's not like they win by a lot or lose by a lot. It seems like they play a lot of close games. So it's just it's unfair. And then the
Yeah.
offense is just fantastic as well. So adding, no real flaws, no real guys that are bringing him down in this offense. So not only do you have the star power of guys like Kurtz and Gunnar hasn't played like a star, and Otani, but kind of guys like that. But in Baldwin even who's played really well, but no real guys on here that are really bringing him down in any categories. So I just don't really see a way for this not to go well for him. From a roto, from a head to head, I don't know how you really beat this.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think I think the last month has shown a little bit of a chink in the armor in terms of like him not being as dominant. Even 2 weeks ago when we did the pod, he was at 130 and he dropped to 124. Oh my God,
Mhm.
124, right?
Yeah.
Not that it's like a big drop, but there has been some weaknesses here. I think even in the last couple of weeks, head to head wise, which is why the division got taken over, he's kind of like struggled to like beat teams. So
Yeah.
I think this last month has been his worst month of fantasy. If we looked at the numbers, I'm sure that's the case. But again, when we've looked at every team so far on almost on the whole day. It's hard to beat this team. I mean, it just is. And again,
Mhm.
weirdly enough, in the post-draft pod, I said I'm worried about two teams that are supposed to kind of be good, but two teams I was worried about, and that was Bryce, who thought his team was really good, and Chad. I said there's a lot that can go right and a lot that can go wrong. Chad's everything has gone right. Yes, we liked Christopher Sanchez coming in, but if you would have told me like you looked at this rotation to begin the season, you wouldn't have been like, "Oh, it's missing something. It needs something else, right? It needs something." No, it doesn't. I mean, everyone is having a career year.
Yep.
Sanchez, King's been
Even
doing solid, maybe not
Burleson,
yeah,
57 RBIs from him. I can't believe it.
yeah, exactly. Chase Burnt, I
I threw
mean,
shade at him.
yeah, and we looked at the pitchers. Remember, me and you were both surprised how cheap some of those pitchers went for after the draft. Two pitchers went for the exact same price. Mizorowski was 20, I believe, and Chase Burns was 20.
Mhm.
Those were
And,
both
and
guys that
McLean,
could
McLean is 20.
Yeah, and McLean was 20. All those guys were available in this draft, and they were all kind of gambles. They're prospects. We haven't seen them do it. All of them have, for the most part, been worth it. Burns has been absolutely
Crazy how
fantastic.
thin we thought the pitching was in the draft, and it turned out there was so much pitching in
Right.
the
Well,
draft.
we still I at least thought they would go for more than 20.
Yeah, me
I,
too.
I thought because there was a lack of
You could
pitching.
have built an elite rotation in this draft
Oh yeah.
for $80.
Yep. And I thought because of the lack of pitching, Burns and Mizrowski were actually going to go for more high 20s, early 30s, and they just didn't. And I'm like, holy hell. And like I said, I can point to almost every guy on this roster, except for Gunnar Henderson, like you said, because he's having a down year.
Yeah.
You can point to everyone on this roster, and they are literally pretty much having career years.
Yep.
Outside of maybe Ohtani too, but Ohtani
Yeah.
is still Ohtani, right?
Yeah.
I did call when he started pitching, the team would
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
you're not stealing anymore. I
Mhm.
did call that. But because he didn't just lose his speed overnight, guys. They do not want him tearing
Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, especially when he
everyone,
got hurt, he hurt his hand stealing a base in the postseason.
exactly, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Everyone, literally everyone on this team is having a career year, and not only that, most of them are young guys. Baldwin, second year. Kurtz, second year. Stewart, rookie. McGonigal, rookie. Gunnar Henderson, prime. I mean, this team is scary as hell. I do not want to
Yeah.
play this team. And
No.
yes, Chad wants us to say it, but based on the numbers and everything, this has to be maybe the most dominant team we've ever seen at this point in a season, at least in our league's perspective.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much puts a bow on it. Not really a whole lot more to say than that. Yeah, well
Yeah.
said there.
And do
So I
you
mean,
agree? And he's even said too, I don't really want to. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say he's even said too, I don't really want to make a trade because it's almost like I don't really want to get. Why would I give up anything that's of keeper value when I can still kind of be like really good next year? And you mentioned that earlier. He's got a ton of guys that are like, hey, he's gonna be nasty next year. Why do anything different?
yeah. Uh-huh. So and he got a bunch of good helpful pieces in this trade without having to give up like
Oh
the
yeah,
actual impactful guys that you actually feel good about.
exactly. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean that trade was a huge win for him. Obviously, the giving up Tong and Painter for the Lauder is kind of a wash. It's the only trade he's had to make. He hasn't really made any trades this season outside of that. The giving up Yuri Perez for Sal Stewart and Cade Horton and Lawler
Big.
was another big win. He hasn't won them all. So I mean, gave up Langoliers for Miguel
Yeah,
Garcia. That was a loss.
that would be huge.
Santos for Westberg was a wash. The Burleson trade was a win. I don't know how that he saw that coming. I mean, I want to hire his scouting department, I guess. So
Right.
they're doing something
And
right. Find
and for
Burleson.
Cruz to not be kept, and then didn't Chad just get him anyway in the
Yeah,
draft?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, for
oh
like
man,
$22. Yeah.
yeah, crazy.
Mhm.
And in fact, the one trade we talked about this earlier, the one trade that maybe helped him the most was getting rid of that Tucker deal because
Yep.
he said he would have kept Tucker. I
Yeah.
mean, think
And
of
he
the
probably
impact
he
that would
probably
have had.
wouldn't have gotten Chase Burns. He probably wouldn't have gotten O'Neal
Yep.
Cruz had he had those extra, 50 less dollars to spend in the draft. He
So there's
probably
that age-old conversation where sometimes I say keep the superstars, you say, no. And again, I think the only reason I would have kept Tucker at 51 was because he was on the Dodgers. But
yeah.
regardless, like that's that conversation of like you save money, save money. Oh nope, keep the superstar. That helped him getting rid of the superstar there, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we're at here. Now, the last team that we have, which is the number one head-to-head team that we have, which is the Big Dick Boys here, Dana.
Oh,
Um, and overcompensating again with the team name there. But he's the number one head-to-head team by 3 games in Roto here. Oh, clicked off of Roto here. He's, I think, second place in Roto, holding. We've
yeah.
kind of been up and down the three, me, Dana, and Peter, kind of swapping places there, kind of throughout the year, where nobody's really pulled away from anybody. Peter's
Right.
starting to fall off a little bit there, despite Goodman still teeing off on balls and Jordan teeing off on balls. I think his pitching's kind of starting to bite him a little bit, but Dana's team has been pretty good most of the year. His offense has been the best offense in the league, actually even better than Chad's, I believe. Oh
He's
no,
14 in
Chad's
three. He's 14 in three categories.
yes, it's 14 through categories, but Chad's got a little bit better. He's in better in
OBP.
OBP and steals.
Yeah.
Chad is than him, so that kind of closes that gap there. So, it's not a necessarily perfect team, but why don't you tell me what you like about this team, and I'm going to tell you what I don't love about it.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm not going to say what you said pre-show, but I'm really curious if you still think this team is placed where you maybe thought pre-show, now that we've gone through them all, because I think this team has the best money at taking Chad down. without question. I think this lineup is absolutely elite. The fact that we just went through so many rosters and we saw, and I get some teams haven't played enough games or had enough at bats. The fact that there's only one dude with single digit home runs on his roster and it's William Contreras. I mean, like, he's getting production from everyone. He has one guy under 40 RBIs.
Mhm.
I mean, the only real weakness I
Yeah.
can see is the steals. I mean, we're talking about everyone has been performing. People are having career years in Andy Pajes and James Wood, Zach Neto. If anything, the worst player in his lineup is Manny Machado. The OBP's killing him, but I mean, 16 and 46. Like, it's not the fact that Manny Machado is literally the worst hitter in your lineup. This team is absolutely disgusting. He got Dylan Dingler. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, literally he made a trade for that. Boom,
Yeah.
easy win there. So,
Yeah.
and this is with the best waiver wire pickup in the league in Miguel Vargas. I mean, Miguel Vargas is getting MVP votes if the
Yeah.
season ended today.
Yeah.
And then the pitching, this is the only part I have a concern of, the length. I don't love Davis Martin and Lugo and Ginn being your 3, 4, 5, but when you look at anyone in the league, especially with the way Soriano's pitched this year, and granted, last month, come down to earth, which I think might be the more realistic Soriano. But even if I say the 1-2, he's getting in a playoff matchup 3 to 5 starts in a playoff matchup from Skubal and Yamamoto. There's not another rotation in the league that's touching that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Dana's team, I want Dana and Chad to face off in a playoff matchup early, get it out of the way, give everyone a chance.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to happen because one of them will have the bye, and then I don't think whoever has the bye isn't going to face the other in the second round because
Right.
whoever has the bye is going to be the one seed, so
We
they'll play
need
the
them to
one
face
seed.
off, though. That would be a
It won't.
great
It won't be
benefit
until
for the
they're
team.
almost guaranteed not to until the championship, unfortunately, unless one of them really falls off or something like that, because nobody else is going to swoop in and knock both of them out of the bye, yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to work out that way. Yeah, I don't like it. Mm,
Oh my God!
I don't love it. It's fine. I think I like Bryce's team better.
Stop.
I think I might like Dex's team better.
Okay.
I think I
Wow.
like your team better. I think I like my team better. And usually I'm so high on Dana's teams,
They
and
fizzle.
I don't love it. So here's why. Like we've kind of talked about, like you would think that for everybody on this team is basically like having career years, overperforming what we would expect out of them. Even Ketel Marte off after a slow start has turned around to be kind of what we expect out of
Yeah.
them right now.
Yeah.
Every single one of these players, whether it's Dylan Dingler or whether it's Aranda with his 58 RBIs so far, Ketel Marte's been on pace. Machado's been not great. Neto's been solid, kind of fine, just about what you expect, but it's like O'Hearn, Pajes, Miguel Vargas, all these guys have overperformed what we expected of them. Davis Martin, JT Ginn, Jose Soriano, and Pete Fairbanks has been pretty bad. All these guys have like overperformed what we actually expect out of them, and they're starting to play poorly. And we're actually starting to see it. Like Pa has got off to that blistering start to the year, and he's starting to like not play as well lately. Dingler, I think, is kind of maintained a little bit. Vargas is still kind of maintained a little bit, but I don't expect them to be this good the rest of the year. I don't expect Vargas to continue this pace that he's on. I don't expect Dingler to continue this pace he's on. Fairbanks probably not going to have the job if he keeps doing what he's doing this way. Jorge Soriano is already starting to fall apart here with his 5.3 ERA, 1.7 WHIP over the last month because
Yeah.
he keeps walking guys. He has no command, and that's what's always been the problem. Davis Martin is starting to not pitch well again. Like, why would we expect it? Like, there was nothing that Davis Martin was doing that was like elite. So yeah, that's why he's got a 1.7 WHIP and a 5.6 ERA. So JT Ginn, kind of, I don't really think that it's his 3.15 ERA is going to be sustainable when you strike out this few people over 78 strikeouts and 88 innings. So if all those guys regress back to what I expect them to be, this is not going to be a team that's going to be great. And you'd think that with all these guys playing as incredible as they have, he would have a bigger lead. He's got like a 3-point lead over me in Roto, and he's got luckily the good head to head. He's got the best head to head team, and you can see the reason why. But I think when all these players come crashing down to what we expect them to be, it's just going to be like a pretty good team. And also, how many injuries does he have? None. Literally
Yeah.
perfect health. So it's not like
I know.
there's not reinforcements coming either that he's like waiting on to be better. While all of the rest of you and me are going to get some guys back, hopefully at some point this year, where he's just kind of holding down the fort of what he has. And I think that the pitching is he's got no pitching depth either. you don't feel good about a lot of these guys here. I don't feel great about his two closers and Fairbanks and Bednar. And he's got no starting pitching depth at all. And so when Davis Martin doesn't pitch well and Lugo is already not pitching well and Ginn starts not pitching well, like he's got nobody to turn to. So the pitching's bad. I don't care how good Yamamoto and Skubal are. When you're not following it up with guys like he could use a guy like Andrew Abbott who would just be solid and just get you quality starts, even though
Now
it's
let
not
me ask you
great.
this though. Does
Yeah.
he get in the playoff? Like, are you not worried about him getting the bye? Does he
Oh,
did
he's
you
pretty much locked to be in the playoff. I mean, he's got like
right,
a
right, and that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I figured that. You figured no matter what he's gonna be in the playoffs. Do you think he let me ask you two questions then. Does he get the bye?
No.
And does this team scare you more from just a straight up head to head perspective though, with Yamamoto and
No, because
Skubal?
Yamamoto's never going to have a three starts in
Okay.
2 weeks either. So like you say, like oh, line up Yamamoto, you can't line up Yamamoto. He gets two starts or he gets one start every week. So like it's not even that scary because even though he's great, he's got 90 strikeouts on the year. Like that, so even the strikeouts are low. He's got nobody that's got over 90 strikeouts on his
Yeah.
roster. So, and even Davis Martin's leading his team in strikeouts, and I don't think that that's going to continue either
I
with
do
him
think
pitching as well
looking
as he
at it, that
is.
is the big concern is the K per nine because outside of Skubal and Soriano by a little bit, yeah, you're not really getting that.
And what does he move? What does he have to move to trade for pitching? He needs pitching desperately.
I don't know about desperately.
I desperately.
No, come
Yes, desperately.
on.
Yes, it's not going to look good. His team is
If he
his
has
pitching
no
is going to fall apart.
injuries, if he and again, there's 3 months left in the year, so I do agree that he probably could use some depth. But if he has no injuries, he goes into the playoffs with that exact rotation. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I also don't have faith that these two guys keep their closer roles necessarily. We'll kind of see
Okay,
about
I could
that.
see that.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I just think it's good. It's ugly or not
Interesting.
good. It's ugly, and like he's good enough. He's got a big enough lead, and his offense is solid. So like they're gonna be fine. Even if those guys do all regress, he's still gonna be one of the top offenses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I think
Now,
even if those guys do start to regress, it'll still be fine. So it's still a scary offense, but like the pitching doesn't scare me. So it could be one of those things where like he's going to win a lot of offensive categories and maybe he can steal one or two pitching categories or he gets the right two start pitchers or whatever else. But I think the pitching needs to be addressed. I don't think the offense is that scary either because I think it's
oof.
not a scare. It's not even like an elite offense. It's a good offense. It's one of our top offenses, but it's not like a insurmountable offense. And then once the guys that are playing out of their minds come back down a notch, it'll be a pretty good offense. But I don't think a pretty good offense with a average pitching staff is really scaring
Yeah, I
me.
mean the things he struggles on offense is OBP and steals. Those are the only things he's not in 14 on. So
Mhm.
runs, home runs, and RBIs, he leads the league in everything. OBP and steals is where he struggles a little bit, where he's more in middle of the pack in the league. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, in a head-to-head matchup, he could lose RBI steals, and then Ginn and Lugo could get blown up, and then boom, he loses a playoff matchup like that. I
Yeah.
see where there's more holes. I do see
Yeah.
what you mean, where there's holes that could be filled in a
Yep.
sense. And I think
JT Ginn pitching in the hot Las Vegas or
right.
Sacramento, I mean, this summer.
I think from a pure like power like roster perspective though, if he has no injury, like James Wood's a top five player in baseball. I mean, the dude's a fucking animal. I mean, he is that good. So it's one of the like I know we say career years, but like Wood's 23, Vargas is 26, Paz is 25, Neto's 25. Are they going to regress or is like this this is how good they are? Like they can be that good.
I was more
Vargas,
so talking about like the Vargas, Dingler, and
yeah,
Pajes,
right.
those guys.
Right. But even theoretically, most of these guys are in their prime, quote unquote. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I see what you mean, though. I see what you mean. We're like in a head-to-head matchup, there are ways to beat this team.
Mhm.
But still, I think from a pure just power roster talent perspective, I think Chad and Dana are the clear two Cub best teams.
Mhm. Yeah. Looking at the transactions really quick. So I mean, he trade away Donovan for Dingler, huge win there.
Yeah.
For kind of what you got there. Contreras and Ober for Bichette and Soderstrom. I think it was big loss there.
Yeah.
Thanks hitter because Contreras has been okay, but
He needed a catcher at that
yeah.
time, though. He had no catcher. Yeah.
Yeah, Aranda for Rooker, huge win. That obviously with the news that just happened there, so that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Big loss on you Savage for Fairbanks there.
You Savage weirdly is something you probably could argue something he could
Yep,
really use right now.
yep. Yeah, he had just picked up any of those waiver wire closers too, like Scott or Gomez from Minnesota or whoever
Yeah.
else. Like, just being much better off. So yeah, and then the other one was kind of a wash there. The six-player one and getting the School Bowl helped for a little bit, but not for a while because you haven't gotten the production out of School Bowl yet. But he should be a
Right.
horse down the stretch here. Hopefully, he doesn't get hurt again. But guys that get hurt tend to get hurt again. So I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
So who's your predict your six playoff teams?
I'm gonna say Chad, Dana, you, me, Dexter. Oh man, this is the tough one that I was debating on. And I say because of how easy the schedule is, I think Spelly hangs on.
Yeah, that's tough. So yeah, I mean, I'll go Dana, Chad. I'll go you. I guess I'll go me. I'd like to see Peter and Spelly both get booted, and let's put Krim and
Woo!
no, not Krim. Sorry, not Krim. Bryce. Bryce.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Sorry. I meant to say Bryce and mm, that's tough. I feel like one of those guys gets in. We're gonna go Bryce, and we'll go. Uh, we'll go Dex. We'll go
Okay.
Dex. If his pitching kind of stays together, keeps pitching well, then it'll look pretty scary. So,
But I love the time we're doing this pod though because it's amazing, truthfully again, and I know we've said it the entire time. When you look at the head-to-head standings, it's amazing how close it really is, even from your last spot at 12 to the number Bryce team 11, who you are very very high. You're literally saying they're going to make the playoffs. They're 8 games back. There's 5 weeks left, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. But we're at such a unique spot in the season where it is this close. But also, I feel like in the next 2 weeks, it's going to look so much clearer.
Bryce just
It's
has to
still
make
going to
up
be
2 games per
close.
week. 2 games per
Yeah.
week, but he's got to make up.
Yeah. So it's gonna still be close between a couple teams, but I think it's gonna be amazing to see there's gonna be at least 3 teams that fall off probably in the next 2 weeks just
Yeah.
because they're just not gonna be able to keep up. So very fascinating spot to be in right now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that does it for us. Any last words for the people?
No, nothing much. Like I said, maybe next time we can dive a little bit into like the roto stats just to see how like again, we talk about like trying to catch up in roto numbers. Like Dana literally has like a 70 RBI lead on the next team. And it is interesting to see like he does struggle in OBP and stolen bases. Does he try to push on that? If he got a Bobby Witt, could he make up 5 spots and steal? So I think those are kind of fun subjects to look at if you're looking
Yeah,
at it from like trying to win second and
it would
third. Because
certainly help. Yeah.
yeah, there is those huge, huge things. But no, overall, like I said, always fun talking baseball. Love doing it, and I'm kind of excited to see where this thing pans out.
Dane and Dex should get together because like Xavier Edwards would be exactly what Dane needs because he doesn't need to
Oh
worry
yeah.
about losing the RBIs. He just needs to
He
steals and
can.
MVP.
Yeah. He's literally got a 70 RBI lead on the next team.
Mhm.
Like, and again, even if he loses, again, we've talked about this. If he loses 1 point roto, oh well. But if he can gain 5 points in steals, which he could, I
Yeah.
mean, that might secure second place in roto. So yeah,
Mhm.
stuff to think about. But
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you, Eric, for joining us.
always a pleasure.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully, I don't know how long we ended up going here. Probably close to 3 hours as
I think
usual.
3.5. I think we're at three and a
Was
half.
it really? Holy shit. It
Yeah.
always feels like way less. Time flies when we're getting
Oh
all
yeah.
our hot air out.
Damn right.
All right. Till next time.
Hell yeah.